late, Su Luo said. Then the two of them got out of bed and walked into the bathroom together, just like when they first got married, standing together brushing their teeth and washing their faces. When the two walked out of the room, there was no one at home. Yi's father and mother probably went out for a walk again. At Su Luo's request, Yi Zai'eramo ate a bun in the morning to fill his stomach. In Su Luo's words, even if you don't want to eat, the child still needs to eat. Then Yi Zai'eramo accompanied Su Luo to the vegetable market to buy some vegetables. At noon, the family had a harmonious lunch. Originally, Yi's father and mother did not agree with Yi Zai'eramo following Su Luo to Jinling, but Yi Zai'eramo said something in the end. Su Luo is graduating, and she wants to take graduation photos with him. In the end, Yi's father and mother had no choice but to agree, and at the same time repeatedly told Su Luo to take good care of Yi Zai'eramo. At around 4 o'clock in the afternoon, Su Luo and Yi Zai'eramo had arrived at the Four Seasons Hotel near Jinling University of Finance and Economics. The finance department graduation party starts at 7 p.m. and is prepared by freshmen to juniors in the finance department, specifically for seniors. "Liu, do you need to wear a dress tonight?" Yi Zai'eramo asked. "No need, just wear your usual clothes. However, even if you want to wear them, you can't," Su Luo said with a smile. "Oh, I just want to ask, what is my current figure like?" Yi Zai'eramo said and sighed deeply. "Why are you sighing? You look very nice like this and you're not fat at all." Su Luo said this and walked over to Yi Zai'eramo, who was sitting on the bed and squatted down. "Be more confident. In my eyes, you are the most beautiful." Su Luo smiled, showing 8 teeth and comforted with a smile. Yi Zai'eramo looked at Su Luo and started laughing too. "What do you want to eat tonight?" Su Luo stood up, pushed the suitcase to the balcony, looked at Yi Zai'eramo and asked. Barbecue." Yi Zai'eramo thought for a moment and asked in a puzzled tone. "Okay, let's have barbecue then." Su Luo nodded. Then Su Luo brought Yi Zai'eramo to the 3rd floor of Outlet City, opposite Jinling University of Finance and Economics. He did not take Yi Zai'eramo to the food stall, not because he was afraid that Yi Zai'eramo would be recognized, but mainly because he was worried that the food stall would be crowded and unsafe. There is a barbecue restaurant on the 3rd floor of Outlet City, and Su Luo took Yi Zai'eramo in. There were a lot of people, and there was a roll-up banner at the door saying lobster, 38 yuan per pound. There was a group of people around the other roll-up banner, and Su Luo took a look. "Zai'eramo, look, these super spicy lobsters, eat 4 pounds and it's free." Su Luo smiled and pointed at the advertisement above. "Liu, don't tell me you are going to participate." Yi Zai'eramo looked at Su Luo in surprise. "TT keyword add data title equals beauty, data tag equals recommended products, data type equals 1, data value equals 1930/TT keyword add no way. I'm mainly curious about how spicy the super spicy one is." Su Luo said with some curiosity. "It's very strange. I can't usually eat spicy food, but I have developed a great interest in spicy food." The two people did not stay at the door for too long. They were wearing masks and had already begun to attract the attention of some people. He found the waiter and took the two of them to the private room. "Waiter, are you newly opened?" Su Luo asked the waiter who led the way curiously. "About that, we've only been open for half a month," the waiter replied. Su Luo heard this and thought to herself, no wonder. There was an event at the door and it looked quite lively. "Business is good, so first, give me a pound of lobster and a pound of lamb skewers." Su Luo listed many of Yi Zai'eramo's favorite foods. "Let's leave it like this for now. Order more if it's not enough," Su Luo said to the waiter. "Wait, another dozen oysters and 2 lamb kidneys," Yi Zai'eramo said quickly. After saying that, he looked at Su Luo. Judging from the only exposed eyes of Shan Kong, Yi Zai'eramo was smiling. She did it on purpose. Su Luo felt somewhat helpless. What should I do if my sister likes to play pranks? Of course, I would spoil her. The waiter wrote down the menu, added the oysters and lamb kidneys ordered by Yi Zai'eramo, and then left the private room. 5 minutes later, a charcoal stove was brought up. "Sure, waiter, I've got you covered with this northern barbecue style." Su Luo looked at the stove in front of her with admiration and praised it with a smile. "Our boss is from the north," the waiter explained and then stepped out. In northern barbecue, a charcoal stove is usually added for each customer to ensure that the skewers will not get cold in winter. You can also let your guests enjoy the fun of barbecue. One thing to remind you is that in most cases, the barbecue ordered by guests is fully cooked and can be eaten directly. Looking at the charcoal stove in front of her, Su Luo stood up and sat next to Yi Zai'eramo. Yi Zai'eramo looked at Su Luo with some confusion, but didn't say anything. After all, Su Luo is her husband. He's just sitting next to her or even on her. What's wrong with that? It's not possible now. Instead, Yi Zairamu can just sit down. The skewers are here. At this time, the waiter came in, sorted the skewers and placed them on the table, and then left. As soon as the waiter left, Su Luo took it directly, put the skewers on the charcoal stove and flipped them slowly. Yi Zairamu, who was standing by, was watching intently. It turned out that men are handsome when they are serious. Luo Luo, who is typing seriously. Luo Luo, who is playing the piano seriously. Luo Luo, who is attending events seriously. And Su Luo, who is currently in a smoky and hot atmosphere. Huh, honey, are you looking at me? Aren't you supposed to be looking at the string? Su Luo turned his head inadvertently and saw Yi Zairamu next to him looking at him infatuatedly and teased with a smile. Hate it, you always bully me. I'll tell Mom when I get home. Yi Zairamu blushed and said shyly, if you like looking at me, then look at me. It's okay to admit it. Why are you still complaining, little Mew Mew? You are still young. Su Luo placed the skewers on the plate in front of Yi Zairamu and teased her in a smug manner. Yi Zairamu looked at Su Luo's smug look, rolled his eyes, adjusted his expression, and imitated her. I don't have an eraser. My family can't afford one. Yi Zairamu pretended to cry as she spoke, looking at Su Luo's expression from time to time and continuing her performance. Chapter 202, Eraser Incident. Su Luo covered her face and looked at Yi Zairamu awkwardly through the gaps between her fingers. My dad even told you this? Su Luo said in disbelief. Hiccup, hiccup, you're so funny. When I think about it, I want to laugh. Yi Zairamu laughed like a goose. This matter goes back to when Su Luo was in the 3rd grade of elementary school. In the 3rd grade of elementary school, students write with pencils. As we all know, if the pencil writing is wrong, they use erasers to erase it. Of course, this is what most people do, but there are always some conspicuous people who don't do this. Some use the rubber band on the pen. Although it cannot be wiped clean, it can still be erased. But among the conspicuous bags, the most amazing one should be the one that can be wiped with saliva. Every time you wipe it, a black blob will appear. Every time you wipe it, a black blob will appear. It was a sunny day, and Su Luo went to school with her school bag on her back as usual. In the afternoon, it was the Chinese class taught by the head teacher. The students were required to practice calligraphy. The head teacher walked around the classroom to see how each student was practicing. As a result, when I walked to Su Luo's side, I saw one black ball after another. Su Luo, why don't you use an eraser? The head teacher walked over and asked on the spot. Because this kind of black ball is only used by a few naughty children. She didn't expect to find Su Luo using it today. It's used up, Su Luo answered in a low voice. At that time, children were not afraid of their parents, but they were afraid of their teachers. Why don't you buy more after you've used them up? The head teacher's voice became a little stern. In her opinion, since school supplies are almost used up, buying them in advance is also a reflection of learning ability. Who knew that at this time Su Luo actually started crying, and cried very miserably. The head teacher immediately panicked and asked Su Luo what was going on. Su Luo was seen sobbing and speaking with extreme sadness. I only have 68 yuan left at home, and I can't bear to buy an eraser. The head teacher had a dark face and was a little amused. Looking at Su Luo's serious expression, the head teacher finally did not laugh. Su Luo's parents were called over, and only then did they learn the truth. When Su Luo was a child, he liked to buy snacks, so he often asked his parents for money. This time he didn't have an eraser, so he asked them for money as usual. Before Su Luo mentioned that she wanted to buy an eraser, Su Siyuan took out some money from his pocket and counted it. The total amount was 68 yuan. Zio Luo, we only have 68 yuan in total at home now. We need to spend it frugally in the future. Su Siyuan said to Su Luo with a serious and melancholy look on his face. Su Luo believed it and said coquettishly that she didn't want the money anymore, then ran back to her room to do her homework. Then the next day this happened. This is a stain on my life, Su Luo shouted in her heart. Okay, Zairamu, stop laughing. Laughing while eating can easily lead to accidents. If you laugh again, don't eat. Su Luo warned Yi Zairamu seriously that it was okay for her to be socially ruined and to be tarnished. What else could she do, since she was her wife after all? But she couldn't. He pressed forward step by step. The crisp sound of his footsteps seemed to beat against her heart. A strong sense of fear swept over her, and she stepped back step by step. Finally, he forced her into a corner, and he placed his right hand beside the left side of her face, lifting her chin with his right hand. The fear in her heart grew stronger and stronger, and her heart seemed to be about to jump out. You know too much, he said lightly. Then a cold light flashed. He kissed her on the lips, and the necklace on his chest rotated slightly, constantly reflecting the light of the moon outside. Instant, 100 images of how to tease Yizayaramu emerged in his mind. Crack, everything shattered. Okay, I won't laugh anymore. Yizayamu put away his smile and spoke seriously, interrupting Su Luo's autism. It's all over. Eat, wife, Su Luo said seriously, then picked up a skewer of lamb and handed it to Yizayamu. Puche. Yizayamu took the lamb skewers and laughed out loud. I'm sorry, honey, I couldn't help it. I just thought you were so cute at that time. Yizayamu looked at Su Luo, whose face was a little gloomy, and apologized repeatedly. I'm not angry, stop laughing. You can't laugh while eating. Su Luo looked helplessly at Yizairamu, who was acting like a spoiled child towards him, and spoke gently. Who can resist my sister's coquettishness? Soon, lobsters, oysters, and lamb kidneys were served. The two of them started eating, mainly Yizairamu eating, and Su Luo helped her peel the shrimps. Yizairamu specifically asked for a bowl of rice, and then asked Su Luo to put the peeled lobster on the rice. Finally, all the shrimps peeled from the 2 pounds of lobster were placed on the rice. Mix the shrimp meat and rice with the soup, then eat the rice in big mouthfuls. It is so delicious. In the end, under Yizairamu's supervision, Su Luo ate a dozen oysters and 2 kidneys. Wife, if you eat these 2 things, I'm afraid you won't be able to sleep tonight. Su Luo looked at Yizairamu and said with a smile, blinking at her, Are you really willing to do that? Yizairamu looked at Su Luo pitifully. You really can act. When did you learn acting, wife? Su Luo covered her forehead, stared at the drama queen in front of her, and complained. I've been learning acting skills every day lately. Don't underestimate me. Yizayamu approached Su Luo, put her arms around her neck, and spoke proudly. Am I making light of your problem? I'm just greedy for you. Su Luo leaned close to Yizayamu's ear, blew a breath, and then spoke in a low voice. Yizayamu shuddered suddenly and got goosebumps all over her body. She was aroused by Su Luo again. Hubby, you can't enjoy yourself even if I'm like this. Yizayamu leaned on Su Luo's shoulder and said shyly, Then why do you give me these to eat? Su Luo rubbed Yizayamu's head and asked softly, I saw you stayed up late last night, so I wanted to give you some more food since this is a man's refueling station. Yizayamu raised his head, looked into Su Luo's eyes, and spoke seriously. Thank you, wife. Su Luo looked into Yizayamu's eyes seriously and spoke gently. No need to thank me, we are husband and wife. After saying that, Yizairamu lay on Su Luo's shoulder again. She was really full and didn't want to move. After all, she finished a big bowl of rice. She was really a big eater. After a while, the two stood up. After Su Luo paid the bill, seeing that it was almost time, she took Yizairamu to the school auditorium. Old Su. As soon as Su Luo arrived, he saw Gyu Rui standing at the door, waving at him. Sister-in-law. When Su Luo approached, Gyu Rui immediately waved to Yizairamu to greet her. Hello, Gyu Rui. Yizairamu held Su Luo's arm and spoke softly. Why are you waiting here? Su Luo asked curiously. Chapter 203, Graduation Party begins. I just saw you. I'll wait for you here for a while. Shall we go in? Gyu Rui said with a smile. Okay, let's go. Su Luo nodded, took Yizairamu and followed Gyu Rui in. At this time, the place was almost full. Oh my God, there are so many people. Su Luo couldn't help but sigh. Everyone from the finance department of the entire school is here, and our class is over there. Gyu Rui pointed in a direction. The 3 of them came to the seats of the senior finance class. When the classmates saw Su Luo and Yizairamu, they took the initiative to reserve seats in the front row for them. You guys take your seats, we'll just sit in the back. Su Luo waved her hand to refuse. That won't do. The class monitor said that you are now the face of our class and you must sit in the front. A girl shouted loudly. Su Luo wanted to refuse, but Gyu Rui and Wu Zhidao took her directly to the first row and pressed her down on the seat. Yizayamu walked to the first row with a smile and sat down. Wife, there are too many people here. Don't run around at any time, hold on to me. Su Luo glared at Gyu Rui and Wu Zhidao, then turned to look at Yizayamu and spoke gently. I know Su is so talkative. Yizayamu frowned at Su Luo and said, then held Su Luo's hand. Then Su Luo held Yizayamu's hand and greeted the classmates around her one by one. Before long, people began to sit in the first row of seats one after another. Sitting next to Yizairamu was the class teacher Hu Hui. Sitting next to Su Luo were Zhao Wei and Zairo Shu. Zhao Wei was the head of the Department of Economics and Management. The Department of Finance is a branch of the Department of Economics and Management. Director Zhao, Professor Zhao, good evening. Su Luo greeted Zhao Shu and Zhao Wei respectively. Okay, you must be Su Luo, Zhao Wei said with a smile. Zhao Shu nodded at Su Luo and said nothing more. Director Zhao, I'm Su Luo. Su Luo nodded and responded. Yes, she is your wife, Yi Zairamu. Zhao Wei nodded and pointed at Yi Zairamu next to Su Luo and asked. He also heard about Su Luo. After all, he married a famous star, and the news spread all over the school. Yes, Zairamu, this is our department head, Director Zhao. Su Luo said this to Yi Zairamu. Director Zhao. Yi Zairamu called out to Zhao Wei upon hearing this. Hello, Zhao Wei greeted him and then seemed to be hesitant to speak. Director Zhao, do you have something to say? Su Luo looked at Zhao Wei and asked. Look, this graduation party was organized by you guys, and we're recording the whole thing and we'll put it on the school homepage. I was just thinking, could Yi Zairamu go up and sing a song? Zhao Wei said somewhat embarrassedly. Bringing up this kind of thing would be a bit embarrassing for others. After all, this is Su Luo's alma mater. Director Zhao Zairamu is pregnant, so it's really not very convenient. Seeing that Yi Zairamu was willing to agree, Su Luo immediately spoke. TT keyword add data title equals beauty, data tag equals recommended products, data type equals 1, data value equals 1930/TT keyword add. That's such a pity. Zhao Wei said somewhat awkwardly, feeling a bit dissatisfied with Su Luo in his heart. Looking at Zhao Wei's expression, Su Luo did not continue talking. He knew very well what Zhao Wei was thinking. Use Yi Zairamu's reputation to increase the enrollment rate. Not to mention that Yi Zairamu is pregnant. Even if she is not pregnant, Su Luo will not agree to let Yi Zairamu perform. On the one hand, no matter how small the stage is, it will be posted online. There is no appearance fee, so what is there to think about? Not to mention you, Zhao Wei, even if the president of Jinling University of Finance and Economics asked her to do so, Su Luo would not agree. On the other hand, if they are sincere, they should at least do it in advance. Su Luo offered to do it for free, which means something different. Besides, asking a singer to perform impromptu is not a sign of sincerity. It's not that Yi Zairamu can't perform impromptu, but as a star, she must care about the impact when facing so many people. I have no idea what the acoustics are like here, and there hasn't even been a sound check, so it's easy for an average singer to have a car accident on the scene. For talented singers like Yi Zairamu, it won't have much impact, but once an ordinary singer has a car accident, it is very likely that the popularity he has built up over the years will be gone in an instant. As the director of the Economics and Management Department, Zhao Wei must be aware of the social etiquette. In fact, he just wants to gain popularity for free, increase the enrollment rate, and boost the performance. At this moment, the lights suddenly dimmed, and the next moment, the stage atmosphere lights came on. A man and a woman walked onto the stage and began their opening remarks. The graduation party officially began, and Su Luo noticed that Zhao Wei next to her quietly left. Su Luo, my granddaughter is very happy, thank you. Zhao Shu sat over and said in a low voice. Professor Zhao, you're too polite. It's just a small favor. Su Luo waved her hand and said politely. Are you really not going to continue your studies? You have good talent and strength, Zhao Shu said. Professor Zhao, thank you very much for your praise, but I'm sorry. It's just because I'm not interested in this, Su Luo said with a little apology. There's nothing to be sorry about. You're truly outstanding. I had selfish motives in wanting to take you in. You don't need to apologize. Obviously, compared with Zhao Wei, Su Luo had a good impression of Zhao Shu's attitude. As for selfish motives, does letting my granddaughter get close to her idol count? The younger students on the stage were performing with all their heart. Su Luo and Zhao Shu chatted for a while and then started watching attentively. At this time, there was a girl on the stage, singing Sunny Day. Su Luo looked at Yi Zairamu and said with a smile, Honey, your song is really popular now. This is well written by you. Yi Zairamu leaned towards Su Luo and whispered, No, 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 you sing better. Su Luo leaned her upper body towards Yi Zairamu and replied softly, It's because the lyrics and melody are good that people like it. Or is it because Luo is talented? Puche. After Yi Zairamu finished speaking, he looked at Su Luo and both of them laughed. The two people said, This wave of mutual commercial praise is a win-win situation. Senior Su Luo. After the song ended, a girl's voice suddenly came from the stage. At this time, everyone followed the girl's gaze and looked over. When they saw Su Luo and Yi Zairamu, everyone became excited. Meanwhile, Su Luo and Yi Zairamu were looking at the stage in surprise. No way! What was this girl going to do? Senior Su Luo, I'm Wu Menkyu from the Finance Class 1 junior year. You might not remember me. As soon as Wu Menkyu said this, the audience immediately became chaotic. This atmosphere, this opening, it seems like a confession is about to begin. The key point is that Su Luo is already married. Yi Zairamu looked at Su Luo and raised an eyebrow at him. Hey, you're quite charming, huh? Chapter 204, The Whole Story of Confession. Su Luo immediately stood up, looked at the host in the corner of the stage, waved at him, and motioned him to bring a microphone over. At this time, Wu Menkyu on the stage ignored the booing from the audience, but looked at Su Luo firmly. Senior Su Luo, even though you don't remember me, I still remember you. I've loved you since the moment you took my luggage when we were freshmen. As soon as these words were spoken, the scene exploded, and everyone looked at it excitedly. This melon was quite big. Su Luo stood up and took the microphone handed to her by the host with a wry smile. It was too late to stop him, as Wu Menkyu had already said it. I'm sorry, please allow me to say this. I know that Senior Su Luo is already married, but I feel that I still need to speak out and give myself an explanation. Senior Su Luo, you will graduate tomorrow. I know that I will probably never see you again, so I decided to speak my mind. I was a little excited, and my words were a little incoherent. Because of Senior Su Luo, I fell in love with Yi Zairamu and also fell in love with this song, Sunny Day. I'm sorry, Senior. I had a lot to say, but I suddenly can't say it at this moment. As Wu Menkyu spoke, tears began to fall. I just want to say, Senior Su Luo, you must be happy and live happily with Yi Zairamu forever. I'm sorry, students and teachers, I've wasted your time. After Wu Menkyu finished speaking, he bowed deeply to the audience. At this time, everyone stopped making a fuss and looked at this brave girl seriously. Put yourself in her shoes and imagine if you could confess your feelings as bravely as she did, and let go as magnanimously as she did. Wu Menkyu, you are very brave and excellent. I feel honored to be liked by you. Although it's impossible for us, I have to say you have a good eye. Su Luo's words made Wu Menkyu cover her mouth and laugh. Yes, Yi Zairamu and I are married, and I love her, Su Luo said, looking at Yi Zairamu beside her. I will never look away from her, and I will never look away from her. Su Luo looked into Yi Zairamu's eyes affectionately and spoke gently. Then she took Yi Zairamu's hand, turned to look at Wu Menkyu on the stage, and continued speaking. In the future, you will meet someone who only has eyes for you. He will be very gentle, and his eyes will sparkle when he looks at you, but that person will not be me. Thank you again for your love. I hope you can meet someone you like and have a perfect love in the future. After Su Luo finished speaking, she looked at Yi Zairamu. Pa pa pa, thunderous applause broke out at the scene. Thank you, Senior Su Luo, Wu Menkyu said seriously and left the stage. The party continues. Liu Liu, how does it feel to be confessed to? After sitting down, Yi Zairamu looked at Su Luo, who was sitting next to him, with a smile and asked in a low voice. All I want is for you to like me. Su Luo sat upright and spoke seriously. HMPH, from now on put away your charm when you're out there. Yi Zairamu quietly reached out and pinched Su Luo's waist hard. Yes, wife, Su Luo, grimacing in pain, replied immediately. Then Su Luo and Yi Zairamu continued to watch the show attentively. Su Luo confessed her love at the graduation party, and her 3 views were very positive. Hot. A topic quietly became a hot search. Wow, this girl is excellent, and Su Luo is also great. If the entertainment industry were full of artists like Su Luo, it wouldn't be so chaotic. The person above is a hater, don't talk nonsense. I feel like the girl who confessed her love must be feeling very upset, so I want to comfort her. The person above, you are dreaming. Even eating dog food like this. Why do I feel so full and stuffed after listening to what Su Luo said? Don't you think Su Luo's words are so cool? I'll reject people the same way next time. I'm honored to be liked by you. Thank you for your love. You're so damn pretentious. Wake up the person above. No one will confess their love to you. You are overthinking it. My urine is yellow. Let me wake him up. The diabetes patient should be kept away, and he should not be allowed to taste any sweetness. Su Luo Yi Zairamu perform a show. When the party was about to end, a voice was faintly heard. Then the sound became louder and louder, and finally all the students in the audience were shouting. Seeing this, the host on the stage looked at Su Luo. Wait for me for a moment. Su Luo smiled and whispered to Yi Zairamu beside her. Okay, Yi Zairamu nodded with a smile on her face. Then Su Luo stood up, took a few quick steps, jumped onto the stage with ease, and took the microphone from the host. You all know Zairamu's situation. She is not suitable for performing on stage. Can I be her representative and perform a show? Suluo said with a smile. Then we need two, a voice came from below. Okay, then two, Suluo nodded in agreement. This is different from Zhao Wei's invitation. The students simply want Su Luo and the others to perform, and there is no other intention. Su Luo naturally would not refuse this. After all, they were all Su Luo's classmates and younger students. Then Su Luo sang two songs. One was Sunny Day, and the other was Meeting. And the main thing was that both songs happened to have accompaniment. This is a feeling that is quite different from Yi Zaiamu's. With her god-level singing skills, Su Luo can easily handle this kind of performance. Seeing the audience shouting crazily for another song, Su Luo raised her hand to calm them down, and the scene instantly became quiet. He has successfully conquered a group of students in the finance department with two songs. Classmates, if you want to hear me sing, tune in to Go-Go Trainee. I'm singing a new song. You can guess which episode it is. After Su Luo finished speaking, she took advantage of the students' inability to react, jumped off the stage, and quietly left with Yi Zaiamu. The graduation party was coming to an end. If Su Luo and Yi Zaiamu saw it end, it would be difficult for them to leave. That would be too dangerous. Therefore, Su Luo took Yi Zaiamu and quietly slipped away in advance, which was safe and convenient. It was getting dark in the hot weather, and two people were strolling along the roadside. Liu, when I saw you singing just now, I wanted to sing too, Yi Zaiamu said with a pout. Then let's go home and sing later, Su Luo said with a smile. Will you write a song for me? Yi Zaiamu's eyes lit up and he spoke. Right, Su Luo nodded. No, I have already written a song. I will try it when I get back, Yi Zaiamu said proudly. Okay, then I'll be the first listener when I get back, Su Luo smiled. Two figures slowly walked away into the distance. Ding-ling-ling, Su Luo's phone rang. Chapter 205, Graduation. Lao Su, are you guys back home? Do you want to have a midnight snack together? As soon as Su Luo answered the phone, Gyu Rui's voice came over. Is the party over? Su Luo asked curiously. Yes, it just ended. Luckily you left early. Oh my god, the party just ended. Everyone was rushing towards our class. Luckily we were sitting in the back row, so we slipped away immediately. Gyu Rui complained in shock. Tell me, do you want to come and eat? We are going to the roast chicken restaurant on the first floor of Outlet City, Gyu Rui said. Hearing this, Su Luo looked at Yi Zaiamu. Su Luo had turned on the hands-free mode and saw Yi Zaiamu blinking and nodding vigorously. Obviously, Yi Zaiamu has completely evolved into a foodie. Okay, we'll be there soon, Su Luo agreed. Okay, we're almost there. Call me when you get there. Okay, Su Luo said and hung up the phone. Then Su Luo and Yi Zaiamu quickened their pace and walked out of the school, got in the car, and drove to Outlet City. Soon, Su Luo brought Yi Zaiamu into this student braised chicken shop. Old Su, Gyu Rui waved his hand not far away. I say, why don't we change to another box? Su Luo walked over with Yi Zaiamu and saw Gyu Rui, Wu Zhidao, Su Ziliang, and Wu Min, whom she had met before. Everyone looked at Yi Zaiamu wearing a mask, and Gyu Rui slapped his forehead. Blame me, I forgot. Then a few people moved to a private room. The specialty here is hand-shredded chicken, and a few people ordered 2 servings and also ordered barbecue. We ate and chatted at the same time. It was very lively. In the end, everyone had almost finished drinking, and Gyu Rui and the others still had to go back to the dormitory. It was almost 11:30 when the midnight snack ended. After driving the car back to the hotel, Su Luo accompanied Yi Zaiamu for a walk in the moonlight, mainly because they had eaten too much and needed to digest the food. There is an artificial lake in front of the hotel. To the south of the lake is the hotel, to the north is Outlet City, and to the west is Jinling University of Finance and Economics. Su Luo and Yi Zaiamu walked slowly along the lake. It was almost 12 o'clock, and there were almost no people outside. Liu, the moon is so round tonight. Yi Zaiamu held Su Luo's hand, raised his head and sighed. Upon hearing this, Su Luo looked up and saw that the moon was indeed quite round today. A shooting star streaked across. Liu, look, it's a shooting star. I want to make a wish. Yi Zaiamu pointed to the sky excitedly, then immediately put his hands together, placed them in front of his chest, and closed his eyes. Su Luo stood there, looking at Yi Zaiamu with a smile on her face. Liu, why don't you make a wish? Yi Zaiamu opened his eyes again, looked at Su Luo, and asked curiously. I've already made the promise, Su Luo said gently. What wish did you make? Yi Zaiamu said excitedly. No, you can't say it out loud. It won't work if you say it out loud. Yi Zaiamu added immediately, but there was a hint of doubt in her eyes. Su Luo rubbed Yi Zaiamu's head and looked at the calm lake with a smile. Oh, why don't you say anything? Yizayaramu grabbed Su Luo's arm and shook it. Didn't you say that it won't work if you say it out loud? Su Luo looked at Yizayaramu with amusement. Well, tell me everything's fine. Yizayaramu rolled his eyes and spoke. Then what wish did you make? Su Luo asked. Well, if I don't tell you, it won't work if I tell you. Yizayaramu blushed and said coquettishly. TT keyword add data title equals beauty, data tag equals recommended products, data type equals 1, data value equals 1930 / TT keyword add O. Don't ask me, just tell me what wish you made. Yizayaramu said coquettishly to Su Luo. Good man, you are so hypocritical. You are worthy of being called Yizayaramu. What I wished for is that I hope Yizayaramu's wish can come true, Su Luo said with a smile. Ah, you said it out. Why did you say it out? It doesn't work anymore. Yizayaramu patted Su Luo and said with a sweet smile. It's worthy of you. Yizayaramu, you are the Sichuan opera face-changing master, Su Luo said with a smile. He, Yizayaramu smiled foolishly. Are we going back? Su Luo put her arms around Yizayaramu and said softly. Yeah, Yizayaramu narrowed her eyes and nodded. Then the two of them returned to the hotel, washed up, and fell asleep on the bed. The next day, the two got up early. After having breakfast at the hotel, the two checked out and went to school to teach in room A201. Although the arrival of Su Luo and Yizayaramu attracted some attention, the classmates did not go too far. Compared to Yizayaramu, they graduated today, which is worth being happy about. Not long after, the class teacher Hu Hui came in with Su Ziliang, Wu Zhidao, and Gyu Rui. Each of the three of them was holding a box in their hands. You can check the defense results on the school's official website, and I will report them here as well. After Hu Hui finished speaking, she began to read out the defense results. Su Luo Yu, Gyu Rui Liang. A few minutes later, the reading was over and everyone passed, with different scores. First of all, congratulations on your graduation today. Next, we will distribute your diplomas, degree certificates, and the temporarily rented bachelor's gowns. Students whose names have been called, please come to the podium to receive them. After Hu Hui finished speaking, she began distributing graduation certificates, degree certificates, and bachelor's gowns. The legendary thing of the principal personally handing out diplomas did not happen. It was around 9 o'clock, and everyone was wearing their academic gowns and holding their diplomas and degree certificates. Then, under the leadership of Hu Hui, the students of Class 1 of the Finance Department, who are in their senior year, were taken to the stairs at the entrance of the library and took a group photo. This also means that the 4 years of college life are completely over. Next, each small group will be free to take photos. Just return the bachelor's gown before 5 p.m. today. Su Luo took a few photos with the 3 people in the dormitory, and Su Luo also took a few photos with Yizayaramu. Su Luo took off her bachelor's gown and put it on Yizayaramu, and the two took a few photos together again. Graduation. Lao Su, Lao San, and Zio Su, do you want to go on a graduation trip? 5 people sat on the lawn, and Gyu Rui said with some emotion. Su Luo looked at Gyu Rui, whose eyes were a little red and couldn't say no. In their dormitory, Gyu Rui is the most sentimental, probably because he watches a lot of campus anime. They all attach great importance to this kind of campus friendship, classmate friendship, and brotherhood. Of course, other people are the same, but they are not as emotional as Gyu Rui. Some people express their emotions, while others keep them hidden. Su Luo looked at Yizayaramu, only to see her looking at her with a smile. Liu, I think the graduation trip is very meaningful. Yizayaramu's gentle voice came out of her mouth. Yeah, I think so too. After all, after graduation, we will go our separate ways, and we don't know when we will meet again. Gyu Rui's voice was a little low. Chapter 206, Cancel the Graduation Certificate. At this moment, the atmosphere between the 4 people suddenly became a little depressing, and they realized that they were about to say goodbye. I have no objection to the graduation trip, Wu Zhidao said at this time. That's fine with me too, Su Ziliang nodded and agreed. Then Gyu Rui and the other 2 looked at Su Luo. Although I have no objection, I have to report it, Su Luo said with a wry smile. The next recording of the show is in late July, so there is really nothing to do in the meantime. But after all, there is Yizayaramu. Moreover, seeing Yizayaramu's eager look, Su Luo knew without thinking that Yizayaramu definitely wanted to go. Then Su Luo walked aside and called Sun Tingting. He was inevitably scolded, and finally was required to report his whereabouts every day, and to bring Lu Mayo Mio with him. Yizayaramu and Su Luo did not have assistants, so Lu Mayo Mio had always been the assistant. The main reason is that there is not much work for the 2 of them, so they don't have an assistant yet. Zairo Mew, I feel like my mother-in-law's good impression of me is almost gone. After hanging up the phone, Su Luo looked at Yi Zairamu, who followed her, and said with a wry smile, "Honey, you've worked hard." Yi Zairamu walked forward, took Su Luo's arm, leaned in his arms, and said coquettishly. Su Luo shook her head helplessly, hugged Yi Zairamu, and returned to where they had just been. "There's no problem on my side, but I have to bring one more person with me so that it will be more convenient to take care of Zairamu," Su Luo said. "No problem, no problem," Gyu Rui said happily. "If possible, third brother, please call your sister as well." Then Gyu Rui looked at Wu Jitao, raised his eyebrows, and spoke. "Brother, get out." Wu Jitao rolled his eyes. "Okay, brother-in-law." Looking at the two people playing together, Su Luo helped Yi Zairamu sit back on the lawn. Su Luo screened the photos taken today and selected a few, including photos with her roommates, photos with Yi Zairamu, and photos of Yi Zairamu wearing a bachelor's gown. There is also a photo of the two of them wearing bachelor's gowns, and the gown Su Luo was wearing was her roommate's. Su Luo was forced by Yi Zairamu to beautify her face, but there wasn't much change. How can a woman not retouch the photos when taking them? Even if she only adds a strand of hair, she still has to retouch the photos. After checking and finding no problem, Su Luo uploaded it to Weibo. "Su Luo, I graduated today, picture ×9. Wow, my husband is so handsome." It suddenly dawned on me today that Su Luo was already married before she even graduated, while I'm already 30 and still single. "Have you noticed that Miu Miu looks really good in his bachelor's gown? Wow, did you see Su Luo and Yi Zairamu wearing their bachelor's gowns? They look like two college students, so well matched." The comments under Su Luo's account were all positive, so Su Luo put away her phone. After some discussion with Gyu Rui and his friends, they decided to set off tomorrow instead of waiting for another day. "Where is the location?" Su Luo asked curiously. "Due to time constraints, we can only be away for 3 days, so we don't plan to go too far," Gyu Rui explained. "Why don't you go to the Magic City?" Su Luo suggested. "Disney, forget it, there are too many people there." Several people objected. After all, it was a bit frustrating to have to wait 2 or 3 hours to play a game. "How about going to the beach?" "This is the perfect time," Su Luo suggested. "That's good." Upon hearing this, several people immediately agreed. TT keyword add data title equals beauty, data tag equals recommended products, data type equals 1, data value equals 1930, /TT keyword add finally. After some discussion, several people decided to go to Rizhao, Shandong to go fishing. Su Luo had to go back to the Magic City in the afternoon, so she asked them to pack up today. It would be best if they could go to the Magic City today as well. In this way, Su Luo can drive directly to Rizhao, which is very convenient. After several people discussed it, they expressed their agreement. Then Su Luo took Yi Zairamu back to the dormitory, packed up her college belongings, and put them in the car. Su Ziliang called Hu Hui and asked her if she wanted to go to Rizhao, but was ultimately rejected. Wu Min, whom Gyu Rui was thinking about all the time, naturally had no time, or simply was unwilling to play with Wu Jitao, Gyu Rui, and these little brats. After packing up, the few people finally had a meal at Jinling Zairashuang, and then took Su Luo's car back to the Magic City together. When they arrived in the Magic City, Su Luo arranged for the 3 of them to stay at Walton in the central building. He took Yi Zairamu back to Jinxiu community, although he couldn't avoid a scolding. But when Su Luo told Sun Tingting about their plan to go fishing, she no longer objected. After all, only a few men would be happy to go to the beach. At most, Yi Zairamu would just step on the sand at the beach. With Lu Mayo Mio accompanying her, she wouldn't be bored. In the evening, Su Luo accompanied Gyu Rui and others to have dinner, and asked the hotel manager to arrange a KTV for them to have fun. "Husband, why are you back so early?" Yi Zairamu looked at Su Luo in surprise as she walked into the bedroom. "Just a meal," Su Luo said with a smile. Yi Zairamu nodded when she heard this. Although she had never participated in social events before, such dinners in the circle usually ended in the middle of the night. Especially Yi Zairamu didn't go with them today. They were all men. Yi Zairamu fully trusts Su Luo, but would it be a bad idea to leave so early? "Don't worry, we are all classmates and we don't have any bad intentions." Su Luo smiled and rubbed Yi Zairamu's head. Su Luo naturally understood what Yi Zairamu was thinking. The word sociable is sometimes really ironic. "Have you washed up?" Su Luo asked. "Yes, I've already washed it," Yi Zairamu nodded. "Okay, then I'll go wash up first, wait for me," Su Luo said, kissed Yi Zairamu, and then walked into the bathroom. At this time, Su Luo and Yi Zairamu didn't know that a yellow V named Zhao Wei posted the following message on Weibo. A bachelor's degree gown is a formal dress worn by bachelor's degree recipients at a degree awarding ceremony to represent their degree. Bachelor's gowns should be protected by law and should not be allowed to be worn by students who do not meet the academic requirements or by outsiders in society. At Chinese letter, quote, this immediately caused a surge in popularity, and the long-buried black fans emerged again. Originally a post full of praise for Su Luo, curses began to appear. Su Luo's behavior is disrespectful to academics. His diploma and degree should be revoked. With the emergence of such remarks, more and more black fans began to follow suit, and at Eid, the Ministry of Education. Huang Ming, a member of the Magic City Literary Association. There was an article that was included in the primary school textbook in 2010. Later, due to other works, the article was kicked out of the primary school textbook in 2011. In recent years, his fans have been decreasing, and he is almost about to be dropped out of the yellow V. When he saw the Weibo post by Zhao Wei and the subsequent effects it triggered, his mind became active. Chapter 207, Negative News. Huang Ming, the bachelor's gown is sacred and not everyone can wear it, especially public figures, who should be more aware of the impact they will bring. At Chinese letter, at Chinese letter, please delete the relevant photos immediately and apologize to the public. As for whether the graduation certificate and degree certificate need to be taken back, it depends on Su Luo's attitude of admitting her mistakes. At Zhao Wei at Ministry of Education, at Jinling University of Finance and Economics. As soon as Huang Ming's Weibo was published, it immediately resonated with a large number of people. Without distinguishing right from wrong, they used their keyboard skills to stand on the moral high ground and criticize the behavior of Su Luo and Yi Zairamu. As a public figure, one should be more careful about what they say and do. I used to be a fan of their couple, but now I'm turning against them. The person above is a fake fan, confirmed. They're a couple, no, a husband and wife taking a photo to show off their affection. How does that have anything to do with you? It's like a dog trying to catch a rat. It's okay to show affection, but uploading it on Weibo means it's public. This will have a negative impact on the child. Please ask Su Luo and Yi Zairamu to apologize as soon as possible. There were a lot of people leading the trend at one time, and many people had no ability to distinguish information on the internet. As for the current trend, don't worry about whether it is right or wrong. Just criticize Su Luo and Yi Zairamu. There were some analysis posts in these comments, but they were quickly suppressed. This Zhao Wei is the head of Su Luo's economics and management department. Has Su Luo offended him? Huang Ming is making fun of us again, isn't he? After seeing his article removed from the textbook, he posted a bunch of sarcastic comments, and now he's at it again. Saying that Su Luo would have a negative influence, why don't you take a look at the title of your previous book, Rural Sister-in-Law's Love, which is a book that shatters all three perspectives. There are indeed rational netizens, but the replies were eventually washed away by the haters and internet trolls. Su Luo was not very clear about these things. He had just taken a shower and dried his hair. It was quite late at this time, and he didn't plan to play with his phone. He just went to bed, hugged Yi Zairamu, and fell asleep. Lu Maomio knew that she had to accompany her sister Zairamu to Rizhao tomorrow, so she went to bed early. Just like that, Huang Ming stared at his Weibo post that became a hot topic and smiled foolishly all night. He originally had only more than 500,000 fans, but his number increased to 5 million overnight. The other person was Zhao Wei. He originally didn't think much of Su Luo's lack of respect for him, but later, at the invitation of his classmates, he actually went up to sing 2 songs. The main reason was that Yi Zairamu was invited at the last minute, but Su Luo did not agree. He then confessed to the principal that this party was actually just something that a few class teachers casually put together. As a result, Su Luo played, but he couldn't get any points. This made him hate Su Luo. Su Luo and Yi Zairamu were both ordinary people, so there was nothing wrong with that. But after Su Luo uploaded the photos, Zhao Wei became interested. This is how society is. Many times, it's not that others don't want to retaliate, it's just that there is not a right opportunity. Of course, Zhao Wei might not be dissatisfied with Su Luo just because of this incident. Even though he is so rich, he never donates anything to his alma mater, and he never mentions the school outside. Most importantly, he never mentions himself. TT keyword add data title equals beauty, data tag equals recommended products. Data type equals 1. Data value equals 1930. /TT keyword add people often say to keep a childlike innocence because those with a childlike innocence are more likely to succeed. They are more focused on what they do and rarely think about other things. When people have too many distracting thoughts, they are prone to wild thoughts, especially after entering the big dive vat of society. They are easily blinded by interests. Furthermore, doing something that harms the interests of others is fundamentally due to being too utilitarian. If it is a malicious act, then the mentality is unbalanced. Zhao Wei is such a person. He has been in the position of department head for too long. He wants to continue to climb up, but Su Luo made him lose his so-called opportunity. Zhao Wei looked at the Weibo post he had posted with shining eyes, and it began to be forwarded by some yellow Vs one after another. Even a top star, Kai Kun, who has 60 million followers on Weibo, manually liked the post but quickly canceled it. However, netizens with great powers had already taken screenshots. Kai Kun had to come forward and say that his Weibo account had just been stolen. This was stolen. Everyone look. Kai Kun manually liked the post criticizing Su Luo and Yi Xiaomu. This is already the first hot topic. The one upstairs is a hater. Let's all go after him. If you dare to be sarcastic to my brother, I will never let you go. Sisters, hunt him down. Brother, you are the best. I don't even know who Su Luo, Yi Xiaomu, and the others are. Brother, when will you release a new song? I'll go buy it. I want to buy 10,000 copies. Brother Kun, do you want to see my sister? Contact 158 78 99. Good guy upstairs. Zhao Wei looked at his Weibo with a smile. At this time, his Weibo fans had increased to 2 million. And the Weibo post he posted has become a hot topic. And Su Luo, the person involved in all this, was sleeping soundly with Yi Xiaomu in her arms. The next morning, Su Luo was woken up by a call from Lu Miao. Yi Xiaomu also woke up, looked at Su Luo and smiled slightly. Answer the phone. Yi Xiaomu looked at Su Luo and smiled at her, reminding her. Hello, Su Luo answered the phone and spoke. Brother-in-law, please check Weibo. The news about you and sister Xiaomu has exploded on Weibo. Lu Miao's anxious words came from the phone. Why are you in such a hurry? Find an MPV and drive over here. We are going to Rizhao today, and we also have to pick up my 3 classmates. Su Luo said calmly. How can I not be anxious? You and sister Xiaomu have almost 20 million fans in total. Lu Miao said seriously. More than 20 million is indeed a lot. Su Luo whispered and underestimated it. He himself has only 20 million fans, and Yi Xiaomu has only more than 3,000 fans. The sudden loss of more than 20 million fans is equivalent to a 40% discount. Okay, don't worry, find a car to pick us up first. Su Luo waved her hand, interrupting Lu Miao's hesitant words. Okay, brother-in-law, Lu Miao said and hung up the phone. For 6 people, let's get a 7-seater. Lu Miao said as she walked into Tanya's office. Su Luo opened Weibo to see the reason. Even Yi Xiaomu took a look and his expression turned ugly. Then, several people in Su Luo's dormitory also called Su Luo, saying that they encountered this incident while surfing the internet in the morning. At the same time, he asked Su Luo if they should not go traveling for the time being. It's okay, it won't have much impact, I'll take care of it. We'll pick you up downstairs at the central building in a bit. Come down when we're almost there. Su Luo first comforted everyone, and then told a few people about the next arrangements so that they would have an idea. Chapter 208, This is a Man's Possessiveness. The itinerary was arranged. Su Luo and Yi Xiaomu took out their clothes and stuffed them into the suitcase. Yi Xiaomu was obviously more excited about going out this time, and she specially took a few loose clothes and stuffed them into the suitcase. Just when he was about to take out his swimsuit, he was stopped by Su Luo. Do you think I'm fat and ugly? Yi Xiaomu said with dissatisfaction, pouting. That's not true. If you want to wear it, you can wear it at home for me, but don't wear it outside. Su Luo said gently while touching Yi Xiaomu's head. Yi Xiaomu tilted her head, looked at Su Luo's serious expression, raised the corner of her mouth slightly, nodded, and put down her swimsuit. Hubby, I understand. This is a man's possessiveness. Yi Xiaomu leaned close to Su Luo's ear and whispered, then kissed Su Luo on the cheek. After a while, Lu Miao arrived. When he knew that Su Luo had not responded yet, he directly pushed Su Luo to the back seat. As soon as she got in the car, Su Luo noticed that there was a girl sitting in the passenger seat. What is this? Su Luo asked curiously, and Yi Xiaomu also looked at Lu Miao curiously. This is your assistant, Zhu Linhui. You can just call her Hui or Xiao Zhu, Lu Miao introduced. Hello, Huey. Su Luo and Yi Xiaomo greeted Zhu Linhui. Hello, Brother Luo. Hello, Sister Xiaomo. Zhu Linhui's voice was a little special, a little hoarse. Mio Mio, that's great. You're a full-time agent now. Su Luo looked at Lu Mio Mio and teased. Brother-in-law, stop teasing me and reply to Weibo quickly. Lu Mio Mio looked at Su Luo, who didn't care about the small amount at all, and reminded her. Okay, let's go to the central building first to pick up my classmate. After Su Luo finished speaking, she fastened her seat belt, took out her cell phone, and opened the Weibo interface. When he saw again that one of the people who led the pace was Zhao Wei, he roughly understood the cause and effect. Wait a minute, Su Luo said when she saw Lu Mio Mio just starting the car and preparing to leave. What's wrong? Yi Xiaomu turned to look at Su Luo and asked. Let me get the computer. Su Luo said, opened the car door, and took out the computer from the trunk of her Porsche Cayenne. Then he walked back to the business car and put the computer bag in Yi Xiaomu's suitcase. Then he took the computer and sat back in the back seat. Okay, let's go, Su Luo said, turning on the laptop and connecting to the mobile hotspot at the same time. Su Luo's consistent style is to keep all the evidence for Yi Xiaomu. Liu, what are you doing? Yi Xiaomu asked curiously as she looked at Su Luo, who was constantly operating. Keep the evidence, Su Luo answered while taking screenshots. Oh, Yi Xiaomu nodded. When the business car arrived at the central building, Su Luo asked Guo Rui and the other three to get off. Then the three of them sat in the last row. There were 7 people in the car, and at 7:30 in the morning they set off for Rizhao. Old Su, what are you doing? Guo Rui asked Su Luo, who was busy in front of him. I have something to do, Su Luo answered casually. Guo Rui nodded, and he and the other 2 people played with their phones. It took Su Luo about half an hour to take screenshots of all the evidence, and another half an hour to sort out the events. Su Luo opened Weibo. At this time, his Weibo post was full of insults from black fans, and his fans had dropped to 8 million. Su Luo became popular quickly, but her fans were not very loyal and their popularity dropped quickly. Su Luo thought for a moment and began to edit the copy. Su Luo, when I woke up, I felt like the world had changed. Seeing so many pornographic Vs criticizing me, I felt flattered. I, a person who doesn't even have a degree from a normal university, can actually influence the education of Chinese youth. I finally understood. It turns out that I am such a powerful person. So from now on, fans, stop calling me Seaman and teach me to be a Suzhou University educator. I won't mention at Zhao Wei, at Huang Ming, and the others who are trying to capitalize on the hype. After Su Luo finished editing the copy, she immediately clicked send. Su Luo understands it's a weird thing. These experts are just looking for something to do. Wouldn't it be better for them to go back to raising pigs? As for Huang Ming, he wrote a book about the love between a rural sister-in-law. I was quite shocked when I read it. I thought such a book could actually be published. Please investigate Huang Ming at Ministry of Culture. This guy definitely has distorted values. I heard his older brother is in the countryside writing books. After hearing what the above person said, I immediately felt that the color of his eldest brother's hair was a little different. After Su Luo finished her fight, she did not read the comments but immediately called the police and sent the evidence she had. At the same time, reopen Weibo and continue editing. Su Luo, although I really don't want to clarify this because it involves my dignity as a man, but seeing that many people have been led astray, I feel it is necessary to speak out. After all, I am now a great educator, and I need to tell you what is right. Then Su Luo added a few pictures, including Yi Xiaomu's undergraduate diploma and degree certificate, her own graduate diploma and master's degree certificate. Yes, just as you can see, my wife has a higher degree than me, so there's nothing wrong with her wearing a bachelor's gown. Also, she graduated earlier than me, and I want to graduate with her. Is that a bad idea? At Huang Ming, I've already filed a lawsuit. At Zhao Wei, you're the dean of the Department of Economics and Management, but you treat your students this way. I really wonder what the future holds for a Jinling University of Finance and Economics under your leadership. Finally, I want to remind everyone that the internet is not a lawless place. This is my second chance for all the haters. If you do it again, I will take you all to court. After Su Luo finished editing, she clicked send. Oh my god, Yi Xiaomu is so awesome, a master's student. Su Luo, are you feeling inferior? To be frank, Su Luo was really tough this time. The internet is not a place for lawlessness. That's a great point. All of a sudden, people from all over the entertainment industry started forwarding the message, with Chen Qichai, Lu Han, and Deng Keo being the first to do so. The internet is not a place for lawlessness, forwarded by Su Liu. Then Zhu Qing, Tang Jiru, Zhu Jai, Zhou Yang, and Peng Xiaoman all started forwarding the message one after another. Moreover, some people noticed that the official media of People's Daily gave a thumbs up to Su Luo's final Weibo post. Ministry of Education, we will immediately investigate at Zhao Wei. Magic City Literary Association. Huang Ming has been kicked out of the Literary Association. The moral qualities of Literary Association members always come first. Jinling University of Finance and Economics. Our university has dismissed at Zhao Wei. When recruiting university faculty, we will screen them based on their professional ethics. Chapter 209, Seaview Room Move-In. After Su Luo finished her work, she realized that the three people sitting in the back row were looking at her in surprise. "What's wrong?" Su Luo asked curiously. "Nothing. Did you call the police?" Gyu Rui asked curiously. "Of course, there is a price to pay for spreading rumors." Su Luo smiled and said lightly. Gyu Rui and the others understood Su Luo's remarks, but they didn't feel anything. After all, these things didn't happen to them, so they couldn't empathize with them. The drive lasted nearly 7 hours, and Su Luo took over in the middle. Lu Mio couldn't drive such a long journey alone. We played with our phones, chatted and laughed, had lunch at a service area, and finally arrived in Rizhao at about 3:30 in the afternoon. There are homestays everywhere in Rizhao, but Su Luo did not choose to stay in a homestay. Instead, she chose the Seaview Garden Hotel. Originally, Gyu Rui and his friends were planning to pay for their accommodation themselves, but after seeing the price, they decided not to go ahead. We booked 3 single rooms and 1 supreme suite. "Let's take a break first, then have dinner together at 5 o'clock. Will we start fishing tonight?" Su Luo handed the room card to Gyu Rui and the other two and spoke. "Okay, no problem." Gyu Rui and others nodded immediately. The room, which costs over 1,000 yuan a night, makes the 3 of them very excited. The 4 of them walked into the elevator with their luggage. Su Luo and his 3 companions were on the 26th floor, and Gyu Rui and his 3 companions were on the 20th floor. Ding! Su Luo opened the door of the Supreme Suite. The first thing she saw was a spacious and bright living room with a bedroom on each side. Su Luo and Yi Xiaomu chose the bedroom on the left, while Lu Mio and Zhu Linhui walked into the bedroom on the right. As soon as you enter the door, you will see a huge floor-to-ceiling window with the sea outside. "So beautiful!" Yi Xiaomu exclaimed as she looked at the scenery in front of her. There are many sea view B and BS in Rizhao, but the most beautiful view is here. After all, you can see far from a high place. This is also the highest sea view room on the beach in Rizhao. Most B and BS have less than 6 floors and don't have this kind of view at all. There were 2 half-lying sofas next to the floor-to-ceiling windows. Seeing this, Su Luo pulled Yi Xiaomu and walked over. 2 people lay on the sofa, playing the sound of the sea through the smart audio and video, and for a moment the atmosphere was full. It feels like being on the sea. The only drawback is that the air conditioning and the sea breeze feel different. "Go get some sleep." Su Luo looked at Yi Xiaomu and said softly. "Okay," Yi Xiaomu smiled, then got up and lay down on the bed. She knew that pregnant women could not sleep on a reclining chair for a long time, so she went to the bed and lay on her side. Seeing Su Luo swaying slightly, Yi Xiaomu smiled. Without asking Su Luo to come and accompany her, she pressed the switch on the bedside and drew the curtains. The light in the room dimmed instantly, with the dim ambient light being the only source of light. After driving for more than 4 hours, Su Luo was indeed a little tired and soon fell asleep. TT keyword add data title equals beauty, data tag equals recommended products, data type equals 1, data value equals 1930 / TT keyword add in the other bedroom. Lu Mio and Zhu Linhui were so excited that they couldn't sleep. Both of them were children from rural areas. One became Yi Xiaomu's assistant right after graduating from university, and the other hasn't graduated yet. Apart from studying in Shanghai, they have never traveled far, let alone traveling. They were both so happy to follow Su Luo out this time, especially Zhu Linhui, who had just started working not long ago. The 2 of them sat by the floor-to-ceiling window, chattering away, their excitement evident in their expressions. As for Gyu Rui and the other 2, their room was indeed not as big as the Supreme Suite, but it was also a sea view room, so the view was naturally excellent. The first thing they did was take photos and post them on WeChat Moments. The 3 people's WeChat Moments instantly attracted the attention of their classmates. Gyu Rui and Wu Zhidao's vanity was satisfied for a while, but after that, they both felt a sense of emptiness. They were the only ones living in such a big room, which made them a little scared. Taozi, are you bored? Gyu Rui sent a message to Wu Jitao. A little bit, Wu Jitao replied immediately. Do you want to go out and play for a while? Gyu Rui suggested. Call Su Luo and the others, Wu Jitao asked. Old Su has been driving all afternoon today. Let him have a good rest and we can walk around and practice Buddhism nearby, Gyu Rui suggested. I'm fine. Okay, then ask the fourth brother if he wants to go. If he does, let's meet downstairs. After Gyu Rui finished speaking, he put away his phone and walked out with the room cards. Downstairs at the Seaview Garden Hotel, Gyu Rui and Wu Jitao stared at each other. Just the two of us? Gyu Rui asked. Yes, just the two of us. The fourth one won't go. Wu Jitao nodded helplessly. Okay then, Gyu Rui said, and began to look at Wu Jitao with a smile on their lips. I want to challenge my weak spot, the two men said, and showed the smile that all men would show. Ding-ling-ling. Su Luo was sleeping when the phone suddenly rang. Su Luo immediately answered the phone, looked at Yi Zairamu, and saw that she was still asleep. She breathed a sigh of relief and quietly walked out of the bedroom. Hey, Su Luo said. Hey, Lao Su, come and save me, Gyu Rui said in a low voice. Old Gyu, what's wrong with you? Su Luo asked puzzledly. I suspect I've been set up, Gyu Rui whispered. Fuck, where are the others? Su Luo asked in surprise. The fourth brother hasn't come out, and I can't get through to the third brother on the phone. Gyu Rui's voice was a little nervous. Where are you now? Su Luo asked. Well, I don't know either. It seems to be called Zinlan B&B, room 302. Gyu Rui recalled the address and spoke. Are you safe now? I'm hiding in the bathroom now, and they're standing at the door. Help. Have you called the police? No. Why don't you call the police right away? Su Luo said speechlessly. Gyu Rui hesitated. He felt it was difficult to talk about this matter. Call the police first, I'll be there soon, don't worry, Su Luo said. Good. After Su Luo hung up the phone, she immediately knocked on Lu Mayo Miao's door. The door opened quickly, and Su Luo saw Lu Mayo Miao and Zhu Linhui both looking disheveled. You guys, Su Luo suspected that the two girls were causing trouble. Brother-in-law, it's not what you think. Lu Mayo Miao looked at Su Luo and immediately began to explain. Okay, let's stop talking for now. I have to go out for something now. Please help me take care of Zairo Mu. If she wakes up, tell her that my roommate encountered something, and I'm going to check on him. After Su Luo finished her instructions, she immediately walked out the door. Lu Mayo Miao and Zhu Linhui looked at each other, tidied their clothes, then quietly ran to Yi Zairamu's room and sat on the sofa next to the floor-to-ceiling window. Chapter 210, Trapped. On the other side, Gyu Rui tremblingly called the police. At this moment, he regretted very much why he followed her in a fit of rage. An hour ago, at the beach, Gyu Rui watched Wu Jitao chatting enthusiastically with a girl, and he also felt itchy in his heart. Especially when Wu Jitao left with the girl and winked at him at the same time. Gyu Rui was furious. He claims to be much more handsome than Wu Jitao, but he can't even get a girl. Where is justice in this? Gyu Rui walked back to the sea feeling a little depressed, and swam, trying to calm down. Rizhao's beach is open for swimming from July 1st to August 31st every year. The challenge that Gyu Rui and Wu Jitao want to take is to go to the beach to see the young lady. When the two of them arrived at the beach, they immediately bought a pair of swimming trunks and went into the sea to play. There are a lot of people and beautiful women at the beach. Look, Wu Jitao just left with a beautiful woman. The sea water was nice, but there were too many people, making it a little difficult to swim. Gyu Rui was walking in the sea feeling depressed. Suddenly, he felt a delicate little hand touching him. Gyu Rui turned around and saw a pretty woman standing in front of him. Are you alone, little brother? The woman asked coquettishly. Yeah, what about you? Gyu Rui, who was approached for the first time, immediately became excited. The woman skillfully induced Gyu Rui to tell her information, and Gyu Rui also learned that the woman's name was Chen Yu. She is so pretty that it makes fishes sink and geese fall. What a nice name, Gyu Rui said with a smile. Your name is nice too. Can you teach me how to swim? Chen Yu blinked and looked at Gyu Rui, saying shyly. No problem, Gyu Rui agreed immediately. Next, Gyu Rui began to teach Chen Yu how to swim, which inevitably involved some physical contact. Chen Yu would always reach out to soothe Gyu Rui's head intentionally or unintentionally. This also gave Gyu Rui some evil thoughts. So, half-heartedly, the two of them moved away from the crowd and came behind a reef. Gyu Rui immediately used his Gyu family's unique martial art, the Fa Qiu finger, against Chen Yu. Just as Gyu Rui was about to find out what was going on, Chen Yu put on his clothes and spoke. Little brother, can we go to another place? It's not safe here. Okay, okay. Gyu Rui was already drunk and had lost his mind. After putting on his clothes on the shore, he followed Chen Yu away. At the same time, he felt smug in his heart, thinking that he was no worse than the third brother. Soon, the two arrived at a B&B, and Gyu Rui took a special look at the name of the B&B. Then he followed Chen Yu to room 302. As soon as he entered the room, Gyu Rui climbed up to the bed, his little hands running around, while one hand held the rabbit tightly. Chen Yu pushed Gyu Rui away forcefully and spoke with a shy look on her face. Little brother, don't be anxious. Go take a shower first. Why don't we go together? Gyu Rui said hesitantly. No, I'm a little embarrassed. You wash first, Chen Yu said shyly. Then she pushed Gyu Rui into the bathroom. After Gyu Rui entered the bathroom, he started to take a quick shower. 2 minutes later, when he finished showering and was about to go out, he suddenly heard the door open. Gyu Rui panicked and immediately locked the bathroom door. Fuck, you dare to hit on my girlfriend? Get the hell out of here. A fierce male voice came out. If you don't have $10,000, I won't let you go. At the same time, there seemed to be many other people's voices. After being frightened for a moment, Gyu Rui immediately realized that he had been set up. Gyu Rui immediately took out his cell phone and called Wu Zhidao, but no one answered the call, so he called Su Luo. When Su Luo arrived, the police had already arrived and were mediating, but Su Luo looked at the situation and felt something was wrong. So Su Luo turned on the recording on her phone and walked over. Comrade police, what's the situation now? Su Luo asked. Who are you? Asked one of the policemen. I'm his friend. Su Luo pointed at Gyu Rui and said, your friend is suspected of raping a woman, but the woman doesn't want to pursue the matter anymore. She said that as long as he pays 20,000 yuan in compensation, the matter will be over, said the policeman. Gyu Rui was about to speak, but Su Luo grabbed his arm and signaled him not to speak. Seeing more and more people coming, Su Luo agreed and scanned the code to transfer 20,000 yuan. Okay, let's forget about it. Be more careful next time. The policeman preached to Su Luo and the other person. Pack up, the police spoke again. Su Luo took the dejected Gyu Rui out of the B&B. What's wrong? Are you so depressed now? Su Luo teased Gyu Rui with a smile. I feel so fucking stupid, Gyu Rui said as he started to cry. He was almost scared to death, and he became even more frightened when the police arrived. He didn't expect that the woman would accuse him of sexual assault. Su Luo didn't say anything, waiting quietly for Gyu Rui to calm down. Are you feeling better? Su Luo asked. Yeah, Gyu Rui nodded, but in a bad mood. Let's go, Su Luo said, walking towards the roadside, then stopped a taxi. Gyu Rui lowered his head and followed Su Luo into the car. Where to? Asked the driver. Police station, Su Luo said. Okay. Upon hearing this, Gyu Rui looked at Su Luo, who was sitting in the passenger seat in surprise. He was very confused. Didn't the police just come over? Not long after, Su Luo and Gyu Rui got off the car at the police station. I want to report a case. As soon as she entered the hall, Su Luo walked to the reception desk and spoke. What's wrong? Asked the police officer. My friend was set up and blackmailed. At the same time, I suspect someone is impersonating a police officer. Su Luo described the situation in an orderly manner. When the police heard the words Nanchang Police, his expression immediately became serious. Then Su Luo asked Gyu Rui to tell the police what happened. Then I reached out my hand, Gyu Rui described. Well, comrade, these things don't need to be so detailed, the police officer said awkwardly. Su Luo covered her forehead with her hands. This idiot was driving in front of the police. Was he scared silly? Finally, when Gyu Rui took out the alarm record on his mobile phone and found that the police station did not receive any call, he seemed to realize the seriousness of the matter. In the end, the police recorded Gyu Rui's statement and asked Gyu Rui to sign it. At the same time, they also saved Su Luo's transfer record. Finally, let the two of them leave. Lao Su, how do you know the police are fake? Also, if you know they are fake, why did you give them money? As soon as he left the police station, Gyu Rui asked curiously, if we don't give them money, neither of us will be able to leave today, Su Luo said unhappily. Then how do you know they are fake? Gyu Rui asked again. Just one thing. If you are really suspected of rape, do you think you can avoid being imprisoned for 2 days? Su Luo rolled her eyes and said, I was really scared. Chapter 211, All Experience. Su Luo brought the dejected Gyu Rui back to the lobby of Seaview Garden Hotel, and the two sat in the reception area. Brother, what's wrong with you? At this time, Wu Zhidao ran over and asked Gyu Rui. Just after leaving the police station, Su Luo called Wu Zhidao and the call finally went through. After briefly explaining what had happened, Wu Jitao rushed back immediately. Guo Rui lowered his head, stammering and not daring to speak. It was so damn embarrassing. Su Luo pulled Wu Jitao over, and the two of them whispered to each other. "Brother, if you want to just say it earlier." Wu Jitao suddenly realized and immediately looked at Guo Rui and spoke. "Oh my God, I haven't said anything yet. Didn't I say I would challenge his weak spot?" Guo Rui said, pretending to be tough. "Besides, you took a girl away." "Oh my God, he's a masseur." Wu Jitao slapped his forehead. Guo Rui looked at Wu Jitao in surprise. "Damn, that was so careless." "Puch, brother, you can do it." Wu Jitao looked at Guo Rui's reaction and gave him a thumbs up. "I feel like the earth is no longer suitable for me," Guo Ruisheng said with despair. "Old Guo, did you get the advantage?" Wu Jitao stood up and walked to Guo Rui, put his arm around his shoulders, winked, and asked in a low voice. "I did touch it." Guo Rui's old face turned red and he spoke. "Oh my God, what a feeling." Wu Jitao's eyes lit up. Su Luo looked at Guo Rui and Wu Jitao and felt relieved. She thought it shouldn't be a big problem. This kind of thing, Wu Jitao's way of comforting others, is quite novel. This should be the kind of worship-style comfort. "You two can chat. I'll go back first and call you to have dinner together later." Su Luo stood up and said to the two people. "Brother Su," Guo Rui said with an embarrassed look on his face. "Okay, don't worry, I won't tell." Su Luo walked over, patted Guo Rui on the shoulder and left. Seeing Su Luo leave, Wu Jitao pulled Guo Rui to continue chatting and even exclaimed in surprise. "I didn't expect that, old Guo. You could play so wildly." Finally, Wu Jitao said to Guo Rui with a wink. "Okay, let's stop this. Don't mention it again, it's too embarrassing." Guo Rui stood up, covered his face, turned around and walked towards the elevator. "This is all experience. I learned it. Awesome." Wu Jitao chased after him, put his hand on Guo Rui's shoulder and said with a smile. Su Luo returned to the room. Lu Maomeo heard the noise and walked out of Yi Xiaomu's bedroom. "Brother-in-law, you're back. What happened?" Lu Maomeo asked with concern. "It's nothing serious. It has been handled. Is your sister Xiaomu awake?" Su Luo asked. "Not yet." Lu Maomeo shook her head and said, "Okay, you go and have a rest. I'll rest on the sofa for a while and then we'll go out for dinner," Su Luo said with a smile as she sat on the sofa. "Okay, brother-in-law." Lu Maomeo nodded in agreement, then walked back to Yi Xiaomu's bedroom. At 6 o'clock in the evening, a group of people ordered a table of dishes in the private room of the Seaview Garden Hotel's restaurant, including some home-cooked dishes and seafood. The seafood was quite fresh, but Su Luo was not used to the taste of some of the seafood. The steamed ones made her teeth grit her teeth a bit when she ate them. Because it always feels not cooked, there is not even a bit of heat on the food. "Liu Liu, don't you like seafood?" Yi Xiaomu looked at Su Luo and asked with a smile. "Not really, it's just that I'm not used to eating something that looks a bit raw." Su Luo pointed at the fried squid with leeks in front of her and said with a bitter face, "Brother-in-law, you should dip this in ginger vinegar." Lu Maomeo said, picked up a piece of squid meat, dipped it in vinegar and swallowed it in one gulp, chewed it a few times and then swallowed it. Su Luo shuddered at the sight and quickly turned the squid aside. Yi Xiaomu didn't eat much seafood, mainly fish and shrimp. The other foods didn't taste good to her as she was pregnant. Brother-in-law, do you want to go to the beach tonight?" Lu Maomeo asked excitedly. TT keyword add data title equals beauty, data tag equals recommended products, data type equals 1, data value equals 1930/TT keyword add. You can only go to the beach when the tide is low. "Have you checked the tide table?" Su Luo asked curiously. I checked. The court retreat starts at 6 o'clock tonight, and it is recommended to start fishing at 8 o'clock. Lu Maomeo put her finger in her mouth and sucked it, then took out her cell phone and handed it to Su Luo. "Brother-in-law, look, there will be high tides today and tomorrow. We came at the right time." Lu Maomeo smiled and narrowed her eyes. "What do you say?" Su Luo looked at Guo Rui and the others opposite. "I'm fine with either. It depends on old Guo," Wu Jitao said casually, looking at Guo Rui. Guo Rui couldn't help but blush. This beach really had some unpleasant memories. "I can too. What about you, old four?" Guo Rui said calmly. After all, he couldn't stop others from playing just because of himself. "I can do it," Su Ziliang nodded. "Zyro Mu Hui, where are you two?" "But Zyro Mu, you can't go in the water even if you go. You can only sit on the beach. Hui, you have to accompany her." Su Luo looked at Yi Xiaomu and said, "I'm fine. Hui, let her go down and play. I'll be fine sitting by the sea and enjoying the breeze." Yi Xiaomu smiled, then touched Zhu Linhui's head next to her. When Yi Xiaomu woke up in the afternoon, she saw Zhu Linhui and Lu Maomeo accompanying her. Then the three of them chatted privately for a while. They already had a good relationship with Maomeo, and now Zhu Linhui joined them. I don't need to go to the sea, Sister Zairamu. I will accompany you then, Zhu Linhui said with a smile. Then seeing that Yi Zairamu was still trying to persuade her, she immediately added, Sister Zairamu, please don't try to persuade me. Really, my hometown is Lianyungang and I grew up by the sea. I'm not too curious about this. I'll just accompany you. Wait, Hui, what did you say? Where are you from? Su Luo looked at Zhu Linhui in surprise. I'm from Lianyungang, Zhu Linhui replied. Then you need to give more guidance, Maomeo. You accompany your sister Zairamu, and Hui will take us to the beach. Su Luo's face was filled with joy. If she didn't know how to go to the beach, she really wouldn't be able to get anything. Brother-in-law, Lu Maomeo's happy face drooped in an instant. Su Luo tried hard to suppress her laughter, and looked at Lu Maomeo with a stern face. Puch, Liu, are you childish? Yi Zairamu laughed out loud, complained to Su Luo, and then said, Just let Maomeo go and have fun. Do you really think you're here to buy goods? Going to the beach is just for fun. Go and have fun by yourself. Yi Zairamu said this, rolled her eyes at Su Luo, and touched Lu Maomeo's head at the same time. HMPH, Lululu. Lu Maomeo snorted at Su Luo and then stuck out her tongue a few times. I'll listen to you, wife. Su Luo looked at Yi Zairamu, who looked like she was protecting her child, and said helplessly. Chapter 212, Going to the Sea Catching Crabs and Fishing. The dinner was pretty good, but I wasn't quite used to the taste. After all, Su Luo and Yi Zairamu were born in the south, and they were somewhat not used to the northern cuisine. We still have some time, let's go buy some tools for night fishing. Su Luo glanced at the time, it was 7:30, and suggested. Then Su Luo took a few people out of the hotel and bought 2 buckets, a shovel for each person, and a flashlight for each person at a nearby store. Finally, we bought 2 folding chairs, and a pair of slippers and gloves for each person. Then Su Luo took a coat from the car. The sea breeze at the beach was quite strong at night. The coat was mainly used by Yi Zairamu to keep out the wind. After buying supplies for going to the beach, Su Luo and the others set off in a mighty group. In a few minutes, they arrived at Wanpingku Park. The tide had receded considerably, and the beach was lined with rows of floodlights. Many people were sitting on chairs and intents to enjoy the cool air. No one was swimming at this time because it was receding tide. Old Guo, you guys go first. Su Luo looked at the beach and saw that many people were picking up things, so she spoke to Guo Rui. Okay, call us when you have time. Guo Rui agreed and called Wu Zhitao and Su Ziliang. The 3 of them walked quickly towards the sea in their slippers. Su Luo took the folding chair she had bought and took Yi Zairamu to find a bright and open place. The folding chair was opened for Yi Zairamu to sit on. In the distance, there seemed to be a snack bar playing music. Listening to the content, it seemed to be Yi Zairamu's song again, and Su Luo smiled. Hui Maomeo, take good care of Zairamu, Su Luo said as she picked up the bucket and was about to leave. Brother-in-law, Lu Maomeo shouted, then glared at Su Luo and then looked at Yi Zairamu expectantly. Liu, just take Maomeo with you. Hui will be with me, Yi Zairamu said with a smile. Okay, Su Luo nodded with a smile. Hui, take good care of your sister Zairamu. Call me if you have any problems. Zairamu, call me if you have any problems. Su Luo looked at Yi Zairamu and reminded her seriously. Okay, you're so nagging, just go away. Yi Zairamu lay down slightly, then put on a mask and sunglasses. Zhu Linhui tried hard to suppress his laughter. This boss is also a henpecked husband. Maomeo is gone, Su Luo said, carrying the bucket and walking towards the sea in slippers. HMPH, my brother-in-law has turned bad and bullies people. Lu Maomeo quickly walked to Su Luo's side, snorted at him softly, and then pretended to be angry. After saying that, he stomped his feet and ran forward, leaving Su Luo with only his back. Su Luo had no choice but to speed up and catch up. Then with her free hand, she grabbed the back of Lu Maomeo's clothes. Lu Maomeo, who was caught, closed her eyes and silently said to herself, Brother-in-law, I was wrong. Maomeo, don't run around. I won't be able to find you later. Follow me. Su Luo gave serious instructions and didn't mind Lu Maomeo's complaining behavior. It was Su Luo who was teasing her first. TT keyword add data title equals beauty, data tag equals fine recommendations, data type equals 1, data value equals 1930, /TT keyword add going to the beach is a matter of luck. It is not like what is described in live broadcasts or short videos. Open the stone and you will find a big crab hiding inside. Open the stone again and you will find a big octopus. Dig up the sand and you will find a hermit crab hiding inside. The above are all unrealistic. The actual situation is that if you don't look carefully, you may even face the dilemma of carrying a bottle of sea water. At the seaside at night, there is endless darkness in the distance and thousands of lights behind it. The surroundings were filled with crowds of people, the cool sea breeze, the endless sound of waves, and the sound of the sea hitting the rocks. In such an environment, Yizairamu looked at the starry sky quietly. The round moon hung high in the night sky, and the sky was full of stars. "It's really beautiful here," Yizairamu exclaimed. "Yes, this place is much more beautiful than our place," Zhu Linhui exclaimed. "Because this is a tourist city, the scenery will naturally become better." Yizairamu smiled and explained. Yizairamu and Zhu Linhui chatted about the beautiful scenery and the night. On the other side, Su Luo kept her head down, searching in the direction of retreat. Brother-in-law, crab, crab." Lu Mio's excited voice came from not far away. Where? Su Luo immediately jumped over several stones and ran to Lu Mio, asking anxiously. "Here," Lu Mio pointed to a small hole and said seriously. Mio, is this why you are shouting about crabs so excitedly?" Su Luo leaned over and took a look. The crab was about the size of the little fingernail, which made Su Luo a little shocked. Isn't this a crab?" Lu Mio smiled foolishly. Su Luo reached out and tapped Lu Mio's forehead, speaking gently. "Don't take the small one anymore, find a bigger one, and don't run around." Su Luo spoke to comfort him. "No, I just like the small one," Lu Mio said, and took the bucket from Su Luo. Su Luo smiled and followed Lu Mio, not far behind, to prevent her from getting into trouble. The two walked all the way to the coastline, where there were fewer people because the sea breeze was getting stronger. Su Luo and Lu Mio began to search continuously. Every time the tide comes back, it will wash the sand's surface again, and there is a very small chance that large cargo from the sea will be pushed up. The two searched everywhere but found nothing. Then Su Luo suddenly exclaimed, Crab, Mio, come here quickly." This was what Su Luo saw when she turned over a stone. It was a big fat man. Su Luo's voice was a little excited, and she was holding the crab with her gloved hands, not daring to let go. After Lu Mio ran over, Su Luo grabbed the crab and threw it into the small bucket. Then Lu Mio lowered her head and started doing it again. Brother-in-law, Lu Mio called out again. Su Luo walked over and looked in the direction of Lu Mio's finger. The transparent sea water had the essence of human beings on the bottom. Brother-in-law looked carefully. Is there a stripe somewhere that is the same color as the sand? As Lu Mio spoke, she pointed to the location of the fish. Su Luo frowned. What was going on? Nothing. Just a moment later, a wave suddenly appeared in the water. This allowed Su Luo to see clearly that there was indeed a fish, seemingly lying on the sand. Su Luo slowly squatted down, and Lu Mio nervously pointed the light at the fish. Swoosh! Su Luo directly pressed down the fish, then stretched the sow to the lowest point, and a turbot that looked like a thin slice was caught by Su Luo. "Hurry up, brother-in-law!" Lu Mio excitedly held up the bucket and motioned Su Luo to put the fish in. Seeing Lu Mio's happy expression, Su Luo smiled and continued looking. "Haha, brother-in-law, look what I picked up!" Lu Mio shouted at Su Luo, holding a purple thing in her hand. Chapter 213, The Harvest of Sea Hunting. Su Luo looked over and found that it was actually a starfish. "That's great, Mio, you can pick this up," Su Luo praised with a smile. "Let me see if there are any more," Lu Mio said excitedly. "Okay, take your time looking for it. Don't run around. I'll let Zhu Linhui come over and play with you," Su Luo said. "Yeah," Lu Mio responded without raising her head. Su Luo smiled and suddenly saw a conch shell moving in front of her. I immediately bent down and picked it up. It was a hermit crab the size of a fingernail. Then Su Luo took the hermit crab and walked towards the shore. "Liu, why are you back?" Yizairamu asked. "Zhu Linhui, go find Lu Mio. I'll stay here with Zairamu," Su Luo said to Zhu Linhui beside her, with her hands behind her back. Zhu Linhui was puzzled. Didn't he just tell her not to go to the beach? What, go and play. What kid doesn't like to play? Go ahead, Su Luo said with a smile. Okay, he. Upon hearing this, Zhu Linhui excitedly ran towards Lu Mio. Look, Su Luo saw Lu Mio leave and placed the hermit crab in her hand in front of Yizairamu. Is this a conch? Su Luo pressed the exit of the hermit crab so Yizairamu couldn't see it. Under normal circumstances, hermit crabs will not crawl out of their shells. They will only crawl out and change shells when they grow up and their shells are no longer big enough. This is a hermit crab, Su Luo said, placing the hermit crab in Yi Zaiamu's hand. Then he saw the hermit crab quietly pop out its head and start crawling on Yi Zaiamu's hand. So cute, Yi Zaiamu said with a smile while stretching out her other hand and gently fiddling with it. Su Luo looked at Yi Zaiamu's little girl posture with fondness. Are you cold? Su Luo asked. It's not cold, it's quite cool, Yi Zaiamu, who was wearing a coat, said with a smile. Don't let the sea breeze blow for too long, it will make you darker, Su Luo reminded with a smile. I think my parents won't let me out soon, so I have to have more fun now. Yi Zaiamu stuck out her tongue and said playfully. You're going to be a mother soon, but you're still so naughty, Su Luo teased. What, do you dislike me? Yi Zaiamu pouted and said with a stern face. How could that be? From now on I will spoil you too, Su Luo said with a smile. Looking at the lovely Yi Zaiamu, the smile in Su Luo's eyes became more intense. Liu, can we go out early tomorrow to watch the sunrise? Yi Zaiamu looked up at the starry sky and spoke. Okay, Su Luo nodded in agreement. The two of them sat quietly on the beach, with the sound of the whistling sea breeze and the sounds of people playing around them in their ears. Sister Zaiamu, look what we got. At this time, Lu Maomeo ran over excitedly with a bucket of water, followed by Zhu Linhui. Bang! Lu Maomeo fell directly on the beach. Ha ha! Su Luo and Yi Zaiamu looked at each other and smiled, looking at Lu Maomeo, who was lying on the beach and protecting the bucket. The two laughed even harder, and Zhu Linhui helped Lu Maomeo up. Oh, who is this? They dug a hole here. Lu Maomeo stood up and looked back, only to find that a hole had been dug in a certain place. She reached out to brush off the sand on her body. Her pants were already wet and the sand couldn't be removed, so Lu Maomeo simply gave up. He quickly ran to Yi Zaiamu and placed the bucket in front of her. Sister Zaiamu, look quickly, Lu Maomeo said excitedly. Yi Zaiamu and Su Luo looked down and saw a small octopus crawling in the bucket. Wow, an octopus, Yi Zaiamu said excitedly. Su Luo was surprised. Could this thing really be caught by fishing at the beach? Hui found it, Lu Maomeo said happily. Hui, you're awesome. Yi Zaiamu gave Zhu Linhui a thumbs up. He, Zhu Linhui touched his head and smiled foolishly. Look at you, your face is covered with sand. Yi Zaiamu reached out and fiddled with Lu Maomeo's face a few times. It's the same pit just now. I don't know who dug it and they didn't bury it, Lu Maomeo complained with a pout. You were just busy running. Look at you, you're so excited. Yi Zaiamu reached out and tapped Lu Maomeo's forehead, scolding with a smile. I'm just anxious to show it to you, Lu Maomeo said embarrassedly. Just as Su Luo and the others were chatting, Gyu Rui and the others also came back, but the three of them seemed a little bored. Hey Lao Gyu, you're back. What did you come here for? Su Luo said with a smile. There's nothing here, just some small crabs and a few small fish, Gyu Rui said dejectedly. Can you do it? You are not as good as these two little girls. Maomeo, show them your results, Su Luo said to Lu Maomeo. Upon hearing this, Lu Maomeo placed the bucket in front of Gyu Rui and the other two. Oh my god, there's an octopus, a starfish, a hermit crab, a turbot, so many varieties. Wu Zhitao looked at the various seafood in the bucket and said in shock, Why do we only see crabs and small fish? Gyu Rui said puzzledly. The three people who went to the beach were almost doubting their lives and didn't see anything else. I can only say that you may not have eyesight. Look at what I caught. As Su Luo spoke, she took the hermit crab from Yi Zaiamu's hand and showed it to Gyu Rui and the others. So this is what a hermit crab is like? Wu Zhitao murmured. Oh, you are so useless, Su Luo said in a condescending tone, shaking his head at the same time, looking at those people as hopeless. Oh, the stuff in the sea is almost the same color as the sand, so we didn't notice it, Su Ziliang said with sudden realization. Well, you can say that we should learn from the lesson, Su Luo nodded seriously. Yi Zaiamu covered her mouth and smiled, looking at the childish Su Luo. How about we go back first, get up early tomorrow and watch the sunrise, Su Luo said when she saw that it was almost time. No, look, I want to sleep in, Wu Zhitao said immediately. Me too, Gyu Rui immediately agreed. Su Luo turned and looked at Su Ziliang. I'll sleep for a while too. Su Ziliang touched his nose and said, Maomeo Hui, where are you two? Su Luo looked at Lu Maomeo and Zhu Linhui and asked. We want to see it. The two nodded and said in unison. Okay, then we'll go back first and come back tomorrow morning, Su Luo said as she started packing up her things. 20 minutes later, Su Luo and Yi Zaiamu returned to the room. Before entering the bedroom, they reminded Lu Maomeo and Zhu Linhui to go out at 4:30 tomorrow morning. Then after entering the room, He took Yizayamu to the bathroom to wash up. Liu, you must use this, it's for whitening, Yizayamu said coquettishly in the bathroom. Okay, I'll use it, Su Luo replied with a smile. Chapter 214 Gyu Rui's Scheme. After washing up, Su Luo and Yizayamu lay on the bed, smelling fragrant. Honey, look, your belly is getting bigger and bigger, Yizayamu said with her head down and pouting. Wife, be good, that's our Zyexil growing up. Su Luo gently placed her hand on it. Look, she's touching me, Su Luo said in surprise as she felt the slight touch inside Yizayamu's abdomen. Little guy, why don't you go to bed now? Yizayamu said with a smile. That's because Mom and Dad haven't gone to bed yet. Honey, let's go to bed, Su Luo said with a smile. Okay, Yizayamu nodded, turned 90 degrees and faced Su Luo with his back. Su Luo lay on her side and hugged Yizayamu from behind. Wife, your rabbit seems to have really grown bigger. Su Luo scratched it and said in surprise. Oh, you're so annoying, let's go to bed, Yizayamu said shyly but did not peel Su Luo's hand away. Su Luo smiled, held the rabbit, and slowly closed her eyes. Feeling the steady breathing behind him, Yizayamu also closed his eyes. The next day, at 4 o'clock in the morning, Su Luo woke up, turned off the alarm on her cell phone, and looking at Yizayamu, who was still sleeping, Su Luo quietly got up and went into the bathroom. Not long after, Su Luo walked out and saw Yizayamu looking at him with her eyes open. Wife, you're awake, Su Luo smiled and said gently. Well, why didn't you call me? Yizayamu smiled and asked. I want you to sleep a little longer. Well, I'll get up now, Yizayamu said, stood up and walked into the bathroom. Su Luo called the front desk and made arrangements for 4 breakfasts. Then Su Luo stood next to the floor-to-ceiling window. It was still dark outside, and it was estimated that it would take another hour. After Yizayamu finished washing up, Su Luo took Yizayamu out of the bedroom. At this time, Lu Maomao and Zhu Linhui were already waiting in the living room. When did you get up? Didn't you sleep? Su Luo looked at the 2 girls in surprise and asked. We got up at 4 o'clock, Lu Maomao replied with a smile. Great, let's wait a moment, I just ordered breakfast. Su Luo gave a thumbs up. These 2 little girls were so energetic. In fact, Su Luo himself is also a young man. But if Yizayamu makes the slightest noise when sleeping at night, he will wake up, worried that she may need something. Ding dong, at this time the doorbell rang. Su Luo stood up and opened the door, and then a waiter came over pushing the dining table. There was a large table in the living room, and the waiter placed breakfast on the table. Enjoy your meal, the waiter said as he pushed the table out of the room. Look at the weather, we still have a while. Let's have breakfast before setting off, Su Luo said with a smile. Then the 4 of them sat around the table and started eating breakfast. It's delicious, Zhu Linhui's eyes lit up. Is this delicious? Lu Maomao looked at Zhu Linhui in surprise. Isn't this delicious? Zhu Linhui wondered. She looked at Lu Maomao and then at Yizayamu. It's not as delicious as my brother-in-law's cooking, Lu Maomao said with a silly smile, then looked at Su Luo. Brother-in-law, when can I eat the food you cook again? Lu Maomao said like a fool. Eat quickly, eating can't stop your mouth. Yizayamu stretched out his hand, gently hit Lu Maomao on the head and said, Woo, I just want to eat. Lu Maomao covered her head and said coquettishly, Puff, all right, when we get back, I'll ask your brother-in-law to make it for you. Yizayamu was amused by Lu Maomao's appearance and spoke. Okay, thank you, Sister Zairamu, Lu Maomao said excitedly, and then drank a big mouthful of porridge. Zhu Linhui was stunned. Su Luo, the boss, he could cook, and it was delicious. After the 4 of them finished their meal, it was still dark outside, so they walked towards the beach together. Su Luo was carrying a big bag on her back, which was the tent that the hotel had helped arrange. The 4 people came to the beach and found that many people had already set up tents. It seems obviously unrealistic to rely on Yizayamu and 3 others. Su Luo set up the tent quickly and skillfully, with the opening facing east, and then the 4 of them sat in a row. Su Luo sat at the very edge, next to Yizayamu, then Lu Maomao and Zhu Linhui. Soon the sky began to brighten. Liu, the sun is about to come out, Yizayamu said in a gentle voice. Suddenly a light appeared in the east, and then the sky began to change. The sunrise is so beautiful, Yizayamu exclaimed. The beauty of sunrise lies in rebirth, in creativity, in open-mindedness, and in the ability to reconcile. Su Luo looked at the sunrise and said with some sigh. The sun was moving every moment, and soon a full moon appeared above the ocean. It's so beautiful, it feels completely different from the sunrise on the mountain, Yizayamu said with some emotion. When it's convenient for you later, We can go to other places to watch the sunrise. Su Luo listened to Yi Zaiamu's words and held her hand closer. SHH, Yi Zaiamu pushed Su Luo away and nodded in the direction of Lu Miao and Zhu Linhui, the two light bulbs. Su Luo immediately understood that Yi Zaiamu was shy. After watching the sunrise, Su Luo took the three girls back to the hotel. Lu Miao and Zhu Linhui really got along well, chatting about everything from movies to TV and from TV to anime. The two of them chatted enthusiastically. Let's take a nap. Su Luo took Yi Zaiamu into the bedroom. Yeah, Yi Zaiamu nodded and agreed. Not long after, Su Luo brought Guo Rui to the police station. Old Su, am I okay? Guo Rui, who was called over by Su Luo, said timidly at the door. Okay, don't think too much. You are also a victim. Su Luo is worried that you can't make up for the loss. After Su Luo finished speaking, she patted Guo Rui's shoulder. Yes, Wu Zhitao and Su Ziliang were not here. For something like this, the fewer people who come, the better. Mr. Su, Mr. Guo, the fraud gang was arrested yesterday. The police officer spoke to Su Luo and Guo Rui. So my friend is fine now, right? Su Luo asked curiously. After some operations by the police, the money that Su Luo had transferred previously has been returned to Su Luo's account. It's okay. When you go out, you must be on guard against others, brother, the policeman said, patting Guo Rui on the shoulder. Luckily, the money wasn't transferred in advance. Plus, these guys have a criminal record with us. Otherwise, you'd at least be a PC, understand. Seeing that Guo Rui was feeling uncomfortable and wanted to leave, the police immediately reminded him again. If there is money transfer, it is easy to be identified as PC. And then without evidence, it is easy for the other party to falsely accuse Gong Suinu of adultery. Fortunately, the other party had a criminal record and was pretending to be a public official. Thank you, police uncle. Oh no, police brother, Guo Rui immediately said sincerely. Okay, go back. The police waved his hand. Chapter 215. Couples get along. If you have any questions, just ask. Be careful next time and don't daydream about good things, the policeman said casually with a smile. I understand, Guo Rui said and fled from the police station. Let's go back and rest for a while, then go out for a walk together in the evening. After leaving the police station, Su Luo glanced at Guo Rui and spoke. Sorry to trouble you, Guo Rui said in a hoarse voice. Okay, stop being so sentimental, Su Luo said, then stretched out her fist and hit Guo Rui lightly. The two returned to the hotel, and Su Luo stopped Guo Rui, who was hesitant to speak. Okay, I know what you want to say. Don't worry, I'll keep it a secret, Su Luo said with a smile and walked back to the room. Su Luo returned to the room and breathed a sigh of relief when she saw that Yi Zaiamu was still asleep. She hadn't told Yi Zaiamu this afternoon because she wanted to keep it a secret for Guo Rui. Well, I just didn't say it, I didn't lie. If Zaiamu asked, I would tell her, and if she didn't ask, I wouldn't tell her. This wouldn't be considered cheating or concealing anything. Su Luo comforted herself in her heart. Listening to the voice, it felt like Su Luo had returned, and Yi Zaiamu pretended to be still sleeping. This guy actually went out without telling her. He needs to be taught a lesson. Thinking of this, Yi Zaiamu slowly opened her eyes and saw Su Luo lying next to her, looking at her gently. Are you awake, wife? Su Luo said gently. HMPH, where did you go this afternoon? Seeing Su Luo acting as if nothing had happened, Yi Zaiamu couldn't help but ask. In her opinion, if two people have a problem, they just need to talk it out. And if they want to know something, they can just ask directly. If you really want to do something, go into a cold war, make the other person guess what you are thinking, and then ask them to understand you. It will really drain your emotions. She, Yi Zaiamu, had questions and wanted to ask them directly at this moment. Now you know I'm telling you, you have to promise me to keep it a secret. Su Luo sat up and let Yi Zaiamu lie in his arms. He began to slowly tell her the whole story. That's about it. He and I will go there this afternoon to settle this matter, Su Luo said and looked at Yi Zaiamu. Honey, I'm sorry I didn't tell you before. Okay, now that I know, I'm not so curious anymore. There's no need to apologize to me about this. After all, he's your roommate and friend. Both his intention and the way he handled it are good. You're not hiding anything from me. Yi Zaiamu raised his head, looked at Su Luo with an apologetic look on his face, reached out and touched his face and spoke seriously. Su Luo listened to Yi Zaiamu's affirmation of him, lowered his head, and gave Yi Zaiamu a deep kiss. Oh, okay, Liu, I'm hungry. After a while, Yi Zaiamu pushed Su Luo away and spoke. What do you want to eat? Su Luo asked with a smile. I heard there's a place called Dongyi Town nearby. It has lots of snacks. I want to go check it out. Yi Zaiamu looked at Su Luo expectantly. That place is probably crowded and could be dangerous. Su Luo wanted to refuse Yi Zaiamu's request. After all, Yi Zaiamu's current condition was obviously not suitable for going to a place with many small people in the space. I just want to eat some snacks. Yi Zaiamu pouted and muttered softly. Maybe you just want a snack, so it doesn't matter whether you go or not. Su Luo looked at Yi Zaiamu's aggrieved expression and asked with a smile. Yeah, I just heard that there are a lot of delicious food there and I want to try it. Yi Zaiamu nodded continuously and responded. TT keyword add data title equals beauty, data tag equals recommended products, data type equals 1, data value equals 1930/TT keyword add. Okay, let's get up first. Seeing this, Su Luo knew what was going on. She touched Yi Zaiamu's head, then got up and got out of bed. After notifying Gyu, Rui, and others separately, a group of 7 people soon appeared downstairs of the hotel. Tonight's plan is to tour Dongyi Town at night. Su Luo explained the arrangements, and then several people drove a business car to Dongyi Town as agreed. After arriving at the place, Gyu Rui, a good man, got off the car and left according to the established arrangements. Mio Mio and Hui just go shopping. If you find anything delicious, drinkable, or fun, just buy it and bring it back, okay? Su Luo looked at the excited Lu Mio Mio and Zhu Linhui and gave them instructions. Okay, brother-in-law, we got it. After Lu Mio Mio finished speaking, she pulled Zhu Linhui and ran towards the Dongyi Town. Liu Liu, you really trust them to buy it? After the 2 girls left, Yi Zaiamu looked at Su Luo and teased. Since she wanted to eat delicious food but couldn't go in, Su Luo had no choice but to resort to this last resort and let Lu Mio Mio and Zhu Linhui run errands. As for saying that there is no room for play between the 2 of them, regardless of whether they can play in actual conditions, these 2 people were originally there to serve Yi Zaiamu. Running errands and buying snacks are all normal work responsibilities. The 2 of them are indeed a bit playful, but it's more reliable to think about you. Listening to Yi Zaiamu's teasing, Su Luo replied somewhat awkwardly, but there was indeed no one available. What you said, Gyu, Rui, and the others, they are not very useful. Of course, Su Luo was mainly skeptical about the taste and choice of these 3 people. You quite trust them both, Yi Zaiamu said with a smile. Yeah, of course. After all, Mio Mio is the first person to call me brother-in-law. Su Luo raised her head and said proudly. Look how proud you are. It was actually just Mio Mio's polite words. Why did you take it seriously? Yi Zaiamu deliberately sabotaged him. I don't care. Who told her to call me brother-in-law? Su Luo pretended to be arrogant. Ha ha ha, hiccup hiccup. Yi Zaiamu was amused by Su Luo's smile and laughed like a goose. Do you have to be so funny? Yi Zaiamu patted Su Luo, who was sitting next to him, and said helplessly. Okay, I won't tease you anymore. Let's get ready to eat. Look, Mio Mio and the others are back. Su Luo stopped acting funny and pointed to the distance. She saw Lu Mio Mio and Zhu Linhui walking towards them carrying a lot of things. Su Luo opened the car door, and immediately, a wave of heat rushed into the car. Su Luo got out of the car and immediately closed the door. Brother-in-law, we bought a lot of delicious food, look. Lu Mio Mio and Zhu Linhui handed the packing tape and packaging box to Su Luo. Okay, thank you, Mio Mio. Thank you, Hui. How about you? Su Luo said this, looking at the 2 people who wanted to leave in confusion. We haven't finished our tour yet, there's still a lot to go. Lu Mio Mio said. Okay, then you guys go and be careful. Su Luo nodded and spoke to the 2 of them. Mio Mio, Hui, you must put your cell phones and other things away, okay? At this time, the car window opened, and Yi Zaiamu gave instructions to the 2 of them. I know, Sister Zaiamu, brother-in-law, we are not children anymore. Lu Mio Mio said with a smile, and at the same time winked at Yi Zaiamu. Chapter 216. Zhao Wei and Huang Ming are conspiring. Hui doesn't act like a child, but you may not. Looking at Lu Mio Mio's funny look, Yi Zaiamu pointed at Lu Mio Mio and scolded with a smile. After chatting for a while, Lu Mio Mio and Zhu Linhui left playfully. Su Luo got back into the car, carrying the takeout bags and boxes. I took a small table from the trunk and put the food on it. Yi Zaiamu took the lead and took a skewer of grilled pork belly and started eating. It's delicious, husband, Yi Zaiamu praised while eating. Su Luo smiled as she looked at Yi Zaiamu, whose mouth was full of oil, and looked at the food that Lu Mio Mio had packed. There are local special snacks such as grilled pork belly skewers, multi-grain pancakes, fruit powder, grilled squid, etc. Hubby, you eat too. Yi Zayamo said, handing the half-eaten grilled pork belly skewer to Su Luo. Okay, Su Luo took it and said with a smile. Although he couldn't get in, Yi Zayamo felt very satisfied looking at the photos sent by Lu Mayo Mio and the snacks sent from time to time. About 2 hours later, several people returned to the car and some returned to the Seaview Garden Hotel. Next, Su Luo said it was free time. Gyu, Rui, and the other two immediately picked up their sea hunting tools and prepared to go sea hunting again. They had caught some small crabs before, and the three of them were not satisfied. They had to catch something big tonight. After the three of them were ready, they went to the beach together. Su Luo and Yi Zayamo left the hotel and walked leisurely along the road holding hands. Lu Mayo Mio and Zhu Linhui seemed to be tired from shopping at night, so they took a shower and lay down on the bed. Su Luo and Yi Zayamo were walking casually, and soon they arrived at the local Yida Plaza. Su Luo and Yi Zayamo looked at each other, then walked in and bought some things. There were cosmetics bought for Tanya, some cigarettes and alcohol bought by Su's father and Yi's father, as well as skincare products bought by Sun Yun and Sun Tingting, etc. It was dark at night, and in a KTV, two middle-aged men were sitting together, drinking. I will never let Su Luo go. I have to find a way. I have nothing now. The two people who made the harsh remarks were Zhao Wei and Huang Ming, who were prosecuted and dismissed at the same time. We have to think of a way. It seems that Su Luo doesn't have any black material, Zhao Wei thought with a frown. These two people were not very familiar with Su Luo. Although Zhao Wei was the head of the Department of Economics and Management, who would have the time to investigate a student. This time, one of the two people was deliberately looking for trouble, and the other was taking advantage of the situation, but they ended up messing up. I lost my job, and my wife and children fell out over this. In just 2 days, it was like a nightmare. I think there is someone who can help us. Huang Ming thought about it and said hesitantly. Who? Zhao Wei asked curiously. Kai Kun, Huang Ming said. Who is Kai Kun? Zhao Wei wondered. He was the one who liked our Weibo post and then deleted it. He was also affected by this incident. I think he would definitely like to mess with Su Luo. There was a gleam of hatred in Huang Ming's eyes. In just 2 days, his wife wanted to divorce him. He was sued, and he will face a hefty fine. Who would stand for this? Is it that serious? Isn't it just fanning the flames online? If you think there is a problem, I can just delete the Weibo post and apologize. But you actually directly collected evidence and sued me. You are so ruthless that you don't give others any way outright. Then wait for revenge. Huang Ming and Zhao Wei also got to know each other because of this incident. Hit it off immediately, work in cahoots, sympathize with each other, stray dogs. Wait, the last word here kind of ruins the atmosphere. Delete. Delete. 2 dogs, oh no. 2 people met at a KTV and used their limited brains to discuss a plan to deal with Su Luo. Is it possible no one knows us? Zhao Wei said with some doubt. Don't worry, I have connections, Huang Ming said, patting his chest. Okay, let's do it, Zhao Wei agreed immediately. He had nothing now anyway, and as the saying goes, those who are barefoot are not afraid of those who wear shoes. Okay, brother, don't worry, this matter is over. We will make a comeback together. Huang Ming held the wine glass and spoke seriously to Zhao Wei. Okay. Although Zhao Wei didn't know what he could do in the future, looking at Huang Ming's mentality at the moment, he seemed very confident, so there would definitely be something to do. Don't worry, we 2 brothers are both wanderers in the world. Don't worry, there will be no problem following me. Huang Ming hugged Zhao Wei and patted his chest to assure him. Okay, brother Huang, I'll follow you. Zhao Wei was infected by Huang Ming's emotions and felt much better. Brother is in a good mood today. Come make arrangements, Huang Ming said, snapping his fingers at the waiter at the door. Not long after, a little girl sat next to each of them. Come on, let's have some fun. Huang Ming held the microphone and was shouting rather than singing. After Su Luo and Yi Zayamo bought the gifts, they put them in the trunk and returned to their room. After washing up, the two lay on the bed and talked for a while. Then, they fell asleep in each other's arms as before. At this time, Kai Kun was shirtless, covered in sweat, doing fitness and breathing heavily. His face flushed, and there was a hint of struggle on his face. It was obvious that he was trying to hold on. A few minutes later, Kai Kun let go of the dumbbells, breathing heavily. After relaxing for a while, he picked up the water next to him and drank it down in one gulp. Kai Kun's agent Li Man handed him a towel and then walked up to him. Can you please stop liking random posts in the future? The negative impact of your like this time hasn't been completely eliminated yet. I'm afraid that my luxury endorsement is going to fail. Sister man, just a like, how can the endorsement be cancelled? They didn't want to cooperate in the first place, right? Kai Kun looked at Li Man with some confusion and spoke. That may be the case, but other brands won't see it that way. They'll just think this incident has affected your popularity. What will happen, Kai Kun asked. People will re-evaluate your worth and use this incident to lower your price. Li Man said seriously. Okay, I understand. Kai Kun said, walked to the treadmill and started running. Can you please put your pants on? They're blinding me. Li Man looked at Kai Kun running, rolled her eyes and spoke. I'm at home, it doesn't matter, Sister Man. Please call someone for me later. Kai Kun was running and talking casually. I'm calling you, boss. You better pay attention. This incident isn't very popular online, but some haters have already noticed you. You can't let any information get leaked to you during this period. Li Man held the bear in her arms and looked at Kai Kun seriously as she gave him instructions. Chapter 217, A Bright Future. Then, Sister Man, Kai Kun looked at Li Man expectantly. Get lost, Li Man said with disdain, not to mention that Kai Kun seemed to have a lot of capital. In fact, he was just a coward. Li Man looked at him and felt quite satisfied, so she gave it a try. Unexpectedly, before she even felt anything, this guy was already finished. He was all good-looking but useless. Sister Man, I will definitely not let you down this time, Kai Kun said with a firm face. Are you kidding me? Li Man looked unconvinced. I promise, if you're not satisfied, I won't be able to get up from here again. Kai Kun recalled the blue pill in the bedroom and said firmly. Then, let's give it a try. Li Man looked at Kai Kun's determined look and felt a little moved. After hesitating for a moment, she agreed. Sister Man, please wait for me for a moment. I'm going to take a shower, Kai Kun said excitedly. He has had quite a bit of experience, but the one with Li Man has always been one he can't forget. It was the feeling of his soul taking off. At one point, he felt that Li Man was his soul mate. Thinking of this, Kai Kun walked into the bedroom, swallowed the pill with water, and then went into the bathroom. As for Li Man, there was a trace of throbbing on her face. She had been divorced for 3 years, and she had always asked the artist she managed to solve her needs in this regard. But the reality is that no one can satisfy her, and it usually takes a few minutes. She remembers that she is very famous. What is her name? About half an hour later, Kai Kun came out wrapped in a bath towel and saw Li Man standing on the balcony. He quietly walked over and hugged her from behind. Sister Man? A magnetic voice sounded in Li Man's ears, with a hint of warmth, making the atmosphere immediately become charming. Wait, draw the curtains. Li Man stretched out her hand, blocked Kai Kun's mouth, and spoke. This is the top floor, no one will see it. Kai Kun said anxiously, his hands already groping impatiently. Li Man also began to breathe heavily, but still struggled to break free from Kai Kun. Let's go to the room. I don't want to be on the hot search tomorrow, Li Man said, twisting her legs and walking towards the bedroom. As soon as he entered the door, he was hugged by Kai Kun, and then the two of them started fighting. 10,000 words are omitted here. The next day, Sister Man, how did you feel yesterday? Kai Kun asked proudly as he watched Li Man wake up. Have you taken medicine, you beast? Li Man gritted her teeth. How is that possible? I, Kai Kun, have been doing good deeds all my life, so why should I take medicine? Kai Kun said with a smile, holding his waist. I don't believe it. Li Man felt that Kai Kun seemed like a different person yesterday. The speed of a cheetah and the powerful explosive power made Li Man feel for the first time the charm of a boy who loves sports. In the end, Li Man drank 2 bottles of mineral water in a row before she recovered. She was so exhausted that she fell asleep. Let's do it again. Kai Kun turned over and said with a wicked smile. The other side, Su Luo and Yi Xiaomu woke up. The group had breakfast at the hotel and drove to Golden Beach. The court had not yet begun to retreat. Su Luo and a few others were playing on the beach. Lu Miaomeo and Zhu Linhui took cameras and took pictures of Su Luo and the others. In Yi Xiaomu's camera, there is always only Su Luo. Looking at Su Luo, who is smiling like a fool, Yi Xiaomu tidied up her hair that was messed up by the wind and raised the corners of her mouth. Second brother, look at my 18 dragon-subduing palms. Wu Zhitao bent down, scooped up some water, and sprinkled it towards Guo Rui. You can call me the second brother, but don't call me the second brother. Damn it, look at my Guo-style kick. Guo Rui raised his foot and swept it across, stirring up a wave. Su Luo and the other 2 were hit by the splash. The cold water made Su Luo shiver. Come on, look at my 18 forms of Wing Chun. Su Luo raised her hands quickly, splashing water. In just a short while, Guo Rui was soaked all over. He decided to give up and started sweeping the water using his hands and feet. Even Su Ziliang joined the battle with a smile, and the 4 of them were in a mess. Finally, Su Luo, who was soaked all over, ran up and hid beside Yi Zai'amu. Wu Zhitao and Su Ziliang each lifted Guo Rui's head, while the other lifted his feet. After shaking a few times, they threw Guo Rui directly into the water. Finally, the four wet people stood together and took a group photo. Then several people took a car back to the hotel and changed into comfortable clothes. Lu Mio drove Guo Rui and the other two to the high-speed rail station. They were all going back to their hometowns. Su Luo accompanied Guo Rui and the other two to the station entrance, but Yi Zai'amu and the other two did not get off the bus. "Fuck, second brother, are you crying?" Wu Zhitao looked at Guo Rui in surprise. "Don't fucking call me second brother, call me second brother. I just feel that after this separation, I don't know when we will meet again," Guo Rui said in a low voice. The atmosphere among the four people suddenly became heavy, and the emotion of parting finally broke out at this moment. Having shared a bed and dormitory for 4 years, with no utilitarian purpose in their friendship, at this moment, none of them could bear to part. "Let's keep in touch in the future," Su Ziliang said seriously. "Let's keep in touch in the future." Wu Zhitao patted Guo Rui's shoulder and said seriously. "I'm in Shanghai, always here, just a phone call away." Su Luo patted Guo Rui's shoulder and said seriously. "I can only say that Guo Rui really put his heart into it. Although he acts like a silly guy all day long, he is delicate and emotional. All good things must come to an end. Guo Rui, Wu Zhitao, Su Ziliang, I Su Luo will accompany you here. I wish you a bright future." "The future is bright and promising." Guo Rui and the other two repeated it solemnly, and the four of them hugged each other. "Be careful." Su Luo waved to the three people entering the station. Guo Rui and the other two backed away, waved to Su Luo, then turned and walked into the waiting hall. Su Luo also turned around and walked towards the parking lot. The farewell between the men was done with a pretense of ease and carefreeness, but their hearts were heavy. "Let's go home," Su Luo said after getting in the car. "Okay, brother-in-law, please fasten your seat belt," Lu Mio reminded from the driver's seat. "There were 7 of us when we came and only 4 when we left. It was really sad." Yi Zai'amu didn't say anything, but just reached out, held Su Luo's hand and squeezed it hard. "Zai'amu, I'm fine, don't worry. I just feel a little uncomfortable suddenly," Su Luo said with a smile. "Well, I've been there too, but true friends never lose their bond." Yi Zai'amu looked at Su Luo seriously and comforted her. "Yes, transportation is so convenient now. I will see you often in the future." Su Nuo nodded, and the sadness of parting quietly disappeared. Chapter 218, Special Physique. Yi Zai'amu didn't say some things. The friendship between classmates is indeed the purest emotion. But as time goes by, everyone's living environment and some other factors will cause everyone to change. Some people have become materialistic, while others have been smoothed out and become more rounded. The original pure friendship between classmates will also change. There may be showing off, comparison, and of course inferiority. Yi Zai'amu didn't say these things, but Su Luo actually knew them all. It's just that some things are too realistic to say out loud. At this time, Kai Kun, who had completed his pre-war preparations, and Li Man, who was ready to go, were preparing to rush to the front line. Ding-ling-ling, Li Man's cell phone rang. Li Man immediately stopped Kai Kun and answered the phone. "Hello? Excuse me, are you Mr. Kai Kun's agent?" A middle-aged man's voice came from the other end of the phone. "Yes, may I ask who you are?" Li Man reached out and patted Kai Kun, who was still making trouble, and asked. "I'm Huang Ming from the Writers' Association," Huang Ming said with a smile. "Mr. Huang, what's the matter?" Li Man rolled her eyes. "Isn't this one of the 2 people who attacked Yi Zai'amu?" Kai Kun looked at Li Man, who was rolling her eyes, and felt excited. He turned around and moved closer to Li Man. Li Man naturally saw Kai Kun's actions, smiled, and did not stop him. "We just want to cooperate with Kai Kun," Huang Ming said directly. "Oh, how do we cooperate?" Li Man closed her eyes with an interested expression on her face. "Deal with Su Luo and Yi Zai'amu," Huang Ming said sternly. "Mr. Huang, are you kidding me? If you want to deal with those 2, just go ahead and deal with them. Why are you looking for our Kai Kun?" Li Man bent her legs slightly and spoke casually. "Kai Kun and Su Luo are competitors. After all, there are only so many fans who love looks," Huang Ming said confidently. "Mr. Huang, I think you've made a mistake. First of all, there's no competition between Kai Kun and Su Luo, let alone any conflict. You've come to the wrong people. Is there anything else? If not, I'm hanging up." Li Man felt it was coming and said impatiently. "Wait, the Golden Melody Awards are about to begin. A friend of mine is a judge, and I can guarantee that Kai Kun will win the Best Male Singer award. When Huang Ming saw Li Man wanted to hang up the phone, he immediately said anxiously that this was his last trump card. Puche, Li Man immediately laughed out loud. Huang Ming is really good at bragging. He even used the title of Best Male Singer to fool people. Li Man felt like she needed to download an anti-fraud app. Mr. Huang, why don't you go find someone else? After saying that, Li Man patted Kai Kun's head and waved upwards. Kai Kun understood what Li Man meant, sat up, and started exercising to maintain his figure. Huang Ming was suddenly speechless. Didn't he like the post on Weibo before? Why didn't he show any interest now? He never thought that he and Zhao Wei had nothing now and no profit motivation. So who would cooperate with them? Seeing that the other party didn't say anything, Li Man hung up the phone directly. Kai Kun held Li Man's 2 pet rabbits in his hands. The 2 rabbits in Kai Kun's hands changed their shapes as he exerted force. At this time, Li Man no longer had the mind to think about Su Luo. As for Kai Kun, although he was rebellious as a young man, he would definitely listen to Li Man's words. Therefore, although Kai Kun only heard some of the phone call just now, it is up to Li Man to make the entire decision. Hurry, Li Man shouted anxiously. The 2 people gradually showed anxious expressions on their faces. After a while, Kai Kun stopped exercising, panting, with some sweat on his abdomen. TT keyword add data title equals beauty, data tag equals recommended products, data type equals 1, data value equals 1930, /TT keyword add Li Man was a little excited, her face flushed. Sister Man, how do you feel? Kai Kun asked after calming down. You've passed, but don't eat that thing in the future. Li Man stretched out her hands and said lazily. I really didn't eat it, Kai Kun said awkwardly like a dead duck. Okay, you know whether you have eaten it or not, Li Man said casually, waving her hand. Then, Sister Man, can you be with me? Kai Kun looked at Li Man cautiously. Don't you know that idols can't fall in love? It's normal for a kid like Kai Kun to be dependent on her. After all, she has a special physique, a pomegranate body. But Kai Kun was about to say, okay, remember Su Luo, don't do anything behind Yi Zairamu, okay? Li Man looked at Kai Kun seriously and spoke. What's wrong, Sister Man? Kai Kun asked in confusion. In short, don't do anything, Li Man reminded again. She had done some brief research on Su Luo. He had been hacked several times, and he had always clarified things with lightning speed, and also directly reported to the police or filed a lawsuit with a lawyer's letter. At the same time, those who had targeted Yi Zairamu were also arrested. In this situation, how could she agree to deal with Su Luo? At the same time, she was worried that Su Luo would target Kai Kun. Judging from Kai Kun's previous behavior, even if he didn't go to jail, he would definitely be labeled an unethical artist. Okay, Sister Man, I'll listen to you, Kai Kun said seriously. Looking at the little puppy in front of her, Li Man smiled. This is probably how a rich woman feels. On the other side, Huang Ming, whose phone was hung up, looked angry. What should we do now? Zhao Wei, seeing Huang Ming's mood, naturally knew that the plan had failed. Fuck, I just can't swallow this. Let's stop at the service area, Mio Mio. I'll drive in a while. Su Luo looked at Lu Mio Mio, who was constantly touching her head, and guessed that she was tired, so she spoke. Brother-in-law, it's okay, I'm not tired, Lu Mio Mio said with a smile. Okay, if you're not tired, then let's stop at the service area. I want to drive, Su Luo said with a smile. Mio Mio, just let your brother-in-law drive the car. He's the only man among the 4 of us. Yi Zairamu looked at Su Luo with a smile on his face. Ding-ling-ling. At this time, Yi Zairamu's phone rang. Hello, Sister Ya. Yi Zairamu answered the phone. Xiaomu, when will you come back? Tanya asked. I'm already on my way back. I expect to be home around 4 in the afternoon. Okay, let's come to the company first. Zhu Qing and Jiang Yu are back. You are my pride. We are ready to start filming, Tanya said. Really? Okay, let's go directly to the company this afternoon, Yi Zairamu said happily. After hanging up the phone, Yi Zairamu told Su Luo about the situation. From the looks of it, Zhu Qing and Jiang Yu are going to be the male and female protagonists, Su Luo said, holding the steering wheel. Chapter 219, Zairamu Annual Development Plan. After several hours' journey at 4:30 in the afternoon, the business car stopped in front of Zairamu Entertainment. Su Luo brought Yi Zairamu, followed by Lu Mio Mio and Zhu Linhui, and the 4 of them walked into the conference room. At this time, Tanya and Lu Jun were already inside. When they saw several people appear, after some greetings, they began to discuss the next plan. At this time, Su Luo was sitting in the main seat, and on the left sat Yi Xiaomu, Lu Miaomio, and Zhu Linhui. On the right, sitting in order, were Tanya, Lu Jun, and Tanya's assistant, Jiang He. Sister Ye, tell me about the company's next plan. Su Luo looked at Tanya on her right and spoke. Boss Su, this year our company has two major projects. For the first project, You Are My Pride. The crew has completed preparations and is ready to start filming at any time. The estimated filming time is 3 months. For the second project, The Legend of Zhu Xian has already completed filming, the lead actor has been confirmed, and the crew is preparing. It is expected to be completed within 4 months. Casting will begin in November, and filming is scheduled to begin in December. The estimated filming time is 6 months. Finally, we have tentatively decided on a project for next year, The Long Night Without Embers, which is currently in the project establishment stage. The project currently in operation is Go Trainee, which currently generates revenue of 140 million yuan, and the revenue is still growing. According to the assessment, the final profit could reach 300 million yuan, and after deducting taxes, the final profit would be over 200 million yuan. After Tanya finished speaking, she looked at Su Luo, waiting for the next instruction. Su Luo raised her hand and placed it on the conference table, tapping her fingers lightly. This plan was approved by Tanya, the president. Normally, Su Luo should not object. After all, when Tanya was appointed as president from the beginning, the intention was to delegate power. Boss Su, if you have any ideas, just tell me directly. It's okay. When Tanya saw Su Luo's expression, she guessed what he was thinking. She knew that Su Luo did not doubt her ability, and she did not feel uncomfortable. Sister Ye, I'm just making a suggestion. It doesn't involve any major interests. The final decision-making power still lies with you. Su Luo withdrew her hand, placed it on the armrest, and spoke seriously. Regarding You Are My Pride, I suggest speeding up the project, and while ensuring quality, allowing it to premiere during the National Day holiday. This way, we can recover the funds as quickly as possible and invest them in the Zhu Xian Legend project. After saying that, Su Luo took out a USB flash drive from her pocket and handed it to Tanya. These are the songs I prepared recently. There are songs in Bangla and some in Mandarin. I'll leave these to you. Pei Enju and some talented trainees can arrange singles. Xiaomu Entertainment currently has its own artist training process. The current official artists are Zhu Qing, Pei Enju, and if Su Luo and Yi Xiaomu are also counted, there are only 4 of them. If Jiang Yu is included, he is just a newcomer and an older one at that. Okay, I'll arrange it. Tanya nodded and took Su Luo's USB flash drive. As for Zhu Xian's Yuan, Su Luo did not have many opinions. After all, it was already very fast. The only thing mentioned was the publicity. Xiangong Novel Network, Zhu Xian's Yuan is about to be completed. You can start promoting it when it is completed, so as to increase the popularity of Zhu Xian's Yuan to the highest level. Next, several people implemented the project. Cheer up in the early days, take out 100 million from the trainees' share, and invest it in You Are My Pride. The leading actors have been confirmed. The male lead is Xiao Shui, played by Jiang Yu. The female lead is Xiaomai, played by Zhu Qing, and Lu Jun is the chief director. The heroine's agent and assistant are played by Tanya and Lu Miaomio, who play themselves without any pressure. Song Jinan, who has been eliminated from the trainee program, also played the best assist, Pepe. The planned shooting time was 3 months, which was compressed to 2 months. The remaining month was used for editing and review with the goal of premiering in early October. Bae Yoon-ju's mission this year is to complete the recording of Come On and Trainee, and then release an album containing 5 songs in Korean and 5 songs in Mandarin. As for other trainees, we will wait for the year-end assessment and then select the best ones to invest resources in. By the way, Brother Kao approached me a while ago about planning a new variety show. I'll include this in this year's plan. I'll consider the details after I talk to them. At the end of the meeting, Su Luo suddenly spoke up and said that Deng Kao had mentioned it before and he agreed, but the specific details had not been discussed yet. Does anyone have any questions? Su Luo said, looked at everyone and asked. Boss Su, we currently have approximately 120 employees and 16 trainees in the entire Xiaomu company. Excluding you and Xiaomu, there are 3 official artists. The problem we are facing now is that if we continue to grow, our company will run out of space, Tanya said. They didn't expect that the company would develop so smoothly and quickly. The fundamental reason is that he got the investment from the trainees. Otherwise, Xiaomu would have to wait a long time if he wanted to do a project. How much funds does the company have available at the moment? Su Luo looked at Tanya and asked. According to the report from the finance department, we currently have 40 million in working capital, Tanya said. Come on, how long do you think it will take to recover all the profits from the trainees? Su Luo asked. The next payment will be on October 7th. Tanya opened the financial document on the notebook in front of her and took a look. Stop recruiting for now. After the next payment arrives, we need to consider the construction of the headquarters, Su Luo said. Mr. Su, what do you mean? Tanya looked at Su Luo in surprise. Yes, we will just buy the land. I believe that after the 2 projects are completed this year, we will have sufficient funds to build our own headquarters. Su Luo nodded and spoke seriously. Mr. Su, our project next year may be affected by funding, Tanya said hesitantly. Don't worry, there will be no shortage of resources. After the 2 projects are completed, Zhu Qing and Jiang Yu's value will definitely skyrocket, and we will also have some funds for endorsements. Xiaomu Entertainment does not invest as much in resources as other companies. It has no shortage of scripts and songs. Okay, then I will start looking for land next. Will I still choose Shanghai? The land here is not cheap, Tanya said. Well, let's do it here. Although the cost is relatively high, the publicity effect brought by the Magic City will be of great help to the future development of our company. Su Luo nodded and said affirmatively that the effect of building a headquarters in a first-tier city is different from that in a small city. Chapter 220 News about Wuchen. Finding a third-tier city to build the headquarters would reduce costs a lot. But in this case, whether it is recruiting talents or attracting business in the future, it would be much worse than Shanghai. Since we are going to do it, we should do it in one step so that we don't have to worry about relocating the company later. After a few people finished chatting, Tanya arranged dinner and invited Jiang Yu, Zhu Qing, and Song Jinan. In the restaurant, Teacher Su, Teacher Yi. As soon as Song Jinan came in, he saw Su Luo and Yi Xiaomu and came over to greet them obediently. Luo, Jiang Yu also greeted with a smile. Brother Jiang, Su Luo and Jiang Yu hugged each other. Ding Lei is still filming outside, and this private room today is occupied by the core staff of Xiaomu Entertainment. Su Luo was not familiar with the financial director, human resources manager, and other senior executives of the company, and they nodded to each other as a greeting. Yi Xiaomu sat on Su Luo's left. Tanya was supposed to sit on Su Luo's right, but Su Luo refused and let Jiang Yu sit over. Zhu Qing, who was originally going to sit next to Yi Xiaomu, was asked by Jiang Yu to sit next to him. Under Yi Xiaomu's strange gaze, Zhu Qing blushed, lowered his head, and did not explain anything. After spending so much time together, the relationship between the 2 people is just one layer of window paper away. There's no seating requirement. Just eat casually today, don't think too much about it. Then I don't have much to say, just work hard and come and eat, Su Luo said casually. Everyone start eating. Su Luo didn't care about identity or seating requirements. The reason she pulled Jiang Yu over to sit was mainly because they hadn't seen each other for a long time and they had something to talk about. Brother Jiang, has Wu Chen contacted you recently? Su Luo asked. No, I can't get through to him on the phone, Jiang Yu said with a frown. I felt like something had happened to him, so I called his parents. They said he was on a mission, but something didn't sound right from his voice. Su Luo frowned and spoke seriously. Listening to Su Luo's words, Jiang Yu fell into deep thought. His family sold toilets. Although he had some assets, he didn't have many connections. I think we should investigate. Your family should have some connections in the military. You can try to find out. Jiang Yu thought about it for a while, but had no idea, so he spoke. It's mainly because we haven't been in touch for a long time before, but this time I just feel like something is wrong. The people around looked at Su Luo and Jiang Yu with serious expressions, as if they were discussing something serious, so no one went up to toast them. That kid Wu Chen is so smart, I guess he's fine. Let's check him out first. Jiang Yu patted Su Luo's shoulder and said with a smile. His current identity is an artist of Xiaomu Entertainment, but he does not regard Su Luo as his boss. After all, the 2 have had a good relationship since childhood. Jiang Yu's family is well off. Although selling toilets sounds funny, his actual assets are not so funny. The fact that 3 people can play together and have a relationship like brothers cannot be achieved just by having similar interests. Similar 3 views and compatible character are indispensable, and the 3 views are cultivated in a certain growth environment. If the family backgrounds are not similar, there may be a big difference in values alone. It's not that 2 people from different family backgrounds can't become friends or brothers. It's just that it's relatively difficult. TT keyword add data title equals beauty. Data tag equals fine recommendations. Data type equals 1. Data value equals 1930. Slash TT keyword add as for the relationship between Su Luo, Wu Chen, and Jiang Yu. Their attitude towards each other will not change just because of who works for whom. The reason why Jiang Yu joined Xia Amu Entertainment was not for Su Luo, so don't be so self-indulgent. Well, I'll go back to my dad and ask him. Su Luo nodded and spoke. Jiang Yu nodded with a teachable expression. Fuck, what's that look in your eyes? Su Luo looked at Jiang Yu and gave him the middle finger. I doubt your intelligence. If you knew there was a problem, why didn't you ask your father earlier? Jiang Yu ignored Su Luo's middle finger and spoke casually. He's a grown man and we haven't been in touch for over a month. Isn't that normal? Su Luo rolled her eyes. You, on the other hand, are very abnormal. It's normal for me not to check. How could you not have thought of this? Have you been reduced in intelligence? Su Luo looked at Jiang Yu with suspicion, and at the same time looked at Zhu Qing beside him. Cough, Jiang Yu coughed awkwardly. He admitted that his mind had been a little distracted recently. How is it? Did you get it? Su Luo leaned towards Jiang Yu and asked in a low voice. Let's not talk about this. Let's eat quickly and go back after we finish eating. Jiang Yu sat up straight and quickened the pace of eating. Su Luo smiled. It seemed that she, the wingman, had to take off. It's decided that it's yours, you are my pride. The first scene is a kissing scene. Su Luo, who had thought it over carefully, chuckled secretly. Liu Liu, what are you laughing at? Yi Zai almost stretched out his finger and poked Su Luo's waist. I'm planning to ask director Lu to arrange a kissing scene for the first scene after filming starts. Su Luo leaned close to Yi Zaiamu's ear and whispered softly. Yi Zaiamu listened to Su Luo's words, secretly glanced at Zhu Qing, and then followed Su Luo in laughing. This caused everyone to look at Su Luo and his wife curiously. I thought of something happy. Su Luo grinned and began to explain. Ha ha ha. Yi Zaiamu held Su Luo's arm and laughed out loud, which made everyone even more confused. Hey, I just won't say anything, I'm just playing. After dinner, Lu Miao drove Su Luo to Jingxiu Community. The two returned to Yi Zaiamu's room. After washing up, Su Luo first went to find Su Siyuan and told him about Wu Chen. Su Siyuan immediately contacted the military representative and asked him to find out. Only then did I know that more than a month ago, a virus crisis broke out in the Jinling military region, and dozens of people were said to have died. The few survivors all have sequelae of varying degrees, and are now receiving isolation treatment in the military hospital. As for the specific list of survivors, he couldn't find it, but Su Luo was sure that Wu Chen should be fine. If something happened, his family should have received the information instead of the current mission execution notification. Perhaps Wu Chen's parents already knew the actual situation, so they were in a heavy mood. Under the current circumstances, Su Luo has no way to contact Wu Chen, so Jiang Yu can only think of a solution. After telling Jiang Yu the situation, Su Luo returned to the room. Liu Liu, what's wrong? Yi Zaiamu saw Su Luo come in, put down his phone, and asked with concern. It's okay, I just want to talk to my dad about something. Su Luo lay down on the bed, put her arm around Yi Zaiamu, and said with a smile. Then you have something to tell me, okay? Yi Zaiamu reached out and touched Su Luo's face and said softly. Chapter 221, Daily Life of Couple. Yes, I will. Su Luo nodded and said seriously. Yi Zaiamu's belly has begun to show its size. She usually sleeps on her left side, so Su Luo always sleeps behind Yi Zaiamu at night. Try to avoid touching Yi Zaiamu as much as possible. The two of them are newlyweds, and fortunately they are both relatively restrained people. Otherwise, if they get too excited, something will happen. The two of them understand each other in this regard, and they are basically inseparable. Even if Su Luo goes out alone to record a program, they will video chat at night. Trust is built on the premise that two people give each other enough sense of security. In this regard, Su Luo and Yi Zaiamu both did it to each other's satisfaction. Since the last time the two of them were intimate, they have basically been living outside. Maybe it's because of some mysophobia, and they themselves are not willing to be too intimate outside, which makes them restrained. But tonight, the two of them came back to stay, and Yi's father and mother went to bed early. Su Luo also drank a little bit of wine, which made him feel a little excited as he was pressed against Yi Zaiamu from behind. I couldn't help but reach out my hand and gently grabbed a rabbit from bottom to top. Feeling the heat from Su Luo's breath and his warm palms, Yi Zaiamu couldn't help but feel moved. He reached out and placed his hand on Su Luo's palm, exerting a little force and moving it towards his rabbit. Ah, the numbing feeling made Yizayamu let out a subconscious cry. Wife, is it okay? Suluo's low voice sounded in Yizayaramu's ears. Yizayaramu's voice was barely audible. Mandarin ducks dance with their necks intertwined, and the emerald love cage is full of love. The eyebrows are shyly gathered, and the lips are red and warm. The air is fresh and the fragrance of orchid buds is fresh. The skin is smooth and plump. She moves her wrist lazily and weakly, and bows delicately. 10,000 words are omitted here. A cautious battle ended in warmth. Yizayamu let Suluo take her into the bathroom with a sweet smile. Suluo threw the debris into the toilet and pressed the flush button at the same time. Then the two of them washed up, lay back on the bed, and fell asleep with a look of satisfaction. The next day, Suluo woke up early in the morning, refreshed. Seeing that Yizayaramu was still sleeping, he gently got up from the bed and walked into the bathroom. After washing up, changing clothes, and walking out of the bedroom, Dad, Mom, Suluo saw that Mr. and Mrs. Yi were still eating breakfast and greeted them with a smile. Zio Luo, come and have breakfast. Sun Tingting greeted her with a smile, then got up and went to the kitchen to get a bowl of porridge and brought it out. Thank you, Mom, Suluo said, took the bowl and sat next to Yi's father. Zio Luo, do you want to go out next? Yi Zhenhua asked. I won't be going out of town for the time being. I've written a script and filming is starting in the next 2 days. I need to go check out the crew. Suluo said to Yi Zhenhua while eating breakfast. Your mom and I will be on vacation after finishing our classes today. You can go back to work without worry. Your mom and I will take care of Zayaramu. Yi Zhenhua looked calm, and his words carried a hint of unquestionable meaning. Okay, thank you for your hard work, Mom and Dad. Suluo stood up, not quite agreeing with this, because Yizayaramu probably didn't want to do it. TT keyword add data title equals beauty, data tag equals recommended products, data type equals 1, data value equals 1930 / TT keyword add however. He is a son-in-law, not a son. If he were a son, he could ask for permission to not be taken care of by his parents. He is the son-in-law, so he cannot say this. It would be fine if his parents-in-law don't mind, but if it really makes them think too much, it will be too complicated. Just the idea of taking care of my daughter can lead to many problems if my son-in-law disagrees. For example, whether the father-in-law and mother-in-law are worried about each other, or whether the father-in-law and mother-in-law are dissatisfied with the son-in-law, and so on. This is not Suluo's mean-spirited intention, but a precautionary measure. No matter when, even if she feels bad for her parents-in-law, she still treats her son-in-law as her own son. As a son-in-law, you can't take it seriously. If you take it seriously, you would be ignorant. After all, being rude in front of one's parents will have a completely different effect than saying the same thing in front of one's parents-in-law. The same applies to a daughter-in-law in front of her parents-in-law. In this way, Suluo finished her breakfast under the various instructions of Yi's father and mother. Mom and Dad, you guys go to school, I'll clean up here. Seeing that Mr. and Mrs. Yi had finished their breakfast and were waiting for him, Suluo spoke. After you finish eating, I'll wash, Sun Tingting said softly. It's okay, Mom. You and Dad go to school. Drive slowly. I'll finish eating and clean up in a while, Suluo advised again. Okay, Xiaoluo, your dad and I will leave first. After Sun Tingting said this, she walked out of the room with Yi Zhenhua. After Suluo finished breakfast, she washed the dishes and put them in order. Then he walked back to the room and saw that Yizayaramu had woken up. He smiled at her. Honey, you're awake. Are you hungry? Do you want some porridge? Mom cooked it this morning. Suluo quickly walked to Yizayaramu's bed and asked, I'm hungry. I want to eat buns. Yizayaramu pulled the quilt with both hands to her shoulders and looked at Suluo with blinking eyes. I'll go buy it. Can you wash up first? Suluo reached out and touched Yizayaramu's face, speaking gently. Yeah, Yizayaramu nodded, sat up, and then got on the bed. Wife, wait for me to come back, Suluo said as she watched Yizayaramu walk into the bathroom. Yes, husband, come back early. Yizayaramu took the toothbrush, squeezed toothpaste on it, and shouted loudly. After about 10 minutes, Suluo opened the door and walked in. Wow, husband, you brought so many things. Yizayaramu, who was sitting in the living room watching TV, said in surprise when she saw the bags in Suluo's hands. I bought vegetable buns, meat buns, and red bean paste buns. You can eat whichever one you like. Suluo shook the bun in her hand, walked to the restaurant and put it on the table. Don't watch TV yet, come and have breakfast, Suluo said. Yeah, Yizayaramu ran into the restaurant with her hair loose. Slow down and take care of yourself. Suluo stopped Yizayaramu in the restaurant and slapped her on the butt. Oh, I understand, Yizayaramu pouted and said in a soft voice. Sit down and have breakfast, Su Luo said, pouring a bowl of porridge and placing it in front of Yi Zaiamu. Then he took a rubber band and tied up Yi Zaiamu's loose hair from behind. Yi Zaiamu felt Su Luo's attentiveness. A smile appeared on her face, and she felt like she could drink a few more sips of porridge. Honey, I'll just eat the red bean paste ones. You can give the rest to my parents, Yi Zaiamu said. Okay, I'll send it over to them. You eat first. After you finish eating, I still have to go to the company. Su Luo said this, leaving the red bean paste ones behind and picking up the vegetable buns and meat buns. You go and send it off first, and we'll talk about it when you come back. Yi Zaiamu looked at Su Luo and waved his hand. Chapter 222. It's time to go to work and turn on the computer. Su Luo nodded, then picked up the buns and opened the door opposite. Liu Liu, have you eaten? Sun Yun, who was just about to eat, saw Su Luo come in and asked curiously. Mom, I've already eaten. Zaiamu wanted to eat buns, so I bought a lot and brought them to you, Su Luo said as she placed 2 bags of buns on the dining table. Where is my dad? Su Luo asked curiously. I haven't woken up yet. Sun Yun pointed towards the bedroom. Okay, remember to eat the buns. I'll go back first. I have to go to the company later, Su Luo said and walked out. Okay, take good care of Zaiamu, Sun Yun reminded. Don't worry, Mom, I will, Su Luo said, opened the door and walked out. Su Luo returned to the restaurant and sat opposite Yi Zaiamu. Liu Liu, can I go out in the morning? Yi Zaiamu asked, but the expectation in her eyes was still obvious. Going to the company isn't a problem, but I probably won't be able to go to the crew later. There are too many places and too many people, so it's not suitable. Su Luo thought about it, spoke seriously, and then repeated what her father said in the morning. Yi Zaiamu pouted and said nothing, obviously in a bad mood. What's wrong? Are you unhappy? Su Luo raised her hand, grabbed Yi Zaiamu's hand on the table and squeezed it gently. Being pregnant is so troublesome, I can't do anything. Woohoo! Yi Zaiamu curled her lips and said aggrievedly. Don't you like Xiaoxiao? Su Luo asked gently. I like it, Yi Zaiamu said without hesitation. That was her own child, how could she not like him? Then hold on a little longer. In less than half a year you'll be free. Then I'll take you out for some fun. Su Luo smiled, stretched out her fingers, and drew circles on Yi Zaiamu's palm. You can't fool me. I want to have a good time when the time comes. Yi Zaiamu's eyes sparkled with excitement. Not kidding you, are you full? Yeah, I'm full. Yi Zaiamu nodded and said seriously that she had indeed eaten a lot. Su Luo stood up, sent Yi Zaiamu to the living room to sit down, and returned to the dining room to clean up. Okay, let's go change clothes, Su Luo said, pulling Yi Zaiamu towards the bedroom. Wearing the specially bought maternity shorts, Yi Zaiamu felt like crying because these shorts were even bigger than Su Luo's. Finally, after changing into a loose maternity outfit, Yi Zaiamu took Su Luo's arm and went out. When they left, the two said hello to Su's father and mother. The two drove to Zaiamu Entertainment. After entering the company, he nodded here, waved there, and greeted the employees. Zaiamu, go in and wait for me. I'll go find Jiang Yu, Su Luo said when they arrived at the door of Tanya's office. Well, okay, Yi Zaiamu said, knocked on the door, then pushed it open and walked in. Su Luo went to the artist's office. There was a door plate with Jiang Yu written on it. Su Luo pushed the door open and walked in. Luo, I asked someone to check and found out that Wu Chen is indeed recuperating now. He was infected with the virus before and now has sequelae, but I can't find out what the sequelae are. When Jiang Yu saw Su Luo come in, he looked serious and spoke cautiously. It is speculated that it may affect fertility in 9 out of 10 cases. TT keyword add data title equals beauty, data tag equals fine recommendations, data type equals 1, data value equals 1930 / TT keyword add. When can we contact him? Su Luo asked. It's not certain yet. They've only been treated for over a month, so we'll probably need another month and a half of observation. Jiang Yu shook his head and said hesitantly, Okay, now we can only wait for him to come out, Su Luo said helplessly. This is the only way, Jiang Yu nodded. Okay, I got it. I'll go find Sister Ye and discuss the start time. After Su Luo finished speaking, she smiled mysteriously at Jiang Yu, opened the door, and walked out. Fuck, Luo, stop messing around. Su Luo was destined not to hear Jiang Yu's words. Sister Ye, I feel like July 8th is a good day. Do you want to arrange for the start of filming? Su Luo said straight to the point after entering the room. It depends on Director Lu. Everything is basically ready, so there should be no problem in theory. Tanya nodded and said. Tanya called Lu Jun over and discussed the start of filming tomorrow. Lu Jun had no objection and said it was feasible. After a discussion among the three of them, they finally confirmed that the project would start on time at 8 a.m. on July 8. Su Luo pulled Lu Jun over, walked to the side, and exercised her rights as a screenwriter, turning the first scene into a kissing scene. After it was finalized, Su Luo and Lu Jun looked at each other and smiled like aunties. After the contract was signed, Tanya sent an email to inform the relevant personnel about the opening ceremony tomorrow morning. After confirming all this, Su Luo did not leave the company. Instead, accompanied by Yi Xiaoramu, she carefully checked the storyboards and shooting plan designed by Lu Jun. "Director Lu, don't worry, I'm just taking a look. I'm not trying to find fault, I'm just learning," Su Luo explained to Lu Jun in advance before she even started reading. "Boss Su, take your time. I'm not some amazing director. I'm just basing this on my experience and my own understanding." Lu Jun touched his head and spoke a little embarrassedly. After all, he had always been an executive director before, and this was his first time as the chief director of a program. "Director Lu, I think you can do it. You can definitely make this drama a success." Su Luo patted Lu Jun's shoulder and spoke solemnly. "I tried the food at Xiaoramu Entertainment at noon, and it looked pretty good, though a bit plain." "Sister Ya, this lunch is too plain. It's either fruit or salad," Su Luo said with a bitter face. "Being an artist means maintaining your figure. If you don't have this little self-control, what kind of artist are you?" Tanya sighed as she watched several trainees eating seriously after getting their meals. "I don't care, I have 2 wives," Su Luo shrugged and said speechlessly. "Don't worry, Xiaoluo, I ordered Xiaomu's meals specially for her," Tanya said with a smile. Not long after, a meal sent from the palace garden was served. "Oh my God, Sister Ya, you are so biased." Su Luo looked at the 4 meat dishes, 3 vegetable dishes, and 1 soup placed in front of Yi Xiaoramu in surprise and spoke in shock. "You're not pregnant. If you were, I'd make sure to arrange this for you," Tanya joked with Su Luo, then looked at Yi Xiaoramu and gave her serious instructions. "You must eat well, exercise more, and eat small meals frequently during your pregnancy. There won't be any problem," Tanya said. "I will, don't worry, Sister Ya," Yi Xiaoramu nodded. Yi Xiaoramu now realizes that basically wherever she goes, there will be someone giving her reminders. Chapter 223, 7 Kissing Scenes. After dinner, Su Luo and Yi Xiaoramu followed Lu Jun to visit several filming locations in Shanghai. "This room is nice, it has that Xiaoshui vibe. Director Lu, how about we do a kissing scene in the first scene?" Su Luo was now in Xiaoshui's room arranged by the crew, and said with a smile. "Liu, stop acting weird." Yi Xiaoramu pushed Su Luo and said coquettishly. After hearing Su Luo's words, Director Lu fell into deep thought, and then his eyes became brighter and brighter. "Okay, although it is indeed not appropriate to put it in the first act, it will definitely be fine in the second act. The first scene is the opening scene, and usually a simple scene is chosen, implying that the subsequent filming will go smoothly. If the second scene is replaced with a kissing scene, it can quickly break the ice between the male and female protagonists, and it is very likely that a CP feeling will be created. This drama is almost sweet from beginning to end. This CP feeling is more important, making the audience care about both of them." Seeing Yi Xiaoramu glaring at him, Su Luo smiled helplessly. Isn't this just cheating on her best friend in front of his wife? Just as he was about to say that he had just mentioned it casually, Lu Jun slapped his thigh unexpectedly. "I was just talking about how to shoot this drama. Mr. Su, your suggestion reminded me to put the kissing scene first. Cultivate the CP feeling between the 2 people in advance so that the atmosphere of the whole play will be lively. President Su, you are amazing." As expected, President Su wrote the script and has the best understanding of this drama. Lu Jun talked to himself excitedly, ignoring the shocked looks of Su Luo and Yi Xiaoramu beside him. "Mr. Su, no wonder you asked me to take you to see the location shooting today. Thank you for your suggestion, Mr. Su." Lu Jun looked at Su Luo with admiration. The corner of Su Luo's mouth twitched. This Lu Jun was quite imaginative. "Mr. Su, I have to go back and adjust the shooting plan right now, you see," Lu Jun continued. "Then let's go back," Su Luo said, then took Yi Xiaoramu's hand and left the room. Su Luo and Yi Xiaoramu went home for dinner, and the 2 families had a pleasant dinner. After dinner, Su Luo accompanied Yi Xiaoramu for a walk downstairs in the community. "Liu, did you do this on purpose? Look, Xiaoking even sent me a message asking me." Yi Xiaoramu frowned, took out his cell phone and handed it to Su Luo. 10 minutes ago, TT keyword add data title equals beauty, data tag equals recommended products, data type equals 1, data value equals 1930/TT keyword ad in the evening. When Zhu Qing received the shooting schedule for tomorrow, her face turned red. Could it be that this director was bribed by Jiang Yu? She has 8 scenes tomorrow, and except for the first scene, the others are kissing scenes. Looking back on this month, Jiang Yu accompanied her on the crew every day, occasionally helping out with guest appearances and odd jobs, and stayed with her the rest of the time. She felt more and more fond of Jiang Yu, but it was not to the point of being together. Then he thought, this Jiang Yu is Su Luo's friend. He wouldn't deliberately let Su Luo find director Lu to rehearse the kissing scene. How annoying, Zhu Qing touched his slightly hot face. Although he thought so, Zhu Qing was not angry but rather a little expectant. We've already kissed, so it doesn't matter if we kiss again, Zhu Qing said to himself. Thinking of this, Zhu Qing's face turned even redder, and then he climbed onto the bed and squirmed. Soon, Zhu Qing sat up and took out his cell phone. Zyro Mu, I have 7 kissing scenes tomorrow. Tell me, was it your husband who did it? You haven't objected yet. It's faded, the feelings have faded. Zhu Qing pretended to be angry, pouted, edited the text message, and sent it out. Ding dong, Yi Zyramu, who was taking a walk, received the message. She took out her cell phone and saw that it was Zhu Qing who was expressing his dissatisfaction to her. Then she handed it to Su Luo. Su Luo took the phone and looked at the message from Zhu Qing, feeling a little confused. Liu, what's wrong with you? Don't worry, Zioking and I have a good relationship. She was just joking. Yi Zyramu immediately explained that she was worried that Su Luo would misunderstand Zhu Qing and make things difficult for her. Zyro Mu, am I so stingy in your eyes? Su Luo rubbed Yi Zyramu's head and said softly, It's just that I feel like she's not angry at all, but rather trying to show off to you. Have you ever heard of Versailles? No way, this doesn't look like showing off at all. Yi Zyramu tilted his head and said in confusion. Look, Su Luo said and started typing. Zioking, I don't know about this. Don't worry, I'll go find Liu and cancel the kiss scene immediately. After Su Luo finished typing, she clicked send under Yi Zyramu's surprised gaze. Ding dong, the reply came almost instantly. Yi Zyramu leaned over to take a look and laughed out loud. That's not necessary. I just wanted to ask if this is what Jiang Yu meant. Zhu Qing's slightly arrogant reply left Yi Zyramu speechless. This girl was even trying to conquer herself. Sure enough, self-guided strategies are everywhere. Su Luo shook her head and said casually, Only you can do it, only you can do it. Yi Zyramu stretched out his hand and pinched Su Luo's waist. Wife, I was wrong. Su Luo immediately begged for mercy. Liu, what should I respond now? Yi Zyramu let go of his hand, took the phone from Su Luo's hand and asked, Are you trying to bring them together? Su Luo asked. Didn't you want to bring them together from the beginning? I just went along with it. Yi Zyramu chuckled and explained. Well, just go back and tell her that you don't know either. Let her ask Jiang Yu herself tomorrow. Su Luo thought for a moment and spoke. Although Yi Zyramu was confused, she still typed according to what Su Luo said. I don't know either. Liu and I just looked at the filming location this afternoon and came back. Director Lu didn't say anything. If you don't want to, I'll ask Liu to go find Director Lu and cancel the kissing scene. No need to bother, it's already late. I'm an actor and I have to obey the director's instructions. Zhu Qing's reply made Yi Zyramu feel funny. I feel like there's a good chance they'll get together. Yi Zyramu put away her phone and said with a smile, Honey, I also want to watch the filming tomorrow, is that okay? Then, Yi Zyramu held Su Luo's hand and said coquettishly, I see you're not here to watch the filming, you want to go and eat melons. Su Luo stretched out her other hand and touched Yi Zyramu's forehead, then spoke gently. I just want to see what they look like tomorrow. After all, it's a kissing scene. Yi Zyramu said with shining eyes. Okay, we have to get up early tomorrow morning because we will officially start filming at 8 o'clock, Su Luo said with a smile. Hey, let's go back now, no more walking. I want to go to bed early today. Yi Zyramu said this, let go of Su Luo and was about to walk back. Stop, we must walk around the community today. Su Luo immediately grabbed Yi Zyramu and said with a smile. When don't you go to bed early? You just don't want to take a walk. Chapter 224 Yi Shuyan. During pregnancy, taking more walks and doing proper exercise are good for the health of pregnant women. Yi Zyramu felt that he couldn't escape, so he took Su Luo's hand and clung to him, wishing he could put all his weight on him. Drag me away, Yi Zyramu said coquettishly. Okay, Su Luo smiled and let Yi Zyramu stick to him. The two of them walked around the community and then returned home. Mom and Dad. When Su Luo and Yi Zyramu returned home, they saw Yi's father and mother watching TV in the living room. Zio Luo, Zio Mu, your dad and I will be on vacation tomorrow. I'll buy whatever you want to eat tomorrow. Sun Tingting smiled, asked the two people to sit over and asked, Mom, I don't care, I'm not picky about food, just buy whatever you like, Yi Zioramu said with a smile. Zio Luo, what about you? What do you want to eat? Sun Tingting looked at Su Luo and asked again. Mom, just take care of Zioramu, I'll eat what she can't finish, Su Luo said with a smile. Now that Yi Zioramu is pregnant, she eats small meals frequently. She doesn't eat much at each meal, and there is basically always some left over which must be eaten by Su Luo. There are two periods when men are most likely to gain weight. One is when their wife is pregnant, and the other is when their wife is in confinement after childbirth. Su Luo is 183 cm tall. 2 months ago, she weighed 140 catties. Now she weighs 145 catties. Puche, Yi Zioramu covered her mouth and laughed out loud. When she heard Su Luo say that she would eat what she left, she thought of Su Luo complaining to her in the evening that she had gained weight. I used to have abdominal muscles, and although they are still there, they are not as obvious as before. However, Yi Zioramu likes Su Luo very much now. Even if Su Luo has 8 abdominal muscles, she still likes her. What are you laughing at? Su Luo looked at Yi Zioramu and asked curiously. You've gained weight too, Yi Zioramu said with a smile. How can you be fat, Zio Luo? You're too thin, you should eat more. Sun Tingting glared at Yi Zioramu, then said to Su Luo with a smile. There is a kind of concern, which is that the mother-in-law thinks you are thin. When the son-in-law eats at his mother-in-law's house, he really has to eat 150% of his usual amount. The mother-in-law thinks her son-in-law is too polite because he eats too little, or the food is not to her taste. I ate too much and was really full. When the food was served, I couldn't say no. Yes, Mom, I will definitely eat more. Su Luo secretly looked at Yi Zioramu and then agreed sincerely. The four of them were watching TV and chatting. Unfortunately, Yi Zhenhua had a craving for a cigarette, so he pulled Su Luo to the balcony. Su Luo took out a cigarette and handed it to Yi Zhenhua, then lit it for him. Dad, are you worried about something? Su Luo lit a cigarette, looked at Yi Zhenhua and asked. I don't know if Zioramu has told you that she actually has an aunt named Yi Shuyan. Yi Zhenhua exhaled a puff of smoke and spoke. I mentioned it once, and then he said we didn't seem to keep in touch much anymore. Su Luo nodded and answered honestly. TT keyword add data title equals beauty, data tag equals fine recommendations, data type equals 1, data value equals 1930/TT keyword add. She recently came to me to see if I could arrange a university for her son. Yi Zhenhua said, seeming a little depressed. Actually, I don't have to agree, but she is my sister after all. Yi Zhenhua had a complicated expression. His parents passed away early, and his sister was determined to leave at that time, and she also broke off relations with him. But when she really came to him, he softened his heart and regretted it. Mom, do you know about this? Su Luo asked. I didn't tell her, I was conflicted. Her son scored 473 points and wanted to go to college, Yi Zhenhua said in a low voice. But this year's undergraduate admission score is 474 points, and with this score, he basically cannot go to undergraduate school. Dad, let me ask you, where did his son take the college entrance examination? Su Luo asked. Her family is in Taizhou now, Yi Zhenhua said. With her son's score, he should still have hope in a remote place, right? Su Luo asked curiously. She raised the child alone and certainly didn't want the child to be so far away from home, so she thought of asking me to see if I could arrange a school closer for him, Yi Zhenhua explained. Su Luo listened to Yi Zhenhua's words without saying anything. It was not convenient for him to express his opinion on this matter for the time being. Do you know why Zioramu's aunt no longer has any contact with our family? Yi Zhenhua put out his cigarette, looked at Su Luo and asked. Su Luo quickly took out another cigarette and handed it over, shaking her head at the same time. Zio Mu was still young at that time, just starting first grade. Her aunt suddenly told me that she was pregnant. Yi Zhenhua lit a cigarette and took a deep puff. I asked who it belonged to, but she wouldn't tell me. Finally, I found out she was someone's mistress. How ironic. My Yi family is a family of scholars, yet she actually. I advised her to have an abortion, but she refused to listen and insisted on staying with that man. Finally, I told her that if she didn't have an abortion, I would break off all ties with her. When he said this, Yi Zhenhua's voice trembled. Dad, please be careful, Su Luo reminded him with a heavy heart. The main reason is that Sun Tingting didn't know about this and was not sure what she was thinking. It would be difficult to explain if she was seen at this time. In a fit of rage, she followed that man to Taizhou. What about now? Su Luo asked. He guessed that something must have happened. She told me a few days ago that as soon as she arrived there, someone came to her house to look for her. She didn't dare come back, so she hid herself and gave birth to the child. It's all my fault. I was too impulsive at the time and said those words. I didn't even think about looking for her again afterwards. Yi Zhenhua said this with a heavy heart, and his eyes began to turn red. Su Luo looked at Yi Zhenhua's appearance and the experience of Yi Xiaomu's aunt Yi Shuyan, and thought to herself that she must help. Dad, we must tell Mom about this, and then bring the aunt and her son over first. Su Luo thought about it and decided that whether to go to school or not was not important. The important thing was that her family still had to come back. Moreover, listening to Yi Zhenhua's description, there is actually no major contradiction. Maybe he just said it very calmly. The commotion was much worse than described, but they were family after all, no. Probably for the sake of his child's future, Yi Shuyan had no choice but to swallow the anger in his heart. For the sake of her child, Yi Shuyan can give up her integrity, self-respect, and face. Yi Zhenhua was a little hesitant, not because he thought Sun Tingting was angry because of Yi Shuyan. But this kind of family matter is more complicated. In this case, should we help for free or lend money? Yi Zhenhua originally intended to help for free, but he has his own family after all, so he can't make the decision directly on such matters. But he also wants to get his family's support. Dad, I think Mom will support you. Looking at Yi Zhenhua's conflicted look, Su Luo spoke. Chapter 225, Lost Relatives. What have you two been talking about for so long? Su Luo and Yi Zhenhua returned to the living room. Sun Tingting looked up and spoke casually. Dad, Mom, Xiaomu and I will go back to the room first. Su Luo winked at Yi Xiaomu and spoke. Dad, Mom, it's getting late. You should go to bed early too. After receiving Su Luo's signal, Yi Xiaomu stood up and spoke. Okay, you guys go to bed early, Sun Tingting said without noticing anything unusual. Yeah, Su Luo responded, and pulled the somewhat confused Yi Xiaomu back to the room. Honey, what's wrong? Yi Xiaomu asked as she closed the door after entering the room. Dad just told me something. Su Luo told Yi Xiaomu about Yi Shuyan. Yi Xiaomu didn't know what he should feel at this moment. If he said she was a relative, he didn't seem to have any feelings. If he said she wasn't his aunt, she was his biological aunt. Wife, don't think about it for now. Let Dad talk to Mom alone first. Su Luo rubbed Yi Xiaomu's head and spoke gently. Based on Su Luo's understanding of Sun Tingting, she would definitely not mind. Regardless of her higher education or her personality, she would support Yi Zhenhua in helping Yi Shuyan. Yeah, Aunt must have had a hard time these years. Yi Xiaomu sighed. Su Luo nodded aside. Raising a child alone means that all one's energy should be spent on the child. As a result, her child failed to get into university and her entire support collapsed. She no longer cared about being angry. I guess when she went to find Yi Zhenhua, she had already lost all hope. Wait until Mom and Dad have finished talking, then Dad and I will go over there. Yeah, Yi Xiaomu nodded. The two of them washed up and lay down on the bed leisurely with the air conditioner on. The weather is getting hotter and hotter, Yi Xiaomu sighed. Yes, summer is coming soon and the weather will be too hot later. Don't follow me. It's only a few months away. Su Luo hugged Yi Xiaomu and said softly. But I'm so bored at home. Yi Xiaomu pouted and said coquettishly. I'll come back to accompany you every day. Su Luo stroked Yi Xiaomu's back and said. While the two of them were chatting, Yi Zhenhua told Sun Tingting about the matter in the living room. Sun Tingting had no objection, but instead asked Yi Zhenhua to bring Yi Shuyan and his mother to the Magic City. Yi Zhenhua was naturally happy, but what he feared most was that Sun Tingting would disagree. What Yi Zhenhua didn't know was that when Yi Shuyan left, Sun Tingting secretly gave her 10,000 yuan. Sun Tingting was very concerned about her sister-in-law. When she married Yi Zhenhua, Yi Shuyan had just started junior high school. In the end, that incident happened. Yi Shuyan didn't even finish college and insisted on following that man. Sun Tingting couldn't persuade him. Helpless, he could only secretly give her 10,000 yuan and told her to come back if she had any difficulties. I didn't expect that this departure would last nearly 20 years. This might be why Yi Zhenhua and Sun Tingting haven't changed their phone numbers. At Sun Tingting's request, Yi Zhenhua called Yi Shuyan. Yan, Sun Tingting spoke the moment the phone was connected. Sister-in-law, sister-in-law. Yi Shuyan on the other end of the phone felt complicated. She must have disappointed her sister-in-law. Yan, are you okay now? Sun Tingting controlled her emotions and asked. Sister-in-law, I'm fine, don't worry. That's good, Sun Tingting said subconsciously. Yanyan, please send me the address later, and I will go there tomorrow. Seeing that Sun Tingting was in a bad mood, Yi Zhenhua immediately spoke. Brother, The next day, Su Luo and Yi Zhairamu got up very early, washed up, and walked out of the room. They saw Yi Zhenhua and Sun Tingting sitting in the restaurant eating their meal anxiously. Mom and Dad, what's wrong with you? Yi Zhairamu walked over and asked. Su Luo also looked at them in confusion. Didn't we reach an agreement last night? That shouldn't be the case. Mom doesn't seem like the type to be fussy about things. Hey, you know about your aunt's matter, right? Sun Tingting sighed and spoke. Well, what's wrong? Yi Zhairamu looked puzzled. Looking at her mother, she didn't seem angry. We called her last night and asked her where she was living, but she wouldn't tell us. Sun Tingting said this and sighed again. Dad, Mom, don't be sad. It's actually not a big problem, Su Luo said. Yi Zhenhua and Sun Tingting immediately looked up at Su Luo. Xiao Luo, sit down. What do you mean? Yi Zhenhua immediately pulled out the stool next to him and invited him. Su Luo smiled, asked Yi Zhairamu to sit next to Sun Tingting, and then sat next to Yi Zhenhua herself. Dad, Mom, now you know what your aunt's son is called, right? Su Luo said. Yes, her name is Yi Zhairachin. Yi Zhenhua nodded and spoke. In fact, as long as we can contact Yi Zhairachin, we will naturally know his home address, Su Luo said. Now we know nothing except a name, Yi Zhenhua said somewhat disappointedly. Whether applying for university or taking the college entrance examination, the candidate's information is required, Su Luo reminded. Yi Zhenhua and Sun Tingting were both worried and confused. In today's society, it is relatively easy to find someone if you really want to, as long as that person has not hidden his identity and isolated himself from society. One of the reasons why we lost contact for nearly 20 years was because we had a falling out. Another reason is that Yi Zhenhua believes that, although Yi Shuyan is a mistress, her life should be pretty good. Yi Shuyan felt ashamed to go back, but at the same time, he was holding his breath and wanted to educate his child well. Yeah, Yi Zhenhua's eyes lit up. He immediately put down his chopsticks and ran back to the bedroom, probably to make a phone call. Su Luo stood up, filled 2 bowls of porridge, and handed them to Yi Zhairamu. Mom, don't worry, I'll ask my friend to help check this matter, Su Luo said. Xiao Luo, thank you for your help. Mom, don't worry, let's finish our meal first. Yi Zhairamu patted Sun Tingting's back and said softly. Okay, let's eat first. Sun Tingting nodded, but there was still a hint of worry on her face. Not long after, Yi Zhenhua came out. I just asked a friend to check and see if they can find it, Yi Zhenhua said. There are many people named Yi Zhairachin in China, but there is probably only one who scored 473 points in the college entrance examination. Dad, Mom, Xiaomu and I will go to the crew later, and I will ask my friend to help check it out. Su Luo finished the porridge and put down her chopsticks. Then I'll leave it to you, Yi Zhenhua said seriously. Chapter 226. There is a reason for being single. Su Luo and Yi Zhairamu got up and went back to the bedroom and took out their laptops. He didn't really plan to ask his friends for help. He could do all this on his own, but he wasn't sure what the final outcome would be, so he didn't say it. After all, in the internet age, as long as you go online, you will definitely leave clues. These were more obvious in the early days of WeChat when OO chat was used. If you searched for other people's OO numbers, you would find that many of them had suffered social failure. Because the search results sometimes show, the author is a good person at OO.com. Or private chat upstairs, borrow when to talk, at OO.com. Honey, aren't we going to the crew? Yi Zhairamu asked curiously. Wait a moment, I'll check something. Zhairamu, wait for me for a moment, Su Luo said while staring at the boot screen. Yi Zhairamu walked behind Su Luo, put her arms around her, and her hair fell on Su Luo's shoulders. Husband, what are you doing? A puzzled voice came from Yi Zhairamu's mouth. Yi Zhairachin attended high school in Teju. Although I don't know which school he attended, there are ways to find out. Su Luo said this and started to operate with her hands. Yi Zhairamu looked at Su Luo in surprise. The pages on the screen kept switching. Yi Zhairamu knew that Su Luo was very good at writing novels, but she didn't expect that he seemed to be very good at computers as well. At least for now, Yi Zhairamu couldn't understand what Su Luo was doing. In fact, Su Luo used Python programming to create a crawler software to filter all the information about people named Yi Zhairachin on the internet. At the same time, the people who took the college entrance examination this year were screened out. The score information may not be available on the internet, but Su Luo has made many restrictions on the screening conditions, and the final result should be able to be found. Finally, on a blank interface, Su Luo clicked OK, and saw pieces of information constantly appearing on the blank interface. Okay, come back at noon and see the results. Su Luo smiled and held Yi Zaiaramu's hand and said, "Is this all right?" Yi Zaiaramu asked doubtfully. She didn't understand the principle at all. "Don't worry, you'll know when you come back at noon." Su Luo stood up and pulled Yi Zaiaramu out of the room. "Mom and Dad, let's go to the crew and come back for lunch," Su Luo said to Yi's father and mother, who seemed to be discussing something in the living room. "Okay, be careful on the road." Su Tingting nodded and responded. Su Luo and Yi Zaiaramu looked at each other, said nothing more, and walked out. "I didn't expect that I have a cousin." On the way to the crew, Yi Zaiaramu, who was sitting in the passenger seat, sighed. The two of them chatted for a while in the car about Yi Zaiaramu's aunt. But Yi Zaiaramu herself couldn't remember the specific impression very clearly. After all, those were things that happened when she was a child. "Don't worry, even if we can't find him now. Dad can still find him directly when he uses his connections to get him into college." Seeing that Yi Zaiaramu was a little worried, Su Luo spoke to comfort her. After all, since Yi Shuyan found Yi Zhenhua to help deal with her son's college affairs, she must eventually tell Yi Zhenhua about Yi Zaiarachen's information. "We can't find Yi Shuyan now because we don't know much, but as long as we know the high school Yi Zaiarachen attended, finding his home will be a matter of minutes." The reason why Yi Shuyan was unwilling to tell Yi Zhenhua where she lived was probably because she felt that she had disappointed Yi Zhenhua. In fact, there is no hatred between the two people. If we have to say who is at fault, it might be the man from that year. Su Luo didn't feel comfortable asking about these things and decided to wait and see what would happen next. No matter what, as Yi Zaiaramu's husband, Su Luo would definitely not hesitate to help where he could. Not long after, the two men arrived at the room that Lu Jun and the others had last seen yesterday. There were already many people in the room, and most of the crew had arrived. When Su Luo and Yi Zaiaramu arrived, Zhu Qing and Jiang Yu seemed to be arguing about something. "Zhu Qing, today's kissing scenes were really not what I requested," Jiang Yu said sincerely. "Director Lu, what's going on with these two?" Su Luo asked curiously while standing next to Lu Jun. "Boss Su, you're here." Zhu Qing just arrived and Jiang Yu ran over. "I don't know what happened, but I just think these two people really make a good couple. Not bad." Lu Jun looked at Jiang Yu holding the script with the shooting plan and chasing Zhu Qing to explain it, and he couldn't help but smile. "And then," Zhu Qing rolled her eyes. As soon as she arrived, Jiang Yu came over with the script and said that the kissing scene was not what he requested. "Do you have to act so disgusted? Are you stupid? Don't I have any dignity? This is a kissing scene and they don't allow borrowing. I originally wanted to borrow it, but the director disagreed." Jiang Yu looked at Zhu Qing's face full of disgust and immediately added. Su Luo covered her forehead with her hands. "What kind of straight man is this Jiang Yu? What exactly do you want to say?" Zhu Qing rolled his eyes and asked Jiang Yu helplessly. "I just want to tell you that the kissing scene was not my request, don't get me wrong." Jiang Yu raised his hand and said innocently, "What you mean is that you don't want to film a kissing scene with me?" Zhu Qing stared at Jiang Yu and said expressionlessly, No, I just learned a while ago that many male actors ask directors to add kissing scenes in order to take advantage. I want to explain to you that I'm not that kind of person." Jiang Yu had a serious look on his face as he spoke in a serious tone. "The issues you consider are really good." Zhu Qing was almost laughing because of Jiang Yu. He hadn't said anything yet, nor had he said he disagreed, but this guy came up and started explaining everything, saying it was none of his business. Zhu Qing didn't know whether he should be happy or speechless. Liu, there's a reason why your friend is single." Yi Zaiaramu looked at Zhu Qing and Jiang Yu and complained. "Director Lu, the CP feeling you mentioned feels a bit far-fetched to me." Su Luo patted Lu Jun's shoulder and said helplessly. Then he pulled Yi Zaiaramu and walked towards Zhu Qing and Jiang Yu. "Don't you think so? Why can I see rainbow bubbles?" Liu looked at Su Luo's back and muttered to herself in some confusion. "Old Jiang, if you have nothing to do, you can read more romance novels." Su Luo walked to Jiang Yu, patted her shoulder, and spoke seriously. "Zairo Mu, President Su." Zhu Qing saw Yi Zaiaramu shouting with surprise, and at the same time greeted Su Luo. The four of them chatted for a few minutes before being called over by Lu Jun, who told them that the opening ceremony would begin soon. The opening ceremony was very low-key, with only the official website of Zaiaramu Entertainment releasing some footage of the scene. The artists under the company, as well as Su Luo and Yi Zaiaramu, reposted it. With the traffic of these two people and Bei Yunju, "You Are My Pride" started filming and quickly became a hot search. Chapter 227, I Saw You in Pain. You Are My Pride, produced by Zioamu Entertainment, starts filming today. The launch was a bit low-key, but the publicity effect was not bad. The main reason why no press conference was held was that Zioamu Entertainment was not very famous yet. If no media comes to participate at that time, it will have the opposite effect. Zioamu Entertainment's new drama has started filming, but no one is interested and it is not optimistic. Once this news is released, it may cause many black fans to become active, and then the new drama will be under great pressure. At this time, the crew had no time to pay attention to the fermentation on the internet. Su Luo didn't either. Instead, she sat next to the director with Yi Zioamu. "Cut," Lu Jun shouted loudly. "What's going on? You two were kissing, not visiting a grave. Jiang Yu, what's with that expression on your face?" Lu Jun pointed at Jiang Yu and said loudly that they had passed the opening scene in one go. And this was only the second scene, but it was stuck here. Su Luo and Yi Zioamu watched Jiang Yu and Zhu Qing's constant NGs with great interest. The two of them came here just to watch the show. In this scene, you two have already made it clear that you are happy with each other, and it was the man who took the initiative. Where is the tenderness in your eyes? I only see you in pain. Is it really that serious? Zhu Qingwen said she's a great beauty, right? If you don't like her, how can you look so disgusted? Can you do that? Lu Jun said angrily, "This has been NG 3 times, and every time it was Jiang Yu who made the mistake. Isn't he said to have a talent for acting?" "Director, her mouth reeks of garlic. I'm almost suffocated," Jiang Yu said helplessly with a face full of pain. "Hiccup, hiccup." Su Luo and Yi Zioamu covered their mouths and laughed softly. "Can you be more professional? A grown man can't help it. Even if it's a poop, you have to kiss it during filming." Lu Jun was stunned when he heard what Jiang Yu said. Then he suppressed his laughter and spoke seriously. Zhu Qing was stunned when she heard what Lu Jun said. Even though she was talking about Jiang Yu, why did she feel offended? "Director, give me 2 minutes, I'll make some adjustments," Jiang Yu said to Lu Jun seriously. "Okay, let's take a 2-minute break. All units should get ready." Lu Jun spoke into the walkie-talkie and then sat down. It is common for actors to eat something strong-tasting like garlic, onion, stinky tofu, herring, etc. while filming a kissing scene. The reason for doing this is mainly because there are a lot of emotional scenes or kissing scenes, which will make the actors immersed in the play, and then fall in love because of the play, and then the two people separate after the play. Some actors eat these strong-tasting foods to avoid any feelings during kissing scenes, especially when the male and female characters are familiar with each other. Both parties eat them. The kiss looked passionate, but in fact, both parties had already put on masks of pain in their hearts, and they were really betraying each other. Jiang Yu didn't eat anything, and even sprayed some breath freshener when filming the kissing scene. As a result, it turns out that kissing scenes can also be frightening. Of course, this is not the most disgusting thing. Perhaps what is more disgusting is that the other person is a man. TT keyword add data title equals beauty, data tag equals recommended products, data type equals 1, data value equals 1930/TT keyword add. "It's almost time, Jiang Yu, are you ready?" Lu Jun looked at Jiang Yu and asked. It's okay, director." Jiang Yu exhaled deeply and spoke seriously. "All units prepare action," Lu Jun said and put down the walkie-talkie. At this time, Zhu Qing and Jiang Yu both maintained the same posture without moving. An announcer walked up holding a sign. "Show 22 Level 5 4th round." The sound of hitting the board was heard, and Zhu Qing and Jiang Yu started moving. Knock, knock. There was a knock on the door. Zhu Qing was standing outside the door. Jiang Yu walked quickly to the door, opened it, and saw Zhu Qing smiling quietly at him. "Do you miss me?" Zhu Qingjiao said with a smile. "Damn, oh no, it's a biochemical attack." A strange smell emanated from Zhu Qing's mouth. "Come in first." Jiang Yu smiled, ignored the suspicion, and asked, leaning sideways to invite. Zhu Qing put his hands behind his back and walked in. At this moment, Jiang Yu closed the door, grabbed Zhu Qing and pushed him forward. Zhu Qing leaned against the door, raised his head slightly, and a smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. Zhu Qing was pressed against the door by Jiang Yu. "I miss you, how about you?" A magnetic and low voice came out from Jiang Yu's mouth. "Then what are you waiting for?" Zhu Qing said with a smile, then closed his eyes. Jiang Yu slowly moved closer and the two kissed each other. The stimulating smell rushed straight to Jiang Yu's forehead, but he didn't care at all at this time. He was completely immersed in the performance. In the army's camera footage, the two people took 2 steps back together, showing Zhu Qing's initiative. When their lips parted, there was a hint of charm in their eyes. Zhu Qing exerted a little strength and jumped up. Jiang Yu immediately caught him and held Zhu Qing's thighs with both hands. "Let's go to the bedroom," Zhu Qing said shyly, hugging Jiang Yu's head. Jiang Yu didn't answer and dragged Zhu Qing towards the bedroom. "Cut this one past," Lu Jun shouted loudly. Jiang Yu and Zhu Qing separated immediately. Jiang Yu finally couldn't hold it in anymore and dry heaved twice on the spot. "Director, is it time for the next scene?" Zhu Qing asked. "Quick," Lu Jun was about to speak. "Director Lu," Su Luo pulled Lu Jun. "Mr. Su, what's wrong?" Lu Jun asked in confusion. "Director Lu, don't we need to keep one for this?" Su Luo glanced at Jiang Yu with a wicked smile and whispered to Lu Jun. On the set, one still has to give face to the director, so Su Luo naturally wouldn't ask questions in front of others. "Boss Su, this location is very cheap, so if the effect is not good, there is no cost for reshooting later. Kissing scenes are easy to be awkward, so we usually don't save a single take." Lu Jun began to explain to Su Luo. "Thank you, Director Lu, I understand. You continue filming. Xiao Mu and I will go home first," Su Luo said. "Mr. Su, it's almost lunchtime. Would you like to have lunch together?" Lu Jun stood up and invited. "Everything is ready at home. Also, I might not come over later. You are in charge, come on." Su Luo patted Lu Jun's shoulder and spoke seriously. "Don't worry, President Su. I will definitely give my all to filming this drama," Lu Jun said seriously. "Okay, then I'll go first. You guys continue," Su Luo said, holding Yi Xiaomu's hand, waving to Jiang Yu and Zhu Qing, and then left the set. "Wife, how do you feel on the set?" After getting in the car and helping Yi Xiaomu fasten her seat belt, Su Luo asked. "I think it's quite interesting, but I feel like if I were to perform on it, I wouldn't be able to perform well." As Yi Xiaomu spoke, she seemed a little uncertain. Chapter 228, Going to Teju to Find Relatives. "Don't worry, it's because you don't understand acting at all. After you study systematically for a while and practice a little, you should be able to get started." Su Luo rubbed Yi Xiaomu's head and said, then withdrew her hand and fastened her seat belt. "Okay, then I will learn it later." Yi Xiaomu narrowed his eyes and nodded. Su Luo started the car and drove towards Jingxiu Community. 20 minutes later, Su Luo and Yi Xiaomu returned home. There was no one at home. According to the time, they should be cooking, but there was no one in the kitchen. Then Yi Xiaomu called Sun Tingting and was told that they were at Sun Yun's house opposite and asked them to come over for dinner. "Xiao Mu, you go over first. I'll go and see what the search results are like this morning," Su Luo said. "Okay, tell me if you have any news." Yi Xiaomu nodded in agreement. Su Luo sent Yi Xiaomu out and watched her enter the house. Su Luo and her mother Sun Yun nodded, then turned around and went back to the bedroom. At this time, the information on the computer is still being screened, but 4 pieces of character information have already appeared in the screening results. One of them caught Su Luo's attention. Yi Xiaochen, 19 years old, is a high school graduate of the class of 2023. He is a graduate of Taixing No. 3 Middle School and resides in room 201, building 16, New Energy Sunshine Yipan, Taixing City, Teju. The reason why it caught Su Luo's attention was mainly because of one of the related information. This is room 201, building 16, which was listed for rent online 3 years ago. In other words, Yi Xiaochen's current residence is most likely the house he rented when he was in the first year of high school. According to Su Luo, it is very difficult for orphans and widows, especially unmarried mothers, to settle down and buy a house in a city. It is very likely that Yi Xiaochen's family has been renting a house over the years. Of course, if a missing person report was made, it would be easy to find out Yi Shuyan's whereabouts over the years, but this step is obviously not appropriate. However, if the information Su Luo filtered out is correct, then you will know it just by taking a look. Su Luo did not turn off the computer, but let it continue searching for information on the internet. Then Su Luo stood up and walked out of the room. "Xiao Luo, why did you come just now? I've been waiting for you," Sun Yun said with some blame. "Mom, I'm checking something," Su Luo explained. "Can't you have breakfast first?" Obviously, Sun Yun was not a simple woman. She blamed them first, so that Su Luo's mother-in-law and father-in-law would feel embarrassed to say anything more. But she was wrong about this. This was what Yi's father and mother had been looking forward to, so they naturally had no objection to Su Luo. "Mother-in-law Xiao Luo is a very good child. It's okay. We don't mind. It won't take long," Sun Tingting said with a smile. After lunch, Su Luo, Yi Xiaomu, as well as Yi's father and mother left Su Luo's house and returned to the opposite side. "Xiao Luo, how is it?" Yi Zhenhua asked impatiently as soon as he entered the door. I was just at Sue's parents' house, so it was not convenient to ask. After all, this was their Yi family's business, and it was not appropriate to tell Sue's parents. Dad, I've found 4 people who meet the requirements, and one of them is the closest. Su Luo hugged Yi Zairamu and sat on the sofa, looking at Yi Zhenhua opposite and spoke. Su Luo explained the situation and added his own inferences. That's it, this is it, I feel like this is it, Yi Zhenhua said with some excitement. Dad, don't get excited, Yi Zairamu advised from the side. Yes, Zairo Luo, what do you think? Yi Zhenhua asked quickly. Sun Tingting beside him also turned her head and looked at Su Luo. Dad, Mom, I got this thing and I'm still searching. If you guys are all right, let's go and find out. Su Luo said that after all, he was using a laptop and could continue searching on the road. Even if I'm wrong, I can just look for them one by one. After all, there are only a few people named Yi Zairachin in Teju City. Upon hearing this, Yi Zhenhua and Sun Tingting immediately agreed. Then Mom and Dad, you guys pack your luggage and we'll leave right away. Su Luo asked. After all, even if she found it this time, she wouldn't be able to come back immediately. You have to stay for at least a day or two. After all, a misunderstanding of 20 years cannot be resolved by just meeting once. Okay, let's pack our luggage now, Yi Zhenhua said and went back to the room with Sun Tingting. Yi Zairamu and Su Luo in the living room looked at each other, then stood up and went back to their rooms. Wife, sit down and let me pack. Su looked at Yi Zairamu, who was pushing out the suitcase, and immediately put his hands on Yi Zairamu's shoulders and let her sit on the bed. I'm fine, Yi Zairamu smiled sweetly and said. I know, but let me do it, Su Luo said and started to clean up. Finally, he connected the laptop to the mobile phone hotspot and placed it in Yi Zairamu's arms. Wife, just help me get the computer, Su Luo said with a smile. Yi Zairamu nodded and held the notebook in her arms. Then Su Luo walked out of the bedroom, pulling the suitcase with one hand and holding Yi Zairamu's hand with the other. In the living room, Yi Zhenhua and Sun Tingting were already waiting there. Mom and Dad, let's go. Good. Su Luo said hello to her father and mother and said she was going to Teju. Originally, the 2 of them were planning to go, but were persuaded to stop. It was not because the car was full. After all, Su Siyuan had his own car. The main thing is that this is Yi Zhenhua's family affair after all, and it has not been handled yet. It would not be appropriate for too many people to go. Su Luo stuffed the 2 suitcases into the trunk, then opened the back door and let Yi Zhenhua and Sun Tingting get in. Su Luo and Yi Zairamu sat in the driver's seat and the passenger seat respectively. Mom and Dad, let's go to the central building to buy some things first, Su Luo said after starting the car. At this time, Yi Zhenhua and Sun Tingting were only thinking about Yi Shuyan and ignored basic etiquette. Zairo Luo, your dad and I are a bit busy right now, so I'm sorry to trouble you, Sun Tingting said. Su Luo nodded in agreement and then bought some things in the central building, including female supplements, a laptop, and a mobile phone. After the purchase, Su Luo turned on the navigation and headed towards Taixing City. The first destination must be the one that looked the most similar. Su Luo had a hunch that this was the one. After all, the screening criteria he set were quite detailed, and he even added a little bit of hacking stuff. As long as Li Zairachin has been online, he will definitely be searched and recorded. Looking through the rearview mirror, Yi Zhenhua and Sun Tingting seemed to be in a complicated mood. They drove all the way without stopping. 3.5 hours later, Su Luo parked the car at the gate of Sunshine Yipan Community. Chapter 229, Who are you, and what do you want to do? At the entrance of the community, Yi Zhenhua put his hands in front of him, rubbing them, his face full of confusion. Why are you so nervous, you grown man? Sun Tingting patted Yi Zhenhua. Su Luo couldn't help but sigh. This father-in-law was completely different from the first time she met him. Mom and Dad, let's go to Building 16, Room 201. Su Luo, who was being held by Yi Zairamu, spoke. Okay, Yi Zhenhua nodded heavily and took Sun Tingting to follow Su Luo in front. 4 people were carrying things and walking along the community road, looking up from time to time. Brother, excuse me, can I ask you something? Downstairs of Building 16, Su Luo stopped a boy who had just run out. Huh, the boy looked at Su Luo and the others with some confusion. Brother, I just want to ask you something. Do you know room 201 of this building? Su Luo asked directly. That's my home, where are you? The boy asked with some confusion. Young man, is your name Yi Zairachin? Yi Zhenhua immediately became excited when he heard it and asked excitedly. He was basically certain that he had made his choice. This child looked a bit like him when he was young, like a nephew looking like his uncle. I am Yi Zairachin, Who are you? The confusion in Yi Xiaochen's eyes became even more intense. He was sure that he had never seen these people before. Moreover, they often attend and don't have any relatives or friends. So what about these four people in front of them? Yi Xiaochen, is your mother's name Yi Shuyan? Yi Zhenhua tried his best to make his expression appear more amiable. Who are you and what do you want to do? When Yi Xiaochen heard Yi Zhenhua, he immediately looked at the four people with a wary look and said sternly, "Don't be nervous, kid. We are not bad people. Look at her. Do you know her?" Looking at Yi Xiaochen's excited expression, Yi Zhenhua could immediately confirm that his mother must be Yi Shuyan. It's just that maybe he's been through a lot, so he's a little wary. So he pointed at Yi Xiaomu and started talking. Yi Xiaomu rolled her eyes speechlessly at Yi Zhenhua. She wasn't that famous, so people might not know her. Wouldn't it be enough to just say that he is Yi Xiaochen's uncle? Thinking of this, Yi Xiaomu pulled down his mask. Before Yi Xiaochen moved, she would encounter several people looking for her mother. Her mother would be in a bad mood that day and would move immediately. It seemed that this had not happened in the past 3 years, but when he encountered someone looking for his mother again today, he subconsciously became nervous. Then Yi Xiaochen saw Yi Xiaomu's delicate face under the mask and felt vaguely familiar. "Hello, Yi Xiaochen, I'm Yi Xiaomu." Yi Xiaomu looked at the big boy in front of her and greeted him with a smile. You are a big star." Yi Xiaochen suddenly remembered that this was the singer Yi Xiaomu. He especially liked listening to her songs. "Xiaochen, can you take us to your house to meet your mother?" When Yi Zhenhua saw Yi Xiaochen recognized Yi Xiaomu, he asked, "Oh, okay, do you know my mother?" Yi Xiaochen nodded subconsciously and agreed. In his opinion, there should be no problem for a big star to find her mother. "I know him, let's go up first." Yi Zhenhua nodded and said excitedly. "Okay," Yi Xiaochen said, and walked inside with a few people. Su Luo and Yi Xiaomu walked at the end, looking at Yi Zhenhua holding Sun Tingting's hand tightly, and it was obvious that they were not calm at the moment. "Come in, no need for slippers." Yi Xiaochen took out the key, opened the door, and walked towards the living room. "Chenchen, why are you back? Didn't you say you were going out to play?" A female voice came from the living room. "Mom, someone is looking for you," Yi Xiaochen said. "Who?" Yi Shuyan had just said one word when she saw Yi Zhenhua and Sun Tingting looking at her excitedly. "Why are you here?" Yi Shuyan's eyes turned red, and thousands of words turned into a light sentence. Yi Zhenhua stared blankly at the woman in front of him, with black and white hair and eyes filled with deep fatigue. He didn't know what to say for a moment. She, Yi Shuyan, was only 40 years old this year. What kind of life had she been leading these years? "Yi Xiaochen, come here, this is for you." Su Luo raised the box in her hand and spoke. "For me?" Yi Xiaochen asked blankly. He saw the box but didn't think it was for him at first. Now that Su Luo spoke, he was a little surprised. "Can you show us around your room?" Su Luo asked. "Okay." Yi Xiaochen nodded and took Su Luo and Yi Xiaomu to his bedroom. Knowing that Yi Zhenhua and Yi Shuyan needed some private space, Su Luo took the opportunity to send Yi Xiaochen away. "Yanyan, I'm sorry for making you suffer," Yi Zhenhua said with a complicated expression. After 20 years, she faced Yi Zhenhua and Sun Tingting again with mixed feelings. Yi Zhenhua felt even more upset when he looked at Yi Shuyan. This was his sister, his real sister. "I'm going to follow him and cut off all ties with him." After Yi Shuyan finished speaking, tears welled up in his eyes and he turned and ran away. Yi Shuyan's final resolute expression pierced Yi Zhenhua's heart deeply. "I said I'm pregnant. Because I'm pregnant. Brother, why don't you agree? I love him. Brother, he treats me very well, really. He is married, and he said he would divorce his wife and marry me after I graduate. Brother, I have a boyfriend. Brother, I'm going to college. Do you want to give me a laptop?" Yi Zhenhua walked towards Yi Shuyan step by step, as if he had returned to more than 20 years ago. At this moment, many images flashed through his mind, as if played in reverse. The final freeze frame. The little girl following behind him was standing in front of him, with her hands behind her back, retreating step by step. Yi Zhenhua walked up to Yi Shuyan, gently took her into his arms and patted her back gently. "I'm sorry for making you feel wronged." The gentle words were just as they were before. "Brother," Yi Shuyan murmured. Then he couldn't hold it in any longer, and tears as big as beans flowed from his eyes. Yi Shuyan's crying made Yi Zhenhua feel even more distressed. Sun Tingting walked to Yi Zhenhua, reached out and patted Yi Shuyan gently without saying a word. She needs to release the grievances, pain, and stubbornness she has endured over the years. The other side. After entering Yi Xiaochen's room, Su Luo closed the door. "Yi Xiaochen, do you know who she is?" Su Luo put the computer box and the mobile phone box inside aside, and said to Yi Xiaorachin, who was about to introduce the room to him, "I know she is a queen of singing. I like her new album because of Love this year very much. I am so happy that you are here," Yi Xiaorachin said excitedly. Chapter 230, She is your sister. She is your sister. Su Luo looked at Yi Xiaorachin and said with a smile, "You don't know, my high school classmates all like you very much. I can sing." Yi Xiaorachin was halfway through his words when he heard Su Luo's words and was stunned. "What did you say?" Yi Xiaorachin asked blankly. "I am your sister, do you hear me clearly?" Looking at Yi Xiaorachin, who was like a little fan, Yi Xiaoramu smiled. "Sister?" Yi Xiaorachin was a little stunned. In all these years, he had never heard that he had a sister. His mother never mentioned his background, and even his father would get angry every time he mentioned him. Afterwards, she hid away and cried alone. After Yi Xiaorachin found out, she never mentioned it again. "To be exact, I am your cousin," Yi Xiaoramu said. "Let me tell you, my name is Su Luo. I'm your cousin's husband, your cousin's father, and your mother's brother. Do you understand?" Su Luo patted Yi Xiaorachin's shoulder and spoke. "Oh my God, is my family that awesome? A famous star is my cousin. I'll go check with my mom." Yi Xiaorachin felt that he was more surprised today than in the past 10 years. He was eager to find his mother to confirm this matter, so he walked outside. "Wait a moment, let your mother relax. After all, we just learned of your existence. Let the adults handle their own affairs." Su Luo said this and reached out to stop Yi Xiaorachin. "Look, I heard you're going to college soon, so I bought you a computer and a cell phone." Su Luo pointed towards the box where the notebooks were and said with a smile, "That's so embarrassing," Yi Xiaorachin said and ran towards the laptop with a smile on his face. Young people have a strong ability to accept things. After all, there is nothing to be embarrassed about since these are gifts from my cousin or cousin-in-law. "Oh my God, a Warwick phone, Porsche version." Yi Xiaorachin first picked up the phone box and took a look. "This computer, Warwick X Pro. Wow, sister, brother-in-law, the things you gave me are so expensive." Yi Xiaorachin said this with excitement, but at the same time, a look of struggle appeared on his face. He was a little hesitant. After all, these were too valuable. For a moment, he thought he should refuse. After all, his mother hadn't said anything yet. He has read many novels about relatives coming to the door to recognize each other. He is already 19 years old, and he has just come to find someone. What was he doing before that? "Well, sister, brother-in-law, I think you are very nice, but I may not be able to accept this." Yi Xiaorachin put down his phone and computer, forced himself to look away, suppressed the reluctance in his heart, and spoke. "It's okay, I'll give it to you, just keep it. We are all family." Su Luo and Yi Xiaoramu looked at each other and started to persuade. I'm sorry, I need to ask my mom about this." Yi Xiaorachin struggled in his mind for a long time, but finally chose to listen to his mother. "Okay, then let's wait a while." Su Luo nodded in agreement. 20 minutes later, knock, knock, knock. There was a knock on Yi Xiaorachin's door. "It should be ready, let's go out," Su Luo said. "Yeah," Yi Xiaorachin nodded in response, got up and opened the door, and saw Yi Shuyan standing at the door. "Mom," Yi Xiaorachin shouted, come with me and meet your uncle and aunt." Yi Shuyan nodded to Yi Xiaoramu and Su Luo, then looked at Yi Xiaorachin and spoke. After saying that, Yi Shuyan pulled Yi Xiaorachin to the living room. "Chenchen, this is your uncle, call him uncle." Yi Shuyan pointed at Yi Zhenhua and introduced him. "Uncle," Yi Xiaorachin called out. "This is your aunt." Then Yi Shuyan pointed at Sun Tingting and introduced her. "Aunt, Xiaomu, Xiaoluo, this is my sister, your aunt." Yi Zhenhua's face was full of joy at this time. He looked at Su Luo and Yi Xiaoramu, who followed him, and said, "Aunt," Yi Xiaoramu and Su Luo called out. "Yanyan, this is my daughter and my son-in-law," Yi Zhenhua introduced. "Yeah, I know you guys. Chenchen likes you very much." Yi Shuyan said this in surprise. She didn't expect that this big star was actually her niece. A few people sat in the living room and chatted for a while. "Dad, Mom, Auntie, today is a happy day, and it's time to eat. How about we go out for a meal and chat while we eat?" Seeing this, Su Luo spoke out. If she hadn't said anything, they would probably have talked about it until the evening. "Oh, look at my brain, brother, sister-in-law, look at me. It's almost time for dinner. Come on, I'll treat you to dinner." Yi Shuyan touched his head and said quickly. Yi Zhenhua grinned widely, and it was obvious that he was very happy to reunite with his sister. He then stood up. "Yanyan, I'm here and I can let you spend money. Let's go and have dinner together." Yi Zhenhua said this, and pulled Sun Tingting to Yi Shuyan's side. "Okay." Yi Shuyan smiled, nodded, and followed Yi Zhenhua out. Then, several people walked out of the community. "Brother-in-law, can I take over the computer and mobile phone?" Yi Zairachin leaned close to Su Luo and asked softly. Haha, of course. Su Luo smiled and touched Yi Zairachin's head. This child might have some negative influences. He is not very tall and looks to be only about 170 cm tall, a little taller than Yi Zairamu. He is Yi Zairamu's younger brother and seems to have a cheerful personality. Su Luo likes this younger brother very much. Ah, then, brother-in-law, sister, wait a moment. I'll go up and get the phone. With that, Yi Zairachin ran quickly towards home. After all, I just graduated from high school and am still a child, so I am naturally very interested in mobile phones and other things. When I got a new phone, I thought about replacing it as soon as possible. Sister, brother-in-law, let's go. Not long after, Yi Zairachin ran down with a new mobile phone and said with a smile. Not long after, several people found a private room at Su's restaurant at the entrance of the community and sat down. Su Luo ordered a few dishes and asked the waiter to bring a bottle of white wine. Chenchen, what are you holding? After sitting down, Yi Shuyan saw Yi Zairachin fiddling with a new mobile phone. Sister, this is the cell phone my brother-in-law gave me. Yi Zairachin raised the new cell phone in his hand and said happily. Aunt Chenchen has finished the college entrance examination this year and will be going to college soon. It's okay to change his phone. Yi Zairamu called Yi Shuyan and seemed to be about to scold Yi Zairachin, so he quickly opened his mouth to explain. This is too expensive, Yi Shuyan said in a low voice. Aunt, what are you talking about? Chenchen is my cousin. As his elder sister, it's nothing for me to give him a mobile phone. Yi Zairamu explained that she did not mention the price issue mainly because Yi Shuyan's family conditions were not very good before, so he would definitely be more sensitive at this time. Aunt, it's okay as long as Chenchen likes it, Su Luo added with a smile. Chapter 231 Yi Shuyan's past. Yanyan, it's okay, we are all family. Yi Zhenhua looked at Yi Zairachin and said with a smile. Yi Shuyan looked at Yi Zhenhua, wanting to say something but stopping himself, and finally said nothing. Seeing that his mother had no objection in the end, Yi Zairachin happily changed to a new mobile phone. Sister, brother-in-law, add me on WeChat, Yi Zairachin said with a smile. Su Luo and Yi Zairamu naturally had no reason to object, so they scanned the QR code with Yi Zairachin and added him as a friend. At this time, the door of the private room was opened. The waiter brought the dishes to the table and then left. Dad, I ordered a bottle of wine. Let's have a drink since we're having a good time today. Su Luo picked up the white wine on the table and spoke. Okay, this is good, Yi Zhenhua said with a smile. Su Luo filled Yi Zhenhua's glass with wine, and Sun Tingting beside her rolled her eyes at Yi Zhenhua. Just this one cup. Okay, Yi Zhenhua naturally agreed with a smile on his face. Brother-in-law, let me pour some too. I'll drink with my uncle. Yi Zairachin stretched out his hand and said to Su Luo, You're an adult now and will be going to college soon. Okay, have a drink with me. Yi Zhenhua nodded and agreed. Since Yi Zhenhua had spoken, Yi Shuyan naturally would not disagree. She still listened to her brother from the bottom of her heart. Su Luo poured himself a glass as well. There was a hotel nearby, and he wasn't planning on driving at night, so he stayed with her. During the meal, the atmosphere was quite harmonious, and Yi Zhenhua and the others talked about their childhood memories. Chenchen, haven't you always been curious about why we moved so often over the years? Perhaps it was because his family was around, or perhaps it was the joyful atmosphere of reunion among family members after a long separation that made Yi Shuyan feel like he had to talk about what had happened over the years. Mom, Yi Zairachin's heart paused, and he raised his head to look at Yi Shuyan. Yanyan, Chenchen is still young, Yi Zhenhua reminded. After all, what Yi Shuyan wanted to say might be a blow to Yi Zairachin, and Yi Zhenhua felt a little reluctant. Brother, sister-in-law, I've long since realized that I was really wrong. Yi Shuyan lowered his head, his voice a little low. That year she was just a freshman in college and met Yi Zairachin's biological father. She had never seen such a mature and charming man and fell in love with him at once. She had just left high school and had no accurate understanding of the opposite sex. Coupled with the lack of fatherly love since childhood, she made up her mind all of a sudden. If you pay attention, you will find that many girls will fall in love with their instructors or even seniors after they just enter university. They all have one thing in common. In the eyes of girls, these men are the most mature and closest to society, besides their fathers or brothers. In the eyes of these girls, they are very outstanding, know a lot, are mature and wise, which is very attractive to them who are just freshmen. Whether it is true love cannot be guaranteed, but freshman girls must be the simplest type of people, because their past years have been simple and beautiful. This is their first time entering society, and they are filled with confusion, hesitation, and anxiety. At this time, a mature, wise, and steady person appears beside them, and the result can be imagined. TT keyword add data title equals beauty, data tag equals recommended products, data type equals 1, data value equals 1930, slash TT keyword add just like holding a life-saving straw. Yi Shuyan blindly chose to hold on to it. After becoming pregnant, she chose to give birth to the baby, fell out with Yi Zhenhua, and followed the man to Teju. Su Luo didn't say anything. She looked at Yi Xiaomu and patted Yi Xiaorachin on the shoulder. Chen, haven't you always been curious about who your biological father is? I will tell you everything. Yi Shuyan really looked at Yi Zhenhua and nodded. The child has grown up, and it is time for him to know the truth. Mom, looking at Yi Shuyan's serious expression, Yi Xiaorachin suddenly felt a little flustered. Chen, no matter what your mother says, as an adult, don't leave. Give your mother time to finish speaking, okay? Seeing his sister like this, Yi Zhenhua looked at Yi Xiaorachin and said, Okay. Yi Xiaorachin nodded subconsciously. Yi Shuyan told everything. Yi Xiaorachin's biological father was Liu Dihui, the boss of a transmission belt sound company. Liu Dihui's wife is Wang Gaifen. In fact, the sound of the transmission belt is Wang Gaifen's family business. This transmission belt is used in car engines. There are many car factories in Shanghai, and Liu Dihui often travels to Shanghai on business. After meeting Yi Shuyan became pregnant soon after. Liu Dihui used sweet words to trick Yi Shuyan to Teju. The fundamental reason was that Liu Dihui's assets were not enough to buy a house in Shanghai, so he bought a house in Teju and let Yi Shuyan move there. However, just the next day after he arrived, Liu Dihui's wife Wang Gaifen came to his house, but Liu Dihui did not show up. Yi Shuyan was kicked out of the house and found a place to settle down. She used her own small treasury and the money given to her by Sun Tingting to give birth to Yi Xiaorachin. After Yi Xiaorachin was born, Liu Dihui, who had no son, had an idea and found Yi Shuyan, wanting to take Yi Xiaorachin away. Yi Shuyan naturally would not agree and chose to move immediately. Liu Dihui originally planned to give up. After all, he was only 40 years old at the time, and there was still a chance for him to raise another son. As a result, an accident made Liu Dihui discover that his daughter was not his biological daughter, which made Liu Dihui very unhappy. On the one hand, he secretly asked Yi Shuyan for the child, and on the other hand, he pretended to be nice to Wang Gaifen and secretly transferred the shares of the transmission belt company to his name. Finally, he successfully divorced Wang Gaifen, and Wang Gaifen left the house with nothing, and Liu Dihui didn't even have to pay child support. In this way, Liu Dihui has been looking for someone to get Yi Xiaorachin back over the years. As for Yi Shuyan, he looks about the same age as him, so he naturally doesn't like her. The reason why Yi Shuyan knew about this was that Wang Gaifen found Yi Shuyan after she divorced Liu Dihui. He told her everything in order to persuade Yi Shuyan, because Liu Dihui promised to give Wang Gaifen a sum of money on the condition that Yi Xiaorachin returned to her ancestral home. Yi Xiaorachin spent his childhood moving and transferring schools until high school. Bang! Yi Zhenhua slammed the table after hearing what Yi Shuyan said. How ridiculous! Yanyan, don't worry, I'll take care of it for you. What's the point of returning to your roots? This is my Yi family's child, no one can take him away, Yi Zhenhua said angrily. After hearing what his mother said, Yi Xiaorachin felt disgusted with Liu Dihui. Mom, I'm sorry, Yi Xiaorachin said guiltily when he thought about how he had made his mother sad because of his father's affairs, and how he was so naughty when he was a child. Then, the atmosphere among the few people fell into silence for a moment. Chapter 232 Facts prove my brother is right. Mom, don't worry, I will make Liu Dihui pay the price. Yi Xiaorachin suddenly looked up and looked at Yi Shuyan and spoke in a decisive tone. Chen, it's all in the past. Mom isn't saying this to make you hate anyone, but because you've grown up and have the right to know the truth. Yi Shuyan looked at his son and spoke gently. When Yi Xiaorachin saw his mother's expression, he didn't say what was in his mind. There were some things his mother could ignore, but he couldn't. It would have been fine if he didn't know before, but now that he knows, he must help his mother vent her anger. At this moment, ding-ling-ling, Yi Xiaorachin's phone rang. Hello, Yi Xiaorachin answered the phone. Where are the people? Why haven't they come yet? I have something to do at home today. Yi Xiaorachin looked up and spoke. We're waiting for you, come quickly. Chen, if you have an appointment, just go, Yi Zhenhua said with a smile. Well, it's true that we had an appointment before, Mom, uncle, aunt, sister, brother-in-law, I'll be out first, Yi Xiaochen said, standing up and preparing to leave. Chenchen, if you have any problem, call me. Su Luo seemed to hear some noisy sounds on the phone and reminded him. Okay, brother-in-law, I understand, Yi Xiaochen said and left the box. Yanyan, Chenchen is about to go to college. Why don't you come back to the Magic City with us this time? When Sun Tingting saw Yi Xiaochen leave, she took the initiative to speak. Sister-in-law, Yi Shuyan was a little embarrassed. Over the years, he had been doing odd jobs outside and finally rented a house. At this time, Sun Tingting's words made Yi Shuyan not know what to say. After all, she is already 40 years old, and it is reasonable for her to separate from her brother. Although it was Sun Tingting who invited her, she felt that she should not agree. Yanyan, even if you don't consider yourself, you should at least consider Chenchen. Do you think I'll just follow you everywhere? Seeing that Yi Shuyan seemed a little shaken, Sun Tingting immediately added, Sister-in-law, you already have children and you'll have grandchildren in the future. I can't be a burden to you, Yi Shuyan said sincerely. Yanyan, are you still blaming your brother? Sun Tingting said seriously when she saw Yi Shuyan refuse to agree. How could that be? The facts prove that my brother is right. It's me who has the problem. Yi Shuyan waved his hands quickly, speaking with some shame. Yanyan, it's my fault. If I had come to find you all these years, you wouldn't have suffered so much. It's a good thing I found you now. Otherwise, I wouldn't know how they would blame me when I go to my parents' house. Yi Zhenhua covered his face with his hands. His voice choked. Brother, don't say that. I was too ignorant. Yi Shuyan put his hand on Yi Zhenhua's arm and said softly, Then come back to Shanghai with me. Yi Zhenhua looked at Yi Shuyan expectantly. Yi Zhenhua always felt guilty towards Yi Shuyan about what happened back then. He was just a teacher and could not give her a wealthy life, so she was deceived by a seemingly outstanding man. No matter what, Yi Zhenhua wants to make up for the suffering Yi Shuyan has endured in the past 20 years, even though he doesn't have much money now. Finally, Yi Shuyan agreed to go to Shanghai together. When Yi Zhenhua said he wanted to teach Liu Dihui a lesson, she refused. After all, he is a 60-year-old man, and loneliness is the best punishment for him. She had given up hope since the first time he abandoned Yi Shuyan, but the child was innocent, so she gave birth to Yi Xiaochen. Yi Shuyan agreed to go to the Magic City, and everyone was happy. After dinner, they sent Yi Shuyan home. The house was not big, so Yi Zhenhua and his friends did not sleep there. Instead, he immediately loaded his luggage and booked 2 business rooms at the hotel he had seen before. Hubby, I just found out today that my aunt left because of these things. After entering the room, Yi Xiaomu took Su Luo's hand, sat on the bed, and spoke in a low voice. After all, your aunt was only 20 years old at that time, still a child, Su Luo comforted. HMPH, every man is indeed a good thing. Yi Xiaomu rolled her eyes at Su Luo and said in a soft voice. But that doesn't include me, Su Luo said with a smile. Why is you not included? You are the worst. Yi Xiaomu rolled his eyes at Su Luo. What's wrong with me? Su Luo said as she moved closer to Yi Xiaomu and deliberately hit Yi Xiaomu's face with her warm hand, which had a hint of alcohol on it. Yi Xiaomu pushed Su Luo away and slapped him hard. It smells like alcohol. You're not a bad person, but you just know how to bully me. Hee, since you say I'm bad, I can't let you down. Su Luo gave a wicked smile and pulled Yi Xiaomu towards the bathroom. What do you want to do? I'm just kidding, it's time to wash up. Su Luo gently patted Yi Xiaomu's butt. Hateful, Yi Xiaomu glanced at Su Luo and said coquettishly, then followed Su Luo into the bathroom. Half an hour later, the two of them were lying on the bed. Yi Xiaomu was lying on her side, sleeping in Su Luo's arms. Hubby, can you buy a house for my aunt in Shanghai? After Yi Xiaomu finished speaking, she looked at Su Luo. She actually didn't want to say this, but if she didn't help, her father would definitely help in the end. Her father doesn't have much money, and now that she is married to Su Luo, her money belongs to the common property of the couple, which must be agreed by Su Luo. Wife, aunt is your family and my family too. I support you. Su Luo stroked Yi Xiaomu's cheek and spoke gently. Thank you, husband. Yi Xiaomu looked up, kissed Su Luo, and spoke. Many couples have broken up because of this kind of thing, and she was also afraid that Su Luo would think she was a brother-supporting demon. If Su Luo knew what she was thinking, she would definitely laugh at her for thinking too much. No brother-in-law would be unwilling to help his brother-in-law's family. Only those unmotivated brothers-in-law or ungrateful family members would be unwilling to help, because it is a bottomless pit. It will affect their normal family life. If the wife is not sensible at this time, she will really become a brother-supporting demon. That's how I thank you. Su Luo looked at Yi Zairamu with a wicked smile. Then how do you say thank you, bad guy? Yi Zairamu rolled his eyes at Su Luo. At least kiss here, Su Luo said, pouting. Kiss, are you okay? Yi Zairamu kissed Su Luo's lips and spoke. Not enough. Su Luo immediately turned sideways and was about to kiss Yi Zairamu's cherry lips. Ding-ling-ling, Su Luo's phone rang. Hello, seeing that it was an unfamiliar local number, Su Luo picked up the phone. Excuse me, is this Mr. Su Luo? A female voice came from the other end of the phone, which made Yi Zairamu prick up his ears and listen carefully. It's me, may I ask who you are? Su Luo reached out and scratched Yi Zairamu's nose, asking in confusion. Chapter 233, Offended the Wang Family. Hello, Mr. Su, we are from the Taixing Public Security Bureau. Yi Zairachin is suspected of fighting. Would it be convenient for you to come over? The other party's voice sounded very polite. Okay, I'll be there right away, Su Luo said and hung up the phone. Zairamu, don't go, it's so late. I'll go over and take a look. Seeing that Yi Zairamu was about to get up, Su Luo stopped her. Okay, I'll wait for you to come back. Yi Zairamu hesitated for a moment, then agreed and lay back on the bed. Well, I'll go first. You can go to sleep if you're sleepy. Su Luo changed her clothes and said to Yi Zairamu. I know, Yi Zairamu nodded. Okay, I'm leaving, Su Luo said, opened the door and walked out of the hotel. She didn't drive, after all, she had been drinking during dinner. Su Luo took a taxi and went straight to the Public Security Agency. Hello, excuse me, where is Yi Zairachin? After Su Luo entered, she found a staff member and asked, Su Luo, so you are really Su Luo. Why are you here? When the staff saw Su Luo, they said with surprise that she was obviously a fan of Su Luo. Su Luo forgot to wear a mask when she went out temporarily, and she couldn't care less about it now. Yi Zhenhua finally met Yi Shuyan, and it would not be good if something happened to Yi Zairachin again. I'm looking for Yi Zairachin. You notified me to come here. Su Luo did not answer the staff's personal questions, but asked instead. Yi Zairachin, I get it, come with me. Although the staff member is a fan, she still knows her place when it comes to work tasks. Su Luo was brought to the section chief's office, and the staff knocked on the door. Chief Zai, we're here to deal with Yi Zairachin's matter, the staff member introduced. Okay, come in. The man called Section Chief Zai put down the work in his hands, looked towards the door and spoke. Su Luo, go in, our section chief will talk to you. The staff member said this, waved to Su Luo and turned to leave. After watching the policewoman leave, Su Luo turned and walked into the section chief's office. Chief Zai, I'm Yi Zairachin's brother-in-law. May I ask what happened to Yi Zairachin? Seeing Section Chief Zai pointing to the chair opposite, Su Luo sat down opposite him and asked. They were fighting and the other party was sent to the intensive care unit. Section Chief Zai said. How is Yi Zairachin now? Su Luo asked immediately. He's fine, just some minor injuries. Section Chief Zai shook his head and spoke. Then let me ask what the current situation is. Su Luo nodded secretly. As long as Yi Zairachin was not injured, it would be fine. She needed to understand the specific situation before making a decision. The other party attacked first. After Yi Zairachin made his move, he suddenly fell to the ground and began to convulse. He was subsequently sent to the hospital for treatment. Section Chief Zai spoke up and briefly explained the situation. In other words, Yi Zairachin is fine. Su Luo leaned back and said, that's not entirely true. We can't be sure whether Yi Zairachin broke any laws during his counterattack. Section Chief Zai looked very cautious, fearing that he might have chosen a poor word. If you haven't investigated the matter thoroughly, then why did you call me here? Su Luo only said 2 or 3 words and already had the right to speak. Well, Mr. Su, the thing is, the other party's parents are now asking Yi Zairachin for compensation. Section Chief Zai said somewhat embarrassedly. Chief Zai, if you have anything to say, just say it, Su Luo said. The other party demanded 2 million yuan in compensation for medical expenses and mental damages, and then asked Yi Zairachin to come and apologize. Section Chief Zai said. Su Luo looked at Section Chief Zai in shock, with disbelief in her eyes. She was not surprised by the 1 million medical expenses, but by the other party's other requests. Moreover, the actions of this Section Chief Zai this afternoon seemed to be somewhat biased towards the other side. Chief Zai, is this also your idea? Su Luo smiled and said casually. No, this is not my idea. I was just passing on a message. Section Chief Zai waved his hands and spoke. Have you investigated Yi Zairachin? Su Luo tapped her crossed legs, looked at Section Chief Zai and said with a smile. After hearing what Su Luo said, Section Chief Zai looked embarrassed again. Indeed, Yi Zairachin was quite different from the other party. to the extent that they dared not even speak out the final result of their ruling. "What is the other party's identity?" Su Luo asked. "The other party's surname is Wang, and his name is Wang Ziyang. It is said that his family does business in Teju," Section Chief Zai said. "Okay, I understand. Can I take Yi Zairachin away?" Su Luo asked. "Okay, but you can't leave Taixing for the next 2 days. The case will be finalized in 2 days, and I'll need to come back then." Section Chief Zai nodded and said that, in fact, it had nothing to do with Yi Zairachin. "I drank too much and got into trouble. How could I blame others for this? But what a coincidence, I was fighting with Yi Zairachin when the accident happened. The other party's parents were not willing to give in. If Yi Zairachin hadn't felt that he was really unable to handle it, he wouldn't have told her Su Luo's phone number. "Then I'll have to trouble Chief Zai," Su Luo said with a smile. In fact, rather than saying that Section Chief Zai is timid or has bad intentions, it is better to say that he is more utilitarian. He does not want to make mistakes, but he also does not want to offend others. The reason why I called Su Luo here today is that if you feel that you can't defeat Wang Ziyang's family, then you should honestly prepare 2 million yuan and then come to apologize. If you think it's a small matter for Wang Ziyang's family, you can just take him away. Of course, if there are any consequences 2 days later, you will have to bear them yourself. In Teju, there is only one Wang group with the surname Wang, and it has already reached the top in Teju. Speaking of the surname Wang, Su Luo subconsciously thought of Wang Geifan, whom Yi Shuyan had mentioned before. "Then come with me." Section Chief Zai looked at Su Luo in surprise, stood up and walked towards the detention room. Su Luo nodded, followed Section Chief Zai, walked through the front hall, and arrived at the innermost part. After some formalities, Su Luo successfully brought Yi Zairachin out. "Brother-in-law!" Yi Zairachin, who had just walked out of the public security agency, shouted somewhat aggrievedly. Su Luo searched her pocket, took out a pack of cigarettes and handed one over. "Have a cigarette, you must be scared," Su Luo said softly. Yi Zairachin stretched out his trembling hand and took the cigarette. Then he took the lighter that Su Luo handed over and tried to light it several times with his shaking hand, but failed. "Don't move," Su Luo said, reaching out and taking back the lighter. Snap! The lighter lit up and handed it over. "Cough, cough, cough." Yi Zairachin took a deep breath with the help of the flame, but seemed to be choked and started coughing violently. Su Luo dropped a cigarette, took a light puff, and casually flicked the ash. Chapter 234. Only a few true friends are enough. "What happened? Do you still remember?" Su Luo asked. "Brother-in-law, Yi Zairachin seemed a little at a loss at this time. After all, it was a living person, suddenly lying in front of him, twitching. "Take a couple of puffs and relax." Su Luo stood next to Yi Zairachin, smoking a cigarette, and spoke. Upon hearing this, Yi Zairachin immediately took a sip. Brother-in-law, my mother doesn't know, right?" Yi Zairachin asked. "She doesn't know, only I know." Su Luo shook her head and said, "That's good." Yi Zairachin breathed a sigh of relief. He was more worried that her mother would be unhappy if she knew about this. "I said you had something to ask me, and you actually found one for me tonight, Yi Zairachin. You're quite something." Su Luo took another puff of her cigarette and teased. "Brother-in-law, apart from my mother's number, I only remember yours," Yi Zairachin said embarrassedly, touching his head. "Then should I thank you too?" Su Luo put her hand on Yi Zairachin's shoulder and patted him gently. Yi Zairachin suddenly felt less panicked. "We were drinking at the Bund bar when that guy came up to me and started a fight. He started to fight, so I punched him and he fell to the ground and started convulsing. Brother-in-law, have I gotten into big trouble?" Yi Zairachin looked at Su Luo with some concern. "Don't worry, if it was really a big trouble, there's no way you could get out now." Su Luo patted Yi Zairachin on the head and said with a smile. "Really, that person?" Yi Zairachin asked in surprise. "You don't need to worry about this. Let's go, I'll take you to eat something." Su Luo said this, put out her cigarette, and walked away. "Wait for me, brother-in-law," Yi Zairachin said and chased after him. TT keyword add data title equals beauty. Data tag equals recommended products. Data type equals 1. Data value equals 1930/TT keyword add. On the way, Su Luo sent a message to Yi Zairamu, saying that everything was fine and she would take Yi Zairachin for a midnight snack and then go back. "Let Yi Zairamu go to bed early and don't worry." "Okay, husband, come back early." Su Luo looked at Yi Zairamu's reply, smiled, and then put away her phone. The two of them came to a roadside food stall and ordered some barbecue and some draft beer. Yi Zairachin talked a lot that night, and Su Luo was listening the whole time, listening to him talk about how many times he had changed schools. Another time, a girl just confessed to him, and he transferred to another school the next day. He used to have good grades, but later he became less and less interested in studying and only thought about playing games, so his grades dropped. His mother was very upset because he didn't do well in the exam. After struggling for a long time, she finally called Yi Zhenhua. No matter what, you still have to go to college. It's not about what you can learn, but because you have this diploma, at least you haven't fallen behind. Su Luo took a sip of beer, looked at Yi Xiaochen, who was talking to him about the game with excited gestures, and spoke. Brother-in-law, I understand, it's just my score. Yi Xiaochen said, lowering his head. His score was not enough for an undergraduate degree. It depends on whether your uncle can help you. If there is really no other solution, then you can repeat the year and take the exam again next year. Su Luo looked at Yi Xiaochen and said with a smile, Ah, I have to repeat the year. I'd rather not go to college then. Yi Xiaochen raised his head, looked at Su Luo in surprise, curled his lips and said. Su Luo didn't